It's not even like anything really changed. So I was looking at that meme, that new meme, for the ladies.
Oh yeah.
You know, the one. Is it this one? Which layer is this?
Is it what one?
I'm looking for which layer the white line is in, and it might just be in this layer. No, it's not in that layer. Then where the fuck? Which layer is it?
I don't know. I know it looks like my stream is dying.
Why is your stream dying? What did you do?
You know, the usual. Installing a game in the background, you know. Normal shit. Hi, Cookie. What's the cookie doing? What the cookie doing?
No. And I don't know where this is.
I don't know.
It's
you
not...
think I know?
Oh, I know what I did. It was an eraser. That's what it was.
Did you see my message? Message where?
Well, also, Acro was asking for where his 20-minute sketch was, and I'm like, you gotta, let's see if he, did he? Yeah, he did. Okay, so I've got to do his 20-minute sketch sometime during this stream. Hey, D20.
I keep forgetting to post.
Need channel points. Thank you, D20. Hope you're doing well. Hope your stream's going well. Hope your stream goes well tonight.
I would hand over my Dark Soul, but
Big butts, so what?
Well, the thing is, I don't have Dark Souls on my computer yet because it costs money.
It does. No way. Things costing money.
I can stream right? I can stream Dark Souls on my Xbox, but then you wouldn't see my PNG because they don't have OBS on my Xbox.
Yeah. Well, you've got a few games. You've got a lot of wonderful games on your computer. Yes, and thank you. How are you? No old timey radio tonight? Chill, vibey music? It's just chill, vibey music because I got Nyx here. I got little old Nyx over here. Got my sweet man around here. Just my cutie boy.
Have you heard of a game called Marbles on Stream? You mean on Steam?
Carl Marble?
No.
Carl.
Not.
Curl. Guys. Curl.
Apparently, I've only played 7 hours of Vampire the Masquerade. The last time I played Vampire the Masquerade, I did not get very far because I got so lost and confused, I didn't know what I was doing.
Is that the old one, or... Ah!
So glad I met you, Goat. Heart.
Subscribe. Oh, thank you. So glad to meet you, Goat. So glad to meet you? Goat? Alright. I thought you knew me, D20, but thank you. Thank you for the sub with Prime. Lemony Lime, sub with Prime.
I don't know if my subscription for your channel has gone through yet, or if I have to re-up it.
What?
It is gonna have to wait until payday.
Oh,
For your
that's.
stream.
I mean, you did it with Prime, didn't you?
I think that was the last month or the month before.
Ah, it's always good to me. Yeah, of course, D20. It is good to that we met. I was like, wait, we already knew each other.
Oh, cool. Okay. How was it beating Dark Souls 3? And marbles. Let me see if I can
If you do a
find that.
Prime, it has to do be done manually every month. Yes. Oh, he even did the manual.
Marbles
Prime.
on stream.
That's right. He even did the Prime. By the way, I'm sick right now. D20.
So if he sounds funny, that's why.
Oh, I always sound funny. Have you heard how I sound?
You do. You always sound funny.
Prime
You
never.
do always sound funny.
Prime never renews automatically. But that's okay. That's okay. Thank you for being awesome, though, D20. I'm glad we met as well.
What was it like beating Dark Souls 3, Cookie? How was that? Dark Souls 3, how was that?
So I hope it's not serious. Too many people getting sick these days. I don't know if it's serious or not. It's probably just something that's going around. It's probably just the regular old cough. It's probably just the flu.
Did you get looked at?
With what? Doctor or what?
Just get tested for the Rona.
No.
Right, so you're aware that Corona and the flu virus actually had a baby, right?
No.
Yeah, that's the new strain of the coronavirus. It meshed with the flu virus.
Oh.
So get looked at. Don't just walk into work like that.
Like
you
what?
Crazy.
Like what?
I will do that. In the meantime, however, I'm going to do Vampire the Masquerade. I loved it so much, in fact, I'm doing New Game Plus. Oh god, Cookie. Because I want to do Vampire the Masquerade because I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah. Nyx is also. Yeah. Nyx is also. Dang, wish I could open a tab for Nyx too. I like Vampire the Masquerade. Well, I mean.
You do?
Yeah. It's Nyx Husky is his name. That's his name.
It is not showing up on my OBS.
Already following. Well, look at that. He's already following.
Yay.
Yours.
I like followers. They make my day.
Yeah.
There it is. Found it.
But my comic is coming alive though, Nyx. I just need a font. I just need a font though. I looked at the comic book fonts and I don't know, they're a bit poppy.
Meh. What do you mean poppy?
Like, they just don't scream this world at all. They just kind of scream superhero comic. And this is not that. But I mean, it doesn't matter what the text would be. right?
Okay, is that better for everyone? Because that was really loud in my ear. That was loud in my ear hole. I don't know if it was loud for everyone else.
I didn't hear nothing, but I also.
You're also not actively looking at my stream.
Yeah. I'm also on my stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's totally fine. I need to do Acro's thing sometime.
Hopefully it'll show me all of this.
20 minutes. Good.
Okay. Do that, which is roughly where I like it. Gameplay. Having passive disciplines automatically do themselves. Oh, okay.
Galliard? I'll look at that. All right. Galliard.
Sure. I'll do that. Why not? Okay. I think that's all right. Whoa, is this Half-Life 2? It's Vampire the Masquerade.
Whoa, Half-Life 2? Wow. All right. Galliard does look fine. Does this one have?
Go directly to character sheet and choose it myself. Thank you.
I want to figure it out myself.
Yeah, I do. Passionate ideals and rebels more likely to fight for
Could I
their
find?
rights than
Is it
write
Galliard?
protest songs.
Let me see. Typeface.
Wild loners that are most in tune with beast within. Lunatics because of their ability to hear voices of insight.
Dude, when we get in Half-Life 3, we got Half-Life 3. Hey, Kaz. We got Half-Life 3 in the form of Alex.
Nosferatu.
Who killed Captain Alex?
Turador. Picture themselves as
Thank you for
artists
coming in,
and
Real Kaz. Thank you for being a lurker, Real
they value
Kaz.
high society.
Onyx must be playing Malkaven. You gonna play Malkaven?
Malkaven? What's Malkaven?
I don't know. I don't know anything about Vampire the Masquerade other than it's just not a game for me. It's not my kind of game, man.
Seen as honorable and virtuous leaders of Camarilla. I think I'll go for the Tremere. I'll go for the Tremere.
Chimera.
Chimera.
That's what how
Chimera.
that's how some people say it. Oh, Chimera, and I'm like, what? That's how
The mighty Chimera.
it's Kai, not Chai. I don't get it.
Chai tea.
Chai tea. Yeah, no. The comic is coming to life.
Oh. Flop. Thanks for the lurk.
Flaw. Hey, whatever happened to BBB? Did he give up streaming? Nah. I don't know. I hope he's doing okay. He streams when he wants to. He streams when he wants to. You would stream too if you happen to, you. He streams when he wants to. Hey Zara, how's the art? Well, you seeing the art. You seeing how it's going. You seeing how it's going.
I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
What are you doing?
I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. Perfectly honest with you, I don't know what I'm doing.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just don't know how he's doing. I hope he feels better, you know. I hope you're doing well, Zara. How's the art going for you? How's all the art going for you?
Okay, I see what it's trying to make me do.
Are you figuring it out, baby?
Yeah, slowly but surely. It's being a dork.
Oh, it's being a me.
It's being a dork.
So it's being a me.
I'ma clap your cheeks.
Why must you clap my cheeks? What did they do to you?
To do that. So that's unarmed and melee. Lockpicking and sneaking. That's bashing. Okay. Okay, now I'm getting somewhere. Oh Jesus.
By the way, guys, if you didn't know, he is playing the big games. He's playing the huge big brain game.
I'm playing Vampire the Masquerade.
Huge big brain game.
Don't let him fool you.
I don't know. My ex was really into Vampire. Like the tabletop game.
Oh, okay. She was doing the.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I don't. Inspection measures your ability to notice hidden details. Contribute to the. Okay. And.
And by the way, if you guys didn't know,
measures your character.
if you guys didn't know, D20 Thoughts also is a streamer. I also put you up as automatic on my channel, D20, for the amount you actually stream. I put you as automatic to actually put yours up there. So when you stream, it'll automatically put your thing on my channel, just in case if anybody was interested. Since you did that for me, I did it for you. I also did it for Willow, but I think Willow is just that dang good as an artist. I was gonna do that for Nyx, but I was gonna ask him first.
What?
To put you on the automatic thing.
Automatic what?
Automatic stream announcement
I'm confused.
for my channel.
Oh.
I can put you as an automatic.
Okay. Okay.
My auto host has been working just fine. Hey, Heathen.
Knowledge.
My auto host has been working just fine. When it hasn't, Board can tell you.
For haggling. Don't do that.
How are you doing tonight, Heathen? If you didn't know, the sweet man is streaming.
Yes, I am.
At Express,
I'm not sweet and mean and scary and I'll kick your butt.
Yeah, it works when it wants to.
Everything in between.
I'm gonna tell you right now. 20 thoughts. D20 thoughts. It works when it wants to, with the auto host. Sometimes it wants to work. Sometimes it has decided you're not worthy to be hosted. I'm okay.
That'll be fine.
Oh, good. You're okay? Oh, I just did my taxes and I got $13 back from the government. Just $13.
Cookie, you know me. I always talk about butts. Butt.
Does Cookie actually know you? The real you? It's the thought that counts, and I appreciate that, man. No problem, man. You should be on a host. I don't know if you... We just stream at the same time, so I don't think it's on... I don't think I've set up the auto host for you, but I'll double check. I know I've set up the auto statement, but I know I'll put you on the auto host. That's for damn sure. Because it auto hosts for everybody else. I put you on the auto, what is it called? The stream announcements? Yeah. Are you streaming tonight, by the way? I'm doing good.
Yes, I am streaming tonight, by the way.
No, not you, sweetheart. Well, I know that. And we know that you are super adorable and cute. I love you.
I love you too.
I talk to my stream, you talk to yours. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Well, that's good that you're doing good, Zara. Do you mean in your Discord or on your Twitch? Discord. Yes, I am. I don't want to self-promote. But yes, I am. Yeah, on Discord. I put you on the auto host, on the auto stream thing where it will show that you're streaming. Because I was like, you do it for me, I do it for you. No problem. No problem. And the auto host, I thought I put you in the auto host. If I didn't put you in the auto host, I feel like a dummy.
I have no points in lethal or aggravated. And I have no idea where to...
It's fine.
That's okay.
I confuse everybody.
That's okay. Here we go.
That's
Into
okay.
the story.
Into the story. What story?
Vampire the Masquerade.
Ugh. I'm fucking with you. You know that.
Do I know that?
Oh, it's been broken for weeks. Ugh. I thought it was working just fine. Oh no. I guess I gotta restart re-hosting everybody now.
done to me.
Did you hear that, Nix?
I don't think I was able to mess with my character's appearance.
Did you not?
Or if I was, I didn't notice.
And this does not affect Discord announcements at all. Oh.
Yeah.
Ah. Well, okie dokie then. Okie dokie. Well, that's, the fun. Well, you know, I'll auto-host you, man. I wanted to listen to Okami tonight, so I'm listening to Okami music. By the way, that's what you guys are listening to, is Okami. Because it's one of my most favorite games of all time, which is pretty crazy, because the tutorial turned me off of that game immediately, and then I watched a G4 review of it, and then my brother was like, Cameron, you have this game. And I was like, oh, okay. I can't hear you at all, baby.
Still here. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
I've been quiet. Yeah.
Oh, you're listening to the story. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I have subtitles on for a reason.
I feel like you're confused. Auto-hosting is an option in Twitch settings under featured content. If it works correctly when you are offline and someone on your list goes, yeah, then it should be played automatically on your Twitch boom. This means anyone checking your Twitch channel will see them host. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. And I thought I said you to auto-host. Was I wrong? And then you said that it's not working, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And I was also telling you that I also set you up on Discord as well. Yeah. Even without the auto host.
That person do be dead. That person do be really dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good, D20. So, person be dead? What happened? Lamau. XD. Lol. By the way, Heathen, I hope your day at work doesn't suck ass. Just wanted to let you know. Hope it doesn't suck. Don't mind my brain fart. I'm not at work. Oh, okay. Oh, you're not at work yet? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I'm fucking stupid. Of course you're not at work. You're not going to be at work for a whole week. You took off to take care of your son.
Okay. WSD keys. Z to switch between first and third person. Okay.
I'm fucking stupid. See, I remember things. Yeah, her son has her son is sick with it, with the corona. So
Oh no.
yeah, well, her son is young. He should be fine. Hopefully he'll be okay. We'll keep him in his spirits, but I believe that he is strong enough. I know he can do it. I don't think it has anything to do with strength, but it's my. I get to have some small little thing being like, I through it. All right, board. You can always join the voice channel. If you want to listen to us, just chill out with each other, hang out with each other. But if you guys don't know, Okami is an amazing game. Let me see how much it is on Steam.
Alrighty then. Well, fuck.
What? What happened?
Oh, just the way he's describing the drinking of blood. Okay.
That's where this soundtrack comes from. Tasty blood. Drink it and convert it to pee.
Oh, God. Oh, welcome back, Board. Thanks for checking in.
Hope you're doing well, board. Sweet man. He's so sweet. He's being a lurk right now.
Okay, that's the blood pool over here to the right. There's sort of blood. Most areas of the game. One is in the alley around the corner. Okay. We could do that, I think.
Do you think you can?
I think I can. Look at my walk. Like, wait a second. Switch my hips. Rose to victim, press F. It is important humans do not see you feed on other humans. Okay. Once you've begun feeding on your victim, you'll see this bar appear. It represents the victim's blood pool. You should not stop feeding before emptying his blood pool. You should stop feeding before emptying his blood pool. Okay.
Huh? Did I get a follow? I didn't even notice. Drew? Drew 38. I don't think Drew is real.
Okay. This guy's creepy. Oh my god. I drink a lot of blood.
I don't think Drew 38816 is real, cuz they joined right when my thing started, and D20 and that was between D20 resubbing. I don't think they're real. I don't think they're real, but if they're in the chat.
He's annoying, but I kind of like him. I don't know.
Oh, thank you.
No, not you, the guy that's in the game.
Oh, thank you.
How do I? Oh, he wants me to. Okay, so I just what? Just how the hell do I? Where am I going? Okay,
Guys.
feed attempt fail.
Hey guys, how do I?
I don't know. I'm pressing buttons. I'm trying to feel my keyboard here. Okay, at the bottom of your screen. Okay, thank you for only just telling me that now, game. Thank you. Okay, here we go. I'm inside. Close the damn door. Close the damn door.
Master button, X. That's
I
what
know, right?
That's what he even told me. But even if you want to play an amazing game, you've guys got a lot of games. But if you ever have time, an oldie but goodie is Okami. And I went in.
I don't know.
Huh?
There's
Yeah.
a lot of good games.
I know. There's a lot of good games. The market is saturated with great games.
Oh, great. Bloodthirsty assholes. I know how to deal with those. Kill them.
You kill them.
Oh, great.
I will have to check it out after Shin Megami Tensei 3 and 5. Oh yeah, that's gonna take you a while. That's gonna take you a while. Oh,
Oh shit!
a little pinch.
Sexual puppies.
Zara made some
Just
art.
got disintegrated.
Also need to try and find 4. Oh yeah, that's gonna be for the 3DS. They have not made a 4 conversion for the Switch yet, which they should.
No.
It's a great game.
Okay, lockpick. Once you begin lockpicking, you will see
Mew.
this bar.
Hello,
This is the
Floof.
needed block. Okay.
Hope you're doing well, Floof.
Oh, at least I don't have to do it manually.
Yeah, at least you don't have to do it manually.
Pretty much.
You know. I'm not well. Oh no, Floof. Well, we hope you feel better. Right, Nix?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm listening to this and you at the same time. My processing is a little laggy.
It's all good.
I bet we can't get
I've been playing a game. Oh no.
I wish we could. That'd be awesome.
Pet spectral puppies? No, it's not.
Dude! Ghost puppies to maul my enemies? That would be amazing! I
No.
want that power.
No. Sounds like a hassle. You gotta clean up after them every time. So what game have you been playing, Flap? What have you been playing? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know in the comments below. There we go. There we go. Give him some love. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So Foxo is in your Discord, by the way.
My what?
Foxo is in your Discord
Oh, yes.
streaming.
They're streaming?
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what they're streaming. E. E. Oh. Well, all right then. Don't bother me. None there ain't hurting no one.
Who's streaming? Oh, it's in Nix's Discord. Ah, yes. Board's done it before. He's done it in mine before.
Masquerade violations, your game is over. The current number of violations is displayed in the upper right corner of your sheet.
What you playing, Fluff? Yeah, what you playing, Fluff?
So I don't have any violations right now. That's good.
Ugh.
Didn't want to do that. Whoops. Accepted. See here, commands is unlocked. Thank you.
I've been rejected 3 times in a row, even in a game. No.
Oh no. Ah, chop chop key.
Floofy is playing Monster Prom. Oh shit. I'm sorry. Sounds more like my life. Even no. No. No.
Inventory. Click on the right, left, and right arrow. Buttons above your inventory list to access different. Okay. That's my wallet. I've got nothing. Key. Chop chop key. Bare hands. Close. Okay.
Even in Monster Prom. Floof, get reject. No.
No.
No. No, Floof, no. Maybe you're picking the bad ones. You know what I mean? I don't know enough about Monster Prom.
Okay. He just disappeared. He just disappeared.
He just left. He just left your ass. He's like, I'm not
Pretty much.
not dealing with this idiot.
I didn't mean to do that, but alright.
But okay.
Ah, shit.
Alpha.
Yeah. Okay. Represent your current level of health. Okay. Regular damage. If your health is completely depleted, you suffer final death. Your game is over. Your health regenerates over time when you're feeding. Oh. When you are feeding, your health generates over time. Regenerates faster when you feed. Blah, blah, blah. Faster when you. Oh my god. I can't read. If your health bar begins to turn yellow, it means you have sustained aggravated damage. Current hazards like fire and supernatural attacks cause aggravated damage. This takes much longer to heal than regular damage. Okay.
I love you, Floof. We love you over here, Floof.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we?
That's a good question. Why wouldn't we? Is there a reason why we wouldn't love you, Floof?
Okay.
D20 Thoughts is on. Mhm. All the love. Yes, all the love.
Okay.
So even I hope I can be at least a little bit entertaining while you're stuck at home.
Oh, great.
You are very entertaining, loving the art, and the strange music is fun. Strange? It's a Japanese game. It's pretty fun. I guess it is kind of strange. I wouldn't call it common video game music.
Okay.
What's up?
I'm apparently trying to feed on rats.
Oh, well, they are nutritious.
Yeah.
Filled with they're high in protein.
I suppose, but I kind of feel bad for killing the little squeakers.
I mean, they are a nuisance.
Okay.
I love you. Eat the rats. Destroy the rats. No, Nex. You're so handsome, yet so silly. Looks like we're calling it an early night over here. Since there's some stuff in the morning, you'll have a wonderful night. Stay safe and stay sweet. We'll try, no promises. No promises, board. I'll try my best.
Pass without being detected. Must be crouching to sneak. Control key.
And you gotta get into that sneak. Oh, board. If you're still here, just
I don't know which stream board's in right now. He just kind of, yeah, no.
board. If you're still there, it's just
Give
Just-
us a
give us a sign. Give us a sign. Give us a sign.
God.
Thank you. Even as he probably doesn't have sound right now.
Probably not.
I just
Hi, Tobias.
want to make sure if
How you doing today?
I hope you're doing well, Tobias. I don't know you, but I do hope you are doing well.
Oh, remember to crouch. Right.
We all hope you're doing well. From my stream to yours. Hey, Steady Prism. Hope you're doing well, Steady.
Damn it.
Two stories. The first place,
You're
the first
okay,
one
you
takes place
guess.
in Romania.
Oh,
and the
why
second
only
one's
you
actually set in
guess?
Cleveland,
Oh, well, you know I love any opportunity
right?
to talk about my hometown,
And I think,
which is Parma Heights.
Yeah.
But like, listen, they're adjacent-ish.
well, and I think in this area, it's Garfield Heights is where, so it's not too
Ooh,
far away. I don't
okay.
think.
No, no, it
Yeah.
is.
The first story is known
I hope
as
he
the
does well as
Panuku
well.
Exorcism,
Mm.
and
But
whatever
we
one
won't
agrees
know
on with
until
this
it
story
happens.
is that in the spring of 2005,
Hopefully he'll
a
get
young
over it
nun
pretty
named
quickly.
Marica Cornici died after collapsing after being tied up for about a week in a Romanian monastery. What there's a lot of disagreement on is what led to her death. Did a monk and some nuns horribly handle
Don't know
a case
exactly
of
where I'm
schizophrenia,
supposed to go.
or was this truly a case of demonic possession? And then the second story, as I said, takes place in Garfield Heights, Ohio. An anonymous woman bought her first house, and joy
Hey,
and pride
Prism.
quickly turned into paranormal terror. Very unique type of haunting that I can't set up much without giving something away. But this one is probably going to be hard to listen to if you hear it right before you go to bed and you live alone.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready to head to Romania and kick things off?
Do you want to know about my stores?
I knew he was
Oh
around
my
the corner.
gosh.
Gosh
Your
darn it.
stories? I do want to hear about your stories. Yeah, I do
Heading to
wanna hear about
bed
I
pretty
know, sorry, we're
soon,
out of order.
Nick, so I'll
Yeah,
catch
no,
you
I know,
later.
it totally threw me. I
Night,
just went into
Lord.
You're like, it's my turn now.
Yep, habit. Yeah.
He probably doesn't
also,
have
when you said the
sound,
nun thing, like
Huh?
I didn't read this
Who?
article, but I don't know anybody like in
Or-
their Apple news feed.
but
Yeah.
he.
Did you see that like
He-
headline about a
I bet
nunnery,
he appreciates.
convent,
And we're getting
whatever,
bored and
of, like,
annoyed.
not
Had remote
actual
work
nuns,
today.
but, like, women like I think dressing as
yesterday,
nuns,
and
but
I
dispensing
hope I could
drugs.
keep going
No.
doing
Where?
remote work
In the
instead.
US or some other
Oh,
country?
I
okay.
think it's in the U.S. I saw the
Okay,
headline
steady.
and I was like, "Excuse me, what?" And I kept meaning to go back to the article, and I was hoping
Yeah,
that you were gonna say, "Oh yeah, I saw
Oh,
that and I read it."
man.
It sounds pretty awesome.
That's pretty funny. And
Sneaking
is
is a
it
lot
legal
harder in
or an
this game
I
illegal
than
have
I
no
anticipated.
idea. I
Okay.
did not read the article, but I just anybody listening, like,
Or
please
I'm
go
just
find
bad
it
at it.
and let us know. I
Or
have,
the mechanics might
two
just be bad
international
in the
stories
game.
This week we're going
Hmm.
to Cuba
Okay.
for one story. A very bizarre sort of experience, maybe dabbling in the Santeria or rather
Hmm.
interfering with it.
Okay.
And then my second
I mean,
story
there's a
is Dublin.
possibility that it
Okay,
just
cool.
wasn't
A hockey
implemented
bar,
correctly.
which
But
we're
thank you for
hoping to
coming
get
in,
over
Steady.
there this coming summer. So I
Yeah.
just thought it was like
Me
fun if I
and
could
Nix
dabble
are
in some
just
things that we
chilling.
might
Nix is
be
just
able to
streaming right
encounter.
now,
I
and
was
he
just,
is
it's so random, but
he is a
yesterday
wonderful
evening, I was
pup.
working on for Celtic mythology.
Aw,
so
thank
it's
you.
time suck. So
You
and
are
I
a
was doing
wonderful
a
dude.
section on Ireland.
You
and,
know
like,
you were.
researching some stats.
How did you not know
And,
that you were
I didn't realize
wonderful?
how rural Ireland is.
How did
At
you
least in
not know that
Dublin.
you were
I
wonderful
think
and
about
stupendous, and I
40%
love
of
you?
all the people in the Republic of Ireland live
Aw,
in the
I love
Dublin
you
metro
too.
area.
Wow.
I think you're
And their
better.
third
Well,
biggest city
okay,
is
I'll
outside
take it.
Coeur d'Alene.
Alright.
The metro area of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, is a
Oh,
little bit
thank you.
bigger
I'll
than the
take it.
metro area of Limerick, Ireland, which is their third biggest metropolis.
What's the second?
Oh,
Oh,
dang
boy,
it! I
sorry.
can't remember the second. It was I can't remember. It was a city I'd heard of. Cork? No.
No.
And I just can't remember what it is.
Where Belfast?
No, because that's in Northern Ireland. That's not in the Republic of Ireland.
Right. My
Right.
geography is no bueno.
Well, you're on the right island, but
I
just
know,
not the right
but-
country.
Please.
Mhm.
Like, it's all Ireland to me, which I know is not fair. I know it's not right.
Yeah.
But like I'd have to go study a map.
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
while.
yeah.
Okay.
You said Cork?
I think
Yeah,
Cork.
that's right.
Okay, that is right. Okay.
Your fucking brain, man.
I
Swear
know.
to God.
Where were we the other day that you pulled out? Oh yeah, we went to, just like a small digression here, and then we'll dive in. I promise. We were at dinner
Alright.
with friends on
Engage in
Friday.
armored combat. You need to equip your
One of our friends
fists.
really loves to make the waitress give you like fun
Press
facts.
F1
And
until
you
your
pulled
fist
out
icon
weird fun
is
fact, and the rest of
highlighted
the
It's about the
table-
silverware.
Yep, the rest of the table was like, what?
okay.
And they're just like, mine's one. I was like, welcome
combat
to my
feat
life.
is
Every
combined
day
with
you
strength
get at
and
least
brawl
15 minutes of
directly
random
affects your
information that you have no
success
idea
in
where he's
armored
pulled it from.
combat.
That will help you 0% in life.
You can also
Super
block enemy
interesting weird
attacks by
card
hitting
attack.
tab.
Okay. All right, well, let's get into some spoopiness.
Put your fist
Okay, a
away
little
with
bit of setup,
H.
but not much in this first one.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I gotta show your socks.
Alien socks.
Ooh, we haven't done an alien story. Okay. All right, good cue for me to find another good alien story.
Or not.
When tragedy befell a 23-year-old nun, Marica Cornici, the people of Vaslui County, Romania, didn't know what to think. Many had observed Marica acting increasingly strange over the past few months. Her
Oh,
face
okay,
would
just-
randomly contort
okay.
into expressions that seemed menacing, or at the very least made those who saw them uncomfortable. She'd be heard mumbling in a voice that didn't fit her body,
Now,
speaking
darn you.
gibberish, or
it's
perhaps
supposed
some
to feel
language no
tight
one
in
around her
here.
understood.
like
What's
it's
going
supposed to
on?
be
They'd
open
wonder.
and then
Was she
tight.
mentally ill?
Ow.
People said her father had been back before he died. Was she driven to madness due to the trauma
I've
she
gained an
reportedly
item.
experienced during a childhood?
Then finish
Abandonment,
this.
I have a tire iron.
poverty, and abuse? Or, as those who knew her best have said, was her strange behavior due to something else entirely?
Then we can
like
get
demonic
to
possession.
page 6.
Those closest to
Can't
her
wait.
believe that
Can't wait for
Marici-
page 6.
Marica-
Can you guys wait for
sorry,
page
her name just
6?
does not
You guys
feel
better
right, but it's
fucking wait
Marica.
for page
Was
6.
plagued by something not from this world. Now time for the tale of the Tanuku exorcism. After the Romanian Revolution in December 1989, the Socialist Republic of Romania,
Okay.
like much of the Communist Eastern Bloc,
I
collapsed,
can equip
and
that.
the people rejoiced for many reasons. One was a return to spiritual life in a nation that had
All
once
right.
been predominantly Christian, one that was still Christian, but for so long the faithful had hidden their religion. Atheism was now no longer the only belief system promoted by the state, and Romanian Christians would no longer be persecuted for their
Jesus.
beliefs. For the first time in decades, people were truly free to worship as they wanted.
Aw, thank you,
What?
Tobias.
And for some, that now meant they wanted to dedicate their lives
He
to
called
being
me a
priest
wonderful
or
pup.
a monk or a
Oh,
nun
well, you
or a
are.
Which I
monastery.
which I
This is
appreciate.
exactly what
I mean,
Marici,
what do you
Marica
mean? Like,
Cornici wanted.
You already knew that.
Her names, I want to flip the syllables. I
I
want to say
know.
Marici.
Knowing it and
Kunicha.
believing it are two
And
different
it's the
things.
reverse of that.
How about this? We all know what you
Romanians.
mean, but if you get stuck,
I still don't believe
There
it.
we go. So that's what
But
she
I
did.
know it.
Before becoming a nun at age 23,
You,
Maricha
Oh,
didn't
you
have
are.
an easy life. Born into a broken family, she was raised in orphanages and
No,
foster
you
homes
are.
following her mother's
no,
abandonment
you are.
and her father's suicide.
No, you are.
No,
When she
you
was
are.
19,
No,
she
you
worked
are.
as a nanny first in Germany and then for a family in the Romanian region of Banat. And then a friend of hers she'd kept in touch with from an orphanage she'd spent many years in became a nun at the Tenuku Monastery, Tenuku Monastery, and she encouraged Maricha to become a nun there as well. The day after her first communion at the monastery, Maricha
Toilet.
began acting odd. She started
TP.
with giggling during mass.
Eh.
Her fellow nuns, of course, thought that it was strange and
Why is there-
disrespectful, but initially they weren't concerned
Ew,
about her
there's a
mental
yellow
health or her
stain on the
salvation.
end of the toilet
And they just
paper.
hoped she was
I'm not
adjusting
touching
to her
that.
new life in the monastery.
That's nasty.
They hoped she'd settle in and become a proper and pious nun. But that wouldn't be the case. By April, Maricha's bizarre behavior and mental state had deteriorated further, and she was brought to a local
Standing
psychiatric
on it
hospital
didn't
where she
wanna
was
work.
diagnosed with schizophrenia. After a 2-week stay for observation and treatment, they released her back to the monastery. Many who had
Close
known
the door
Maricha
behind me
were
because I'm
suspicious of her
polite.
diagnosis. She'd never before exhibited any signs of mental illness. She appeared to recover
Close the door
and went to
behind me
Banat
because
to
I'm
retrieve
polite.
4,500 euros in
Uh-oh.
savings from Germany that she
When
left
you're
in
in
trust
position
there
to
with some
perform a
employers.
stealth kill, you'll
And at
see this
Banat,
icon.
something happened. When Maricha came back, she seemed much worse
alright.
than ever before. Her brother would later say that when he saw her, she'd act completely normal 1 minute, and then the next, her body would go completely rigid.
Hold up.
Her eyes would open, she'd make disturbing animalistic sounds, she'd lash out violently, try to hurt him and others around her, she'd mumble strange things he couldn't understand, she'd stare at him with eyes darker and crueler than they should have been. He became convinced that some kind of outside force had taken hold of her. It was clear that Maricha needed help, but what kind? Father Daniel Corajana thought he knew. He was a 29-year-old head monk of the monastery where Maricha served and lived. Corajano was an intense man of God. He looked like a throwback to another time. Long chestnut hair flowing down past the middle of his back. His mouth completely disappeared behind his long mustache. His fluffy reddish-brown beard fell down to his stomach over his chest. He looked the part and acted it as well. He took his religious duties very seriously. He draped the whitewashed wooden fence at the entrance to the monastery with a half dozen
Okay,
signs warning
goddamn.
visitors of the rules inside. Men were not permitted after 4 p.m. Women
Great,
were
just
forbidden
my
to
luck.
enter wearing pants or with their heads uncovered. Everyone entering had to be a follower of the Romanian Orthodox Church. This is God's house, and here the angels sing, read one sign.
Selected.
Father Corajano
There are
held
two kinds of
passionate and
disciplines,
charismatic
passive
services in
and
God's house
targeted.
several times a day and in the middle of the
Passive
night,
disciplines
and he attracted a
directly
fanatical
affect you.
following from the nearby
Targeted
villages.
disciplines
He
directly
also built a
affect your
reputation
enemy.
as the man
All
to go
disciplines
to
cost a
if there were
certain amount
demons
of
that needed
blood
to be
for the
cast
blood
out.
pool to activate.
He'd say all the prayers for exorcism on command, said Reverend Lucian, a young parish priest from a nearby village, who explained that Corajano's gift
common
was
to all
unusual.
vampires.
He'd never seen a monk with this ability
There's
before.
temporary bonus to all
Corajano
physical
seemed born to
abilities.
do
It
battle
is
with the
useful
devil.
in a variety of
And when Father Daniel
situations, like
Corajano saw
picking
the
a
devil in
lock that
Maricha,
would otherwise
came to
be
her
too
aid.
difficult for your
He now
lock-picking
believed mental
feat.
illness was not the primary cause of her
Okay.
suffering, but instead possession. You can't take the devil out of people with pills, he told an assistant. He made it clear that an exorcism was necessary.
Also
immediately.
started playing a bit of
With Father
Pathfinder
Corajano's
Kingmaker
orders in the
yesterday,
spring of
enjoying
2005,
it quite a
several
lot.
nuns bound
Nice.
Maricha's hands and feet, locked her in
Nice.
a room before beginning their exorcism. They recited over and over the liturgy
See,
commemorating the
people
ascension of Jesus for
like
several days. And they didn't
tabletop
tie her up
games.
against her will. She too believed that
Come
the devil
on, pick
or
the
the
damn
devil's
lock.
minions were inside of her, and she wanted them out. Supposedly, and others would back up this claim, she asked
this
to
is
be
getting
bound.
ridiculous
She
now.
begged to have an exorcism. Father Corajano and 4 of his most devoted nuns continually prayed over Maricha as she seemingly battled something within herself. She alternated back and forth between presenting herself as the young woman who'd come to the monastery to give herself to God, and then as a monster who
Quick
screamed in a
skill
different
below
voice,
lock
threatened those around her,
difficulty.
trying to violently attack them, etc. After a few days of this, the monk and his nuns now carried her from her room and into the church, chaining her to a cross with her arms stretched out in a crucifixion pose while they doused her with holy water at the altar of Christ. As they watched her arms strain against the ties, they wondered if they were hurting her and should untie her. But then, they would later claim, Maricha seemed to become herself again for a moment and begged them to continue.
Is there any other
Begged them
way
to tie her tighter,
around?
make sure she couldn't move, to continue to fight the evil inside of her, to never stop until it was gone. Later, Father Corajano and the nuns would wonder if it had truly been Maricha begging not to be untied, or if they had been fooled tricked by whatever was possessing her.
Not that I'm aware.
Did some demon know that if they kept her tied up, she might weaken and then die? Was this part of their plan to destroy her? They decided to keep her in the church for 3 days. At one point, again
That's
allegedly
what
at
that is
Maurice's
then.
request, they put a towel in her mouth to stop her from cursing. And they prayed and
Requires
prayed
lock
and prayed.
picking.
We drive you from us, whoever you may be, unclean spirits, all satanic powers, all infernal invaders, all wicked legions, assemblies, and sects. In the name and by the power of our Lord Jesus Christ, may you be snatched away and
Stunning
driven from the church of
security.
God, from the
Gosh darn
souls
it.
made to the image and likeness of God, and redeemed by the precious blood of the divine Lamb. Meanwhile, Maricha thrashed and thrashed, and also seemed to exhibit strong signs of something paranormal occurring.
Alright.
On several occasions, when they put holy water on her lips, she spit it back at them, and they'd see that the water had turned to blood. After 3 days of thrashing, cursing, and a continual rejection of anything holy, she
Well,
finally
that's
lay
good.
still.
If you want to tell us about your character, we would love to hear it.
Monastery. She was now,
We're
according to
very
Father
much
Corrigiano,
into
cured.
D&D, and
The nuns
I'm such a
untied Maricha
D&D
and
nerd.
helped her to her room. They gave her bread and tea.
I've
She
said
ate
this
and
multiple
drank.
times.
She seemed
The
exhausted, but
the
otherwise better than she'd been in
the
months.
weird
But then she fainted.
but
And when the nuns
fun
couldn't revive her, they called an ambulance. And while in the ambulance, she was administered 6
reality
separate
that
doses
is
of
the
adrenaline
One
in an
Piece
attempt to revive
RP
her, and it
D&D
didn't work.
game.
By the time she'd reached the hospital, she was dead. Everyone now wondered, had she been possessed? Did keeping her tied up for a week kill her? Did something possibly inside her trick the monk and the nuns into thinking they were saving her when really they were murdering her? The medical examiner claimed Maricha died of dehydration, exhaustion, and a lack of oxygen. This didn't make a lot of sense to many members of the
Can't
community,
seem to-
especially not to Father Corrigiano or the nuns who'd assisted him.
Can't
Maricha
seem
was
to go
given
through
food
that
and water
way.
when she was bound. She did eat and drink some, they claimed. So how could she be so dehydrated? She hadn't been strangled or suffocated, they said.
And
So
I
how could she
can't go
die
through
from a
that
lack
way.
of
Am I
oxygen?
legitimately just
How
stuck
is it possible
here?
that she died in this way? As Maricha Cornici was lowered into her grave during her funeral, sudden and unexpected claps of
That would be
thunder were heard,
pretty
leading Father
lame.
Corrigiano to conclude that the will of God had been done, but not everyone else agreed. Local authorities now charged Father Corrigiano and the 4 nuns who'd helped him with murder and depriving a person of liberty. After a long and highly publicized trial, Father Corrigiano was sentenced in 2007 to 14 years in prison. 4 nuns were sentenced to between 5 and 8 years in prison each. Was justice served? Maybe, maybe not. Members of the press present noted that almost everyone in the courtroom supported Father Corrigiano and the nuns, and that when the guilty verdict was read out, numerous people collapsed to the floor in tears. Corrigiano was freed
There
on
we
parole
go.
in November of 2011 after serving 2/3 of his punishment. The Romanian Orthodox Church
Thank
closed
you.
down his monastery and had him defrocked.
Thank you.
And that was that. Until
Okay.
2014. That year, the cause of Maricha's death was re-examined
Way
and found
too
to be
long
an
to figure
overdose
out,
of
game.
adrenaline.
You need
given
to
in the
explain that
ambulance.
just a bit better.
When he learned of this, Corrigiano stated,
Ugh.
"My biggest mistake was that I called the ambulance when I saw she was not
Thaumaturgy, blood
moving. I think she
magic.
died because the medics who came with the ambulance tried to
Second
resuscitate
sight
her
that
by giving her
allows you
too
to
much
see the
adrenaline.
auras of others,
Had I not called
dominate,
the ambulance, she would have been
ability
well
to
now."
bend people to your
Now many in
will.
the community wonder, was Maricha
Okay.
ultimately not the demon or devil's target, but Father Corrigiano instead? Was some adversary trying to destroy the devil-battling monk and his monastery?
Gives you the
If that was
ability
the
to see
goal,
people's
it was
auras.
accomplished.
The color indicates an
Today,
individual's
and
No, thank you.
disposition.
Many people, including Maricha's brother
Increases
and friends,
perception.
continue to maintain that
Thank
Maricha
you.
was indeed possessed rather than just mentally
That's
ill,
weird.
and that Corrigiano did his
I
best
guess
to
Drew's
save her.
real.
And they wonder, if you try to help a
do you
possessed
mean?
person from being
Oh,
destroyed,
there's
by
a
demonic
person
forces,
with
who's to say
that
those
followed
forces
me
now won't
right
destroy you.
Oh, what a fascinating twist at
Drew
the end.
Mhm.
38816
After he served all that time,
and
and the nuns
and
did
Board
too,
is saying that they're
the
real, and I'm
monastery was
like,
closed
that's
down, and it's
that's
still
a
pretty
weird
controversial. There's
name.
still people who are like, they were
Just
absolutely wrong.
Mm.
and 4
At the
numbers.
very least, they created the
5
circumstances
numbers.
that led to the adrenaline shot being needed that led to her death.
Yeah,
Damn
what was that? Involuntary manslaughter,
Mhm.
maybe?
Yep. And then there's others who think that no, that they were there, that will believe to the
Ugh.
day they die.
Mhm.
That this was not just schizophrenia.
Yeah.
This was
I followed
demonic
before I
possession.
started
Yeah,
streaming.
yeah.
I have some pictures if you want to see them, or you can ask questions first.
I
It's
have a
weird.
weird question
Okay,
that
sure.
might sound
Eh.
silly, but I don't know that I've ever. Well, I was gonna say I don't know that I know
Yeah.
cases of like priests going to jail. Obviously, I know like with the Catholic Church in America, all that. But when priests or nuns are sentenced to prison, do they
Yeah.
just go to regular prison?
I
Is
mean,
there like
it might
nun
differ
prison?
from.
but like
Yeah.
a section of the.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think you just go to prison.
Hmm.
I mean, in
But
this
you get to go
country,
to, like,
you just go to
white-
prison.
Well, maybe you get to go to like white collar prison.
Depends on the crime. There have been plenty of Catholic priests in this country who have
Yeah.
definitely gone to prison.
Yeah, I'm sure
and
they're not
for
faring
some,
well.
For some, it has not fared well.
Yeah.
And yeah, this Romanian monk. I don't know what
Okay.
Romania's penal system is.
Yeah,
But I
Thaumaturgy
I
is
strongly
sorcery
assume
that can bend
that he went
blood,
to prison.
powerful and
Yeah.
terrible
I know
ends.
it's a silly question, but
Thaumaturgy is
my mind kind of like into this place of
targeted
like the
discipline.
military and like they have their jag
varies
lawyers
with
and
each
like
level.
does the
Yeah.
like like the Catholic diocese has their
Use
own
of
set of lawyers. So
thaumaturgy
it's like
is
interesting when you kind of start to break it down that they have
violation.
their own subsects of things within the judicial system, except when it comes to the sentencing.
Yeah, once you go to, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Then it's just, I guess,
Prison is prison.
yep. It's just all dependent
Big ol'
on your
pop.
crimes, not
Yeah.
who you are.
I would never survive in prison.
Hello.
I just want everyone to know that in
Hello.
case you wondered. Like, no
Yeah.
way.
That should be a good
I
volume
would
for
fall
you.
apart
There
in
we
about
go.
2 days.
I would get so. I mean, if I get my,
You would be invited into the Aryan Nation at least. I mean, look at
just
you.
just my look.
Exactly. I'm not saying that that's who you are. I'm just saying, like,
right.
but I think those are like the unfortunate choices that people are forced to make in prison. I mean, obviously, sometimes you go to prison. Like, I think about what was that show we watched, Mayor of Easttown.
Church is
Yeah.
an area of
Without giving
effect.
anything
Both
away,
guys barely
There is a
close
crime that
together,
happens, and then
become
a
violently
father
ill.
Yeah.
that is like, haha,
Yay.
nope.
Yeah.
So it's like if something happens to your child, and then you avenge your child's
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I mean, that's crazy, and I get it that it's still illegal, but it's understandable.
I would try and join a Latin gang. I would lie. I would just claim ancestry that I don't have.
You don't even speak Spanish. You have a terrible.
It doesn't matter. It's ancestry. I would just claim it. I can lie. They don't know. They're not going to check my 23andMe.
But I think that lying to gang members might be pretty dangerous.
I think just anything would be pretty. Anything. I wouldn't want the stigma of Aryan Nations on me when I
Dear
left. I would do my
Lord.
best. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's who takes me to the cafeteria.
Okay.
I know.
It's first smuggling as much steroids as I
Assholes.
can.
Mm-hmm.
Dedicate my life to weightlifting, just
Mhm.
as much time in the yard.
Oh shit.
And I'm gonna have to find somebody smaller. It's unfortunate. I don't even want to do it. I'm gonna have to either kill him
Mhm.
or beat him close to death to establish myself as a person to be reckoned with. I'm gonna have to take a chance at that at least.
Oh my god! See, already my stomach is
otherwise
turning.
I'm just victim. Otherwise,
I literally can't.
I have to transform my whole psychology.
I can't kill a fly without my knees feeling a little bit weak.
Man, if you're in a kill or be killed place,
I
maybe you'll
know.
change.
Okay, so enough about my future in prison. That's never going to happen.
Let's check out some pictures. Could only find a few photos of Maricha Cornici online. Here's one of them from when she was a teen.
But yeah, I'm glad that you're
Okay.
playing
then this
Kingmaker.
next one-
She looks so romantic.
Steady.
It's
Oh, yeah?
unbelievable. I just like.
And
the
I'm
look
also
Romanian
glad that
gymnast, I'm
you're
like, yes.
awesome and amazing.
right. And this next one, yeah, is a little bit better. Yeah, just her bone structure and
I was
stuff.
just gonna say the high cheekbones, yes, and the
Mhm.
narrow nose.
Yep, so that's her there. And then this guy, old school, this Father Daniel or monk, I guess, Correggiano.
Whoa, red beard.
Yeah,
Also,
like something
also
of a movie,
next.
and that's some of his nuns.
What
But
up?
I mean, like if I cast like an Exorcist movie,
Mhm.
You're a
he
cutie.
would be amazing casting.
You're
I
cute.
think you guys have the same
You're a
book.
cutie.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that special Bible he has does look like our book of stories here.
It does. It does.
You're the
Another
cutest
shot
cutie.
of
You're the
of
cutest
monk
cutie.
and his nuns in court.
You're the cutest.
Did you also change
Recently.
your
And
description
dude,
for
wearing
your
that fur vest.
for
I
your
know.
stream?
Okay, now
Yes,
is it
I did.
possible that he is
Okay,
dyeing
just
his
double
beard?
checking.
That is such a specific color.
It might be, but I will say a lot of guys, myself included, will have like no red tints at all in their hair
I know,
and have a little bit in their beard. Like even I have some in my beard.
but that is.
I know, but he has red hair, and then his beard is like it is something like he would.
he
and, like,
belongs in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Like he just stepped off the set.
And these pictures are on our Instagram and Facebook. If you're new to the show, yeah, at Scared to Death podcast. But yeah, it's like he would
He's a
scare me
wildling.
into.
He's a wildling.
He's a wildling
That's
from
what
Game
he
of
is.
Thrones.
That's it.
He's the head wildling.
Yes, or maybe the assistant to that guy because he looks a little bit smaller than the big guy.
True. He's that guy's.
At
little brother.
first, didn't enjoy it because combat
and then
felt
this
too
last
hard.
pic, it says,
But then
this is,
turn-based
Father
mode
Daniel
on, and
Correggiano
it felt
was fighting
much more
Satan, so I wanna
natural
get
and
a
better.
pic of Satan
Yeah.
there.
No,
Nice.
And Joe,
turn-based
you can zoom in
turn-based
on any
mode
part
is
of
how that
Satan,
game is supposed to be
that you see
played.
fit.
I don't know why they have
always
the other
forget how
version of
endowed
that.
Satan is.
Thank you so much.
He's a powerful adversary.
Uh-huh.
It's been a while since we saw that picture.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, we've seen that before.
You can really
Mhm.
fuck
You don't
yourself
remember?
over with
Yeah.
the
Your
with the
memory?
freeform
Thankfully,
combat.
no.
I
You don't
don't
think about that in
understand why
10
they have
moments?
that in that game.
No, lucky for you.
That's not your fantasy?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever.
Your shock value has worn off, my friend.
I know. I waited a while too. I don't know. I just took it so far that I don't know how to go further.
Well, that's the thing. You don't. You like find the okay, like what is maybe something that will kind of shock her, but also make her think like, wait, is that real? Could that possibly fit in? You have to build back up again.
I know. It's real tricky.
I know. I'm a tough cookie.
Do you have any more to say about this story, or do you want to move on?
No. I mean, it was just really fascinating that the trial. I did not see that coming. You know, I didn't even think of that as
for many years.
Yeah, well, I didn't even think of it as an option that he could be tried for murder. When she was a willing participant.
I wish I had a picture of him once he got out of prison. I would love it in some weird world of like this happened a little while ago. He got out of prison, went into acting, and he is the wildling from Game of Thrones.
That's
and now he's that guy.
Great.
What a great backstory for that character.
Kind of.
Okay. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, just like I wonder if in other instances of exorcisms where the person being exorcised has then passed away soon thereafter, like.
Alrighty.
Are there other instances of priests being locked up for?
There's been other people charged. I can't, off the top of my head, think if they actually were convicted and also went to prison, but they've definitely gone to trial.
Yeah, so it's just so fascinating because to me, it's like, I mean, it sounds like her family thought, or her brother thought that she was possessed. So I mean, who's bringing forth the charges? The state. Oh. Because, let's forget about them. I'm like, well, if the brother doesn't want to press charges, we can all just move on with our lives.
That's a funny thought to think that that's how the legal system could work, where it's like, people find
they really have to waste a bullet doing this?
Somebody has been clearly murdered, and the other person's covered in blood, and they're like, well, is anyone going to press charges? And then the person who's covered in blood's like, no, I'm not going to press charges. And then they just like talk to family members. Anybody else want to press charges? And they're like, no, we're scared of that guy, and we're not going to. Well, I guess we have no crime then.
That would be great.
The mafia and Blaze would have loved that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and that the nuns went to prison. I'm really like hung up on that particular part of it. I mean, the whole thing is weird and scary, and in the fact that I love that they reopened the case and figured out.
Okay, are you gonna let me through now?
You know what's a crazy detail that I didn't include in this story? Because there were some, like almost like court kind of details that weren't relevant.
Sure.
But as you're talking about, what was crazy is they still held services like while the week she was bound.
Also,
and she was taken into
notice Marvel's Zombie Side
and like basically put on this cross.
Kickstarter trying to decide if I want to take it back or not.
Like, okay. When her mouth was, like gagged when she was gagged.
Yeah.
It was to keep her quiet during services. So how wild is that? That there were congregants coming in for mass.
I mean,
and there's
if you want to take it back, you can.
Woman tied to a crucifix who is trying to scream.
I missed the part that she was.
I don't know what they zombified.
Yeah, she's put on a cross. So,
did you
I don't know what you mean by that.
Did I zone out?
I think I did.
I know that you said that she was bound, but I didn't know that she was bound to a crucifix.
Yeah, like to a cross. So she was, like when she was
That's
brought.
such a bigger, much more intense image in my brain.
Right.
Wow.
If I didn't now, after a few days, chaining her to a cross.
Oh man, sorry, I must have I get hung up on some of the other details as you're telling the story, but that's crazy because I went to Catholic mass.
Imagine that you're going to a mass
18 years every Sunday,
and in the corner behind the father is a young lady, chained to a cross, cursing and screaming through a gag. And then I guess he's just like, don't mind her. We're trying to get the devil out. Just focus on the scripture.
Two things would have happened to me. I would have prayed really hard, like really, really hard. And also, I would have kept myself in line.
Yeah.
That is scary because even if you know the supposed context that, she's possessed and what we're doing is right and we're helping her, I'm still like, oh, okay.
It looks like you're going to the shadow realm.
Hey, Hart.
Have fun.
Also,
hope you're doing well, Hart.
That'd be wild. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go sleep. Okay, Fluff. You have a nice night.
Yeah, Fluff. Go to bed.
Yeah, when they had a little bit more power.
Rest, Fluff.
It's scary on a lot of levels.
You ready to head to Cleveland?
Oh, am I? I'm always happy to go to Cleveland.
How are you, Hart?
A little bit of
by the way, Hart asked, how are you?
Just to get started. I'm so happy. Just a first person account.
Oh, I'm doing all right.
For the most part. Anonymous. Doesn't give her name, but gives some details about where she lived. I was so happy when I bought that little house.
Sitting here playing Vampire the Masquerade, having
Garfield
some
Heights
fun.
back in 2006.
He's just having his little fun.
Square feet, and I got it for $45,000.
What?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was hung up on that for a second, and I did some real estate research. Absolutely in line.
Wow. And that wasn't like that wasn't an abnormality.
No, back in 2006, you could get houses left and right for $30,000. Not kidding. And not like shacks, and not just all beat to hell.
Goody.
Okay. Well, I guess we missed that.
Sure, it needed some work, but I liked the neighborhood. I'd grown up in nearby Cleveland on the edge of Shaker Heights, and had an aunt and uncle and some cousins who lived not far from this house.
It's 8 a.m. Oh
My
no.
cousins lived within a few blocks.
It's basically Marble Zombies, but in board game style. I like painting miniatures, and they have pretty impressive figures made for it already. Oh, okay.
And I'd done it with 3 years to spare.
Hon. Kevin.
I didn't think I'd be buying it alone, but
all the love.
I'd broken things off with my fiance the year before, and while it was rough, we dated for 6 years. I was in a great place emotionally when I moved in. I was dating a bit, nothing serious, and I felt good about life in general, really. I say all this to let anyone reading this know that I was not in some rough emotional place when all this happened. I wasn't struggling with my mental health or with drugs or with anything. And the only paranormal experience I'd ever had before was at a sleepover when I was 12, when 2 of my friends and I convinced ourselves that we heard a ghost walking up and down the stairs at night. That, in hindsight, was probably just Amy's dad getting a middle of the night snack or going to the bathroom. I wasn't reading scary books, watching horror movies, or anything. I'd never even watched any of the ghost hunting shows on cable at that time. This whole experience came out of nowhere. It started right after I moved in the very first night.
Oh, man.
Time now for the tale
very
of hiding
first
in the
night.
closet. After a long day of unpacking
Nix,
boxes and
if
lifting stuff
if
up on the
Ghost
second floor,
starts
where my room was,
activity
I was
the
exhausted.
very
It
first
was a
night,
Saturday.
I think it's
My
done.
friends and Pam,
I
one of
think
my
we need to
cousins,
leave
would help me out in
immediately.
exchange for pizza and some beer.
How do you
And
figure?
around midnight,
Now,
after having
if
one last
a
slice and
ghost
some
starts
Advil for some
shit
sore muscles
at the
I knew
very
I'd have the
first
next
night,
day,
that's
I tore
there.
off most of
It's
my
just
clothes,
gonna
collapsed
escalate.
onto my bed, and was out cold in
True.
probably a minute of my head
It's
hitting the
just
pillow.
gonna get worse.
Next thing I know, I'm waking up a few hours later around 4 in the morning.
True.
I woke up startled by something
But that's
touching
not
my
the
bare
point.
leg. It was summer.
But if it's
the house had
like,
no AC,
if it's
and I was
like,
sleeping on top of my blankets with the window
immediate,
open.
like,
And when I looked half awake towards the foot of my bed, I saw a
like,
small shadow
oh man, let me change the
jump
light
off
bulb.
onto the floor.
Smash.
And then it landed.
Face of a dead
Soft,
woman.
but I heard
No,
it.
you know what?
And
I'm
then I heard
done.
what sounded like the faintest of footsteps moving towards the
Wow.
open closet door.
Okay.
What?
And then that door
You
slammed
wouldn't?
shut.
You would be?
And
You'd
now I was
be
really
there?
awake. That was
I'd
the
be
first time
using
I'd
sea
ever felt
salt.
scared
I'd be
in any
smudging the
bedroom.
I don't
pillows,
believe in
I'd be
it.
calling
Now
an
I figured that I was
exorcist.
No.
My friends had asked me earlier
Sounds
in the
like
day if I was nervous
BS.
at all about being a young woman living
They won't
alone.
be
I was
there.
not lying when I told them that it really didn't bother
They'll
me.
probably be there in a
BS to
week or
you. Sounds
two.
like a good
So
time
new
for
to the
me.
house. I didn't have a lamp set up yet, and this was my
I mean, if
this was so many years ago. My flip phone cell
I
phone
mean, if
didn't
you
have
want to date the
flashlights.
ghost, you
Oh,
can
I
date
wanna
the
Check in the
ghost.
closet. I'd first have to get out of bed, walk
Who
over
says
to
I
the
wanna
wall
date
by
the
the door
ghost?
to the bedroom to turn the light on.
Because
So
I
slowly
ain't
swung
living
my
with
legs
them.
onto the floor, heart pounding, never taking my eyes off the closet door.
Oh my god,
And as
it's not going to be
quietly as I
that
could,
bad.
I crept over to the bedroom door.
I
I'll be
mean,
right back. I have to
flipped
use
on
the
a light switch,
restroom.
and just stood there and listened for a bit.
We'll
You
continue
said-
this in just a moment. I have to use the restroom.
I want a ghost
breathing.
friend. I said a
I remembered
friend.
I had a flashlight downstairs, but now I was too
I
scared
said
to walk
no.
down there and get it. I slowly walked over to the
How
closet,
about I said
grabbed the door
no?
handle, steeled myself for a few moments before flinging it open while jumping back, expecting to see some boogeyman. I didn't see anything. Nothing but empty shelves. Satisfied there was nothing
It
in there,
will
and that
only
maybe I'd
get
imagined the whole
worse
thing,
with ghosts.
somehow hoping I had, even though that didn't make any sense. Now I went downstairs and found that flashlight. I brought it back up, looked in that closet one more time, was glad the bedroom door had a lock, did lock the bedroom door, tried to fall back asleep. After 10 or 20 minutes or so, I did fall asleep, was up the next morning by 8. My cousin Pam was coming back at 9. She was going to help me put stuff away before we went out to dinner to celebrate. Pam asked me how my first night in the new house went, and I told her about my crazy middle-of-the-night fright, and she had a good laugh. She does not believe in any of this stuff. She thought it was just some crazy lucid dream I had, probably brought on by my fear and stress over living on my own. I'd always had roommates or a boyfriend or my fiance before. I told myself that maybe she was right, and when she teased me and asked if I needed to have a sleepover with her that night, like we did back when we were kids, I told her no. But if she would have pushed, I would have taken her up on it. I was worried about being alone again that night. Neither one of us heard anything unusual that day, and then that night
Look,
we went
Art,
to Cozumel.
I'm
one of my
just
favorite
saying.
Mexican restaurants. They
Oh,
have
you
the
mean Nick's
best
dating the
margaritas and
ghost?
fajitas.
Yeah.
I'm back.
And I was good and tired by the time we
I'm
called it a night.
100% sure that
Pam went home,
if we got a new house,
I had a worse feeling of dread
and immediately
walking in the front door,
it was
even though I
haunted,
intentionally left the lights on.
I would be like,
expected to
I'm
see
gone.
something
And
running
then
across
you're
the
like,
floor,
no,
maybe
no, no,
towards
no,
me.
I'll stay. Okay.
No,
Well, you
the house seemed empty,
can. I ain't gonna be here.
Soon I was
So
settled
you
into
can
bed
date the
again. After
ghost.
checking out that closet,
Because I ain't here.
In the day as well, both agreed it was totally empty. I made sure the bedroom door was locked.
I'm gone.
Sheet over my legs this time, even though it was still
No
hot.
real.
Soon,
I know what
exhausted
happens
again
in
after another long day,
Phasmo.
I was asleep.
I believe in science and
I dreamt sick. So sick.
and faith.
Okay.
And I was scared.
So when the ghost starts haunting us,
it was the same house in the stream. Many years ago, but the same house. Same
And if
room,
science and faith cannot solve the problem,
my mom took my temperature.
we were boned to begin with.
Believe that.
If science and faith cannot solve the
I wanted
problem,
her to stay with me, but she didn't. She left.
then we can get a motel and move out.
My eyes were drawn to the closet door, and a minute or so after.
I don't think we're gonna live that long.
Options first.
I knew it would.
I don't think we're gonna live that long.
Some little shadowy, horrible thing. And it walked over to the foot of my bed, pulled itself up the blankets until it was on the bed with me. Then it was crawling over my feet.
At your convenience, please come and visit me in my home downtown. I leave you this to guide you.
And it kept crawling until it was at the base of my neck. Now I looked, I saw a doll. A
Such
small,
power I sense in one so
horrible doll.
young. Come
And it was
find
doing
me
something to me.
where
It was hurting.
Dolls.
I had a hard time breathing. I couldn't breathe at all now.
Okay.
It was taking my breath from me. I needed to scream for
Good for
help.
you.
I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I was dying.
Password sunrise.
I tried again with everything I had, and now I did let loose a scream. A scream that seemed to push that thing away from me. It scurried back towards the end of my bed and jumped off, and then the scream in my dream became a scream in real life. I woke up with it, bolting up in bed, short of breath, like something had been choking me, and then I caught a blur of motion in the corner of my eye, and I heard a door slam. The closet door. What are you? I screamed suddenly. I was so afraid, so confused, angry. I grabbed my flashlight, turned on the bedside lamp I set up that
this
day,
is from
hopped out of bed,
LaCroix.
ran over to the light switch, flipped it on. I stormed directly over to the closet, flung it open, nothing again.
Contact you when you
I grabbed my pillow and blanket and went downstairs to find the couch.
Waste no
I was
time
done
in
with that
meeting
room
with
for at
him.
least the night. It was about 5 in the morning. I had to be up at 6 for work anyway, so I just stayed awake. I worked a long day, thoughts never wandering too far from that closet, and then hated that I dreaded coming home to the new place I had just been so excited. I grabbed dinner with a few
Spam mail, penis enlargement. Next.
Then finally went to go face my fears.
Use your Phasmo experience to get rid of them. No.
I had just bought the guest bedroom.
But you know what? There needs to be a doll in the new Phasmo. There needs to be a doll.
I still wanted to believe that there was
that'll be a good one.
Explanation for everything. Maybe I was
no, not a voodoo doll, but like a one of those dolls with a little string.
And I fell asleep watching Meet the Fockers, I think.
Get that. Get one of the ghosts to respond to that. That'd be good.
I did have something terrible happen. I woke up to feeling something in bed with me again. This time I threw myself out of bed. I quickly turned the light, looked toward the closet door to see it shut. It didn't really slam, it had only been open a few inches because I had blocked the door with that other little nightstand.
Come on over to my place once
the nightstand I put in
It's been so long. I know. It's so
I was finally more pissed and scared.
very
I
long.
slid the nightstand completely away from me. I knew it would look empty again, but this
Hope
time
you're doing
I knew it
well.
looked like a little crack in the corner in the wall. Between the second and third shelves.
I should be back by the time you come over.
I pushed on the wall by this crack.
I'm at 24 hour or 24 hour. I'm at 24 Main Street.
Hope you're doing good.
Acting on a gut feeling, I hurried down the stairs, grabbed a screwdriver from downstairs, brought it back up, wedged the tip into the crack, pulled, and a big rectangle of
that could be the test for the twins. Ooh.
The edge of the door jamb and the back wall.
Yeah, it could be a test for the twins. That would be great. That if it possesses a doll. Oh, that would be so good.
And behind it,
if it possesses the doll, that's that's one of the answers.
It was mine. I didn't even know it was missing. That scared the shit out of me. But what was way scarier was the doll. Next to the earrings was a very old, creepy-looking little doll with blonde hair under a scarf on
Oh,
her head.
I'd love that. If
face,
I should send that into Phasmo. See if they accept that as one. I'd be fine with it.
I grabbed it and I ran downstairs, waiting at any second for that thing to start trying to free itself, run up my arm and attack me. I hated the way it felt. It felt cold, way too cold for how hot it was outside.
Hope you're doing well, Marsupi. We're just listening to a spooky story.
This thing out of my life
while hanging out with the Knicks.
It was a housewarming gift my friends had given me. An old charcoal grill for warm summer nights. They'd even brought a bag of charcoal and a box
How's everything been, Marsupi?
I didn't need the charcoal, but now I had use for that fluid. I don't smoke anymore now, but that night I was so glad I smoked back then. There was always a lighter or matches nearby. I grabbed a book of matches from a drawer in the kitchen, headed outside into the backyard in my pajamas, walked over to the grill and threw the doll in it. And as fast as I could, I doused it with some lighter fluid, flicked a match on it, and watched it burn. And I swear to God, it started to shake as it burned. I heard that thing squeal. I will never forget that sound. I poured more lighter fluid on it. It squealed more, kept shaking, and it started to roll back and forth like it was trying to put itself out or maybe get up. Finally, it stopped when the damn thing had disintegrated. Doing some research later, I found out that dolls like that were filled with sawdust. No wonder that thing burned up so quick. By the time I was done, I must have used almost a whole container of that lighter fluid. There was nothing left but a melted face and some ash.
Well, that's all
I threw the face. I feel bad, but it's what I did. Into a neighbor's trash can. I dumped the ash out into a corner of the yard. I was terrified. I just pissed off some dark force to set something free, but maybe I destroyed whatever that thing was.
Baffled.
I got rid of all the earrings from that hiding place, even hired some spiritualist or medium or something to sage and cleanse my house. I had that piece of wall redone, sealed, had it salted. I had a pastor come over and bless the house too. I'm not even religious, but I just wanted to cover all my bases. And it seemed like it worked.
Interesting shit in here.
I lived in that house for another 10
I'm
years.
good. Just gonna draw. Okay, Marsupi. I love the spookies. We love the spookies too. Yeah, show us what you draw.
She said that several decades before I moved in, she heard that a little girl about 9 or 10 years old died in that house.
Oh my God.
She got what her mom thought was the flu. Seemed like it wasn't that bad, and then she died in her sleep. And she wasn't sure if she was remembering correctly or not, but maybe someone else had died in their sleep in that house years before. That was the rumor in the neighborhood at one time. I immediately thought of my dream, all the earrings in that hidden spot by the doll, and I knew that rumor was true. Whatever that living doll was, it killed someone, maybe a few people, and I think it tried to kill me too. Sleep tight, everyone. Might want to check your walls, make sure nothing is hiding in any of them.
Holy Hades. That was so good.
Yeek.
That was so good.
Sorry, I had a little oat milk. Got in my throat for part of that, but yeah,
I couldn't tell.
That one, that one really creeped me out. And and she did include a picture. This is not obviously like she burnt the shit out of it.
Right.
But she, went online, I guess, later before she posted the story, found a doll that she thought looked very similar to the doll that she found. Randomly, the picture of this doll, I guess it was a composition made in the 1930s and made in Poland.
Oh, wow.
So I think this is
that was delicious.
like a Polish
human flesh.
Just dressed in like Polish traditional
garb.
Delicious flesh.
Yeah. Or blonde hair,
well,
or green and
I got rejected 3 times in a row. Well, Monster Prom is just that kind of game.
I will say this next thing has nothing to do with this story, but it's another doll one. This is so creepy. I was
just don't think about it.
Got me thinking about creepy dolls.
I think I've successfully courted
and then
Damien
these things came up, and they're called reborn dolls.
I'm sorry, what is that?
Because he is a bitch to try
dolls become popular among parents who are looking to prepare toddlers for a new brother or sister. So it's supposed to look like a real little kid.
The one on the left is particular. The boy.
God.
Oh my God.
Those are terrifying. I would be so scared of that if I was a little kid.
Yeah, that's not going to help me. And when my real life brother or sister shows up, I'm not really going to be so happy about that. It's going to freak me out.
To me, that epitomizes that uncanny valley effect, where it's like, you get close to human, but not quite, and it is terrifying.
Terrifying. I'm done looking at that.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay. What a crazy, crazy, crazy story.
I hope it's not true.
Or
I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
Just for my own peace of mind.
Well,
I hate creepy dolls.
Oh yes, of course.
Welcome in.
How brave of her. Where she was
welcome in. Faulty toilets. Hey, Paul. Will I find? I agree. Nightbot. Mightbot.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I'm flying the airplane out of there.
Goodness gracious.
Okay.
You okay,
I mean,
big
who knows
boy?
how people okay? Like, let's say this is all true.
Yeah, I'm all
You're
right
in this
so far.
situation.
Mhm.
That
Okay.
would be the best thing to do. I don't know if I would have.
You know me, I'm
courage
always
in the moment
worried
to do
about you.
it.
Right. That's some serious foresight.
but if you don't do it, then I think about this.
I just
scenario.
worry.
You just bought this house. You barely saved up enough to get this house. You leave. You come back. What if that fucking thing is gone? And now it's not in the little hiding spot.
Right. Where is it?
Where
Scurrying
is
around
it?
your house.
I would not. I mean, that is something we talked about. Like, get the fuck out. I know I got the chills. If I just saw some like
Makes you
little
feel any
apparition
better.
or
I'm always
something,
worried about me.
maybe I could deal with that.
Mm,
But a
I worry about
tangible
you because
thing
I just
and the
worry
door
about
slamming
you.
so it can like affect the physical world.
You're
I'm
just a
done.
cutie.
That's my get the fuck out. If that thing is just gone somewhere in the house, we do our best to find it.
Discipline's not
The
allowed
next
in
day, when
this
it's light
area.
out with some
Yeah.
friends,
Lots of light.
and if that thing can't be found, then I'm crashing on somebody's couch while my new house sits empty.
What really sent me over the edge was the earring.
That sounds like a you
Oh, yeah,
problem,
that's
not a
weird.
me
The doll
problem.
had taken her earring.
Looks like you got your
the
ass
spirit
kicked
attached
too.
to the doll. And like the dream that she was having, that was like what I started to write down, was that like in the terrible dream that she's having,
Yeah.
where she's a sick kid and a mom, not her mom, is caring for her. It was clearly like I was having this thought that like the little spirity thing was maybe trying to help her
Yeah.
and save her, because maybe the doll is possessed and there's something nefarious attached to the doll, but then also maybe the little girl that died in the house from the flu, like maybe
Mhm.
she was trying to help her. So like she was giving this new person, this woman, her dream, a dream that like showed her what happened to her.
Oh,
Dating is
Find
overrated
the doll
anyway.
and kill the doll and get rid of it.
See you
Do you see
around,
what I'm saying? Is
Fluffy.
that making
Rest
sense?
well,
That makes total sense.
Fluff.
I did
Yeah,
not think
get
of
some
that at
rest,
all.
Fluff.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Go
Yeah,
get
it's
some
like
sleepy
save yourself.
sloth.
This is what happened to me.
No,
yeah,
don't cry
like, as
yourself to
opposed this
sleep.
Force
Just get
messing with
sleep.
her. That makes more sense.
Don't cry
Yeah,
yourself
That's
to
where
sleep.
I thought with the story, I was like that somehow
Just
the
enjoy
doll
good
manifested
sleep.
itself in this dream.
And
That actually doesn't make
Marzipan,
any
if
sense.
you've
Like, why
got
would it
something
want
to
tip its
draw,
hand?
show it to us.
Right.
We want to
right.
see it.
I don't know, but that makes more sense.
Also,
There's
if you're
like a
in the
little monster.
Discord,
Yeah, like the doll has an evil
Show it.
attachment, and that's
wanna
one
see it.
thing.
Mhm.
And that evil attachment to the doll already probably existed, and this little girl that died all these years ago, that was probably
Oh,
a toy
that's
doll
a
that already
yeah, you're
had
on the
an evil
Discord. Yeah,
attachment.
show
And
it.
so I feel like the little
Show
girl
us
was coming
sometimes.
to
We'd
have one of
love
these
to
dreams
see
say
it.
like, get out, or here's where the doll is, or let me help you.
Right.
I'm trying to find the good in things.
Okay, that's
you know,
good.
I'm like
That's good.
I'm working on positive spits.
Good. Well done.
Because, you know, I was just talking about the Denver Spider-Man the other day. You remember that story?
Mm-hmm. That is such a that's one of the creepiest stories
Like,
for me too. Just because
Okay.
it's
What
definitely
happened?
part of it is definitely real.
Right.
A weird, creepy dude definitely hid in someone's attic and definitely killed someone.
Oh, guy got his ass kicked trying to
every
deal
time
drugs.
I hear like noise in
man.
our attic.
Don't
I
deal
kinda, like, go to
drugs,
that
guys.
place, but I'm
Guys,
feeling really
deal
good about it right
drugs.
now because we had to have some work done on our roof from the inside out,
Oh, yeah.
and so a couple of guys went up like in the crawl space, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
before they
I
went up
forgot
there, I was like, "Hey, so do you guys know the
Okay,
story of the
that's
Denver
not my
Spider-Man?"
problem.
Oh, you told him that?
I sure did.
Funny.
And one of the guys was like, "What?" I'm like, "Have fun up there."
Now one of those guys is probably hiding up there. Where are those guys at?
I watched them leave.
Okay.
I mean, it's like tiny space up there, lots of old insulation. I think you die of asbestos before before you could harm me. But they were like all clear, but then they couldn't stop talking about it.
Oh yeah, it's such a weird phenomenon.
I know, but I feel good. I feel good
Okay,
about
good.
like, oh, okay, well, the sounds that I've been hearing in our house is like actually just settling sounds or a spirit, but definitely not the Denver Spider-Man. So, you know, process of elimination.
Okay.
Are you ready to go to Cuba?
I'm ready.
Is your friend coming with us?
Yeah, Layla's gonna come along. She'll tag along.
Okay. All right. Well, off to Cuba we go. This is like a really, I think, a very unique story. I think that the fan who sent this story in, she does a really good job of taking us back to her childhood and explaining some historical background and where she was. And excuse me, I was fine until it was my turn to talk. And now I'm just going to like burp it up.
That is the
Why
weird.
does that happen?
It is the weirdest thing. I mean, it's some kind of psychological thing. But I probably said it on this show, but if I have, it's been a long time. But you know, maybe a lot of listeners don't even know this, but a long time ago, I hosted this weird show on the Playboy channel.
Yeah.
But I remember Andrea, my co-host.
Yeah.
And she had
Great.
co-hosted versions
Now
of
I
that
have to
show for
clean up
many
your
years, had a
mess,
lot of experience.
dumbass.
And
Oh,
she
yeah, we
was
did
like,
talk about this.
yep,
Yeah.
she was really polished, really professional on mic. Every single episode, she would do her best to get all her burps out the 30 seconds before the mics would be turned on.
Yeah.
And always had some. It's just like, I don't know, your body, it just does something where it's like, oh, you're going to talk now? Well, now you have to deal with some weird air.
I know, it's so bizarre.
And if it's a conversational, like with friends,
No,
I don't
nothing.
think that happens.
You could have
But it's
taken
when you're like,
vodka.
I must perform now.
I know, I've like
weird.
straw, no straw, because they say drink
I
with
doubt
straw,
that.
and extra air. It can create like gas bubbles in your stomach. I
Eat
don't know.
potato chips before. There's all these like weird tricks that'll work sometimes.
Listen,
but
I'll
I
eat
don't know.
potato chips just because, right? But anyways, so I thought she does a really good job of taking us. She goes on a trip with her family for her 12th birthday, and she gets to go on this horseback riding adventure.
Goddamn mask.
And
Get
she
my hands dirty.
stumbles
How
upon something
dare
that she
you?
doesn't know what it is, and it turns out like maybe she has messed with like a Santeria.
Well,
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it just like goes to show like I don't know, trust your gut on things. I think. So, anyways, and we've never been to Cuba. I mean, in this show, I think we've been to Cuba, but in real life, we've never been to Cuba.
No, it was very hard to get there for a long time.
I know.
And I don't know what it's been during the pandemic, but I don't know. Our friend Jamie, she's been to Cuba, and she said it was so beautiful.
Todd and Maddie have been there. Yeah, so beautiful, but like such a. There's just so much tragedy in Cuba's history.
Yeah, a lot of poverty, a lot of. Yeah, as
sadness.
People, bad magicians know who listen to other shows. I'm not a huge fan of communism at all,
what?
And
what do you mean?
that's one of the examples of like the human rights atrocities. And a lot of it will never make like public record, but there's these like you can find these articles on people who were there, and there was some guy from Milwaukee. It's so random. He was like an ex-military guy who ended up going down to Cuba and became one of their executioners. It was like a big Rolling Stone article, I believe, and so terrifying. But like every day he was killing people.
Wow.
And their crimes were basically like, I don't like communism. And it was like, well, all right, you're next.
Get firing squad. Yeah. Well, but I like to bring that up as like there's a lot of death and destruction in Cuba.
Yep.
So when we're thinking of it from the paranormal side, like it would lead us to believe that there would be a lot of activity there because there's been a lot of death there.
God, yeah. Fanboy.
Right? All right, well, let's dive in. Hello, Dan and Lindsay. I'm fairly new to the podcast and loving every swoop.
Oh, thanks.
I've never shared this story with anyone other than my family and my husband, and never felt safe to do so. I don't know about you, but I don't particularly care for being called crazy for having experienced something scary and inexplicable. But you guys have created such an incredible space here that it gave me the confidence to write it down. So here we go. I grew up in a small town about 30 minutes from the Viñales Valley, located in the province of Pinar del Rio, Cuba. The Viñales Valley is a karstic depression formed by round-shaped hills called magotes that date back to prehistoric times. This valley is famous for the award-winning tobacco that it has been producing for centuries. Unfortunately, rich tobacco fields brought as much prosperity for the plantation owners as it brought misery and death to the thousands of African slaves that were shipped to the region in the 19th century. The caves and rock formations within these hills provided refuge to runaway slaves and a safe place where they could practice Santeria, a religion that has its roots in Yoruba African culture. Santeria religious practices include physical offerings such as candy, fruits, and baked goods, animal sacrifices of local farm animals, and rituals where practitioners would dress in white for a whole year or even sometimes their whole life. You can find worship places and sacrifice altars all over the valley as they have been well preserved by local religious groups. Today, the valley is a hub for tourism, and luxurious hotels stand on the same grounds where plantations, barracks, and slave graveyards used to be. I've given you all these details because understanding this place is key to the story I'm sharing with you today. The year was 2002. I was a few weeks shy of turning 12, and my family decided to take a 4-day trip to the Viñales Valley to celebrate my birthday. We stayed at Los Jazzins,
What's up?
a 3-story hotel that overlooked the most picturesque part of the valley.
This guy named
On our second day of our stay, my mom surprised me with a horseback riding tour. Turns out the guy was a classmate of hers, and he had a last-minute cancellation, which meant I could go free of charge. I sprinted to our hotel room, put on some jeans, a long-sleeve shirt, and a trucker hat. I had always enjoyed horseback riding, and I was pretty good at it, so I was beyond excited. The group lined up by the entrance of the hotel around noon, waiting for Pablo, my mom's friend and guide, to bring the horses. He helped each wide-eyed tourist to saddle up, explaining how to maneuver the horse in a barely understandable version of English. "Rosita, are you good?" he said to me while giving me a thumbs up. I nodded and hopped on the horse. His name was Pinto. We slowly set off towards a main trail surrounded by tobacco fields and a few shacks. Most tourists were taking photos, while the rest were actively listening to Pablo talk about the local history. Unfortunately, I was not really interested in a guided tour. I thought we were going to go horseback riding. I signaled Pablo to come see me at the back of the line with hopes that we could work something out. Do you think I could ride on my own for a bit? This is so boring, I said, and he laughed. Sure, Rosita, he said, smiling. Just make sure you don't go too far.
Don't know why I needed to do that, but here I am.
Pinto will take you straight back to the hotel. He's been doing this for years. He knows the way. You just gotta tell him, though, he added. Tell him, hotel, and pat his neck a few times. I nodded. It was simple enough. He smacked Pinto's behind and told me to enjoy with a joyous grin. I started riding in the opposite direction from the group, picking up speed a little at a time. I was having a blast. After a while, the tobacco fields were gone and the trail became increasingly narrow, now surrounded by hills on both sides. Pinto slowed down on my command. I could see smaller trails behind the closest tree lines. That's when I spotted some weird stones to my right, and they caught my attention. I steered Pinto into that direction. The closer we got, I could see them better. It looked like a table, a few smaller rocks as legs, and one large stone as the top. I wondered if people had maybe used them to roll tobacco leaves. Once we were a few feet from the rocks, Pinto came to a halt, then backed off a few steps. I tapped his belly and said, "Go," a few times, but he just wouldn't move. I thought there might be an animal around that he could sense that I couldn't see.
Why I'm
just
doing
as I
any
was
of
about to
this
turn
right
back,
now.
he began moving forward
Who
again.
knows?
We continued deeper in the trail.
Who knows?
I saw another group of stones similar to the ones from before,
Nobody
and once
knows.
again, Pinto stopped just a few feet away and backed off a few steps. I said, "Go, go," repeatedly, but he wouldn't move. I looked around. The trees and bushes were eerily still. I glanced at the stones once again, up and down, and then I saw it. There was something shiny underneath them. I squinted as hard as I could, trying to distinguish its shape. I didn't want to get off the horse, but I was pretty curious about what I saw, and so I did. I walked to it, still holding the reins in one hand. It was a broken glass bowl. Next to it lay a peeled coconut with a smiley face painted on it in some kind of worn-out red paint, some scattered glass pieces, and a piece of torn white cloth. I could see something else sticking out from under the cloth. I lifted it, and my stomach turned. Ugh! There were maggots squirming their way around some fish bones and a tangled up necklace made of tiny white and blue beads. Without a second thought, I grabbed the necklace and shook it over and over while stepping back. Pinto neighed and stomped the ground with his front legs. I had completely forgotten that I was still holding the reins with my other hand. I must have scared him. I looked at the now maggot-free necklace. It was pretty cute. I remember my dumb 12-year-old self thinking that maybe the white beads were real pearls or something. And since there was no one around to claim it, I put it in my pocket. Little did I know that I had taken far more than a necklace with me. I saddled up once again, patted Pinto's neck a few times, and said, "Hotel." We got back to the main trail, heading towards the tobacco fields, leaving the stones behind with every step. Pinto was walking slowly.
So this is looking pretty good.
My mind was too
And
busy thinking
now,
about the weirdly painted coconut, the necklace, and the
I just need to start
I kept
working
touching
on
my
this,
pocket,
and
making
then
sure I
I
could feel the
just need
beads.
to. I
Then,
like that.
out of the corner of my eye, I saw something move, and my heart skipped a beat. I turned my head and I saw a dark-skinned girl, probably about my age, dressed in white, walking alongside the main trail. I looked her way for a few seconds, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking forward, expressionless. I turned my back around, thinking that it was weird that I hadn't seen her before. There was nothing around us but tobacco fields, and the closest house was over a mile away. But I knew I had been distracted, so maybe I just was not paying too much attention to my surroundings. A few minutes passed, and I checked again. She was still there, walking, looking forward. It was weird, but I swear I couldn't hear any sound coming from her steps. I started to get a little bit freaked out, so I patted Pinto's belly a few times, and he picked up the pace. I didn't look back right away, but when I did, the girl was gone. I looked around to the other side of the trail and saw some kind of shack out in the distance. Could she have run all the way there without me hearing or seeing? I thought maybe she lay down in the tobacco plants, but who would do that? It really bothered me. Was she trying to scare me on purpose? And then I looked forward and chills ran down my spine. I saw the girl walking on the same side of the trail, but this time she was ahead of us and walking towards us. She was looking straight at me with a blank, almost lifeless expression. It scared the hell out of me. There was no way she could have gotten ahead of us. I would have seen her sprinting forward. And while she was staring at me, all creepy, I said, "Hey!" And a wicked grin stretched across her face. I felt a burning sensation inside my pocket where the necklace was. My heart was racing, and my body was paralyzed with fear. My eyes fixated on her grinning face, and then she vanished. I shook my head and held onto the tight reins and smacked Pinto's behind, yelling, "Go, go, go, hotel!" This time he really picked up the pace, and we rode fast. I never looked back
thank
again.
you.
By the time we got to the hotel, my legs were sore and my hands were burning from holding on so tight. I saw Pablo waiting for me atop the hill. He asked me what had taken so long, but I just handed him the reins and loudly thanked him as I ran up the hotel stairs. I finally took a deep breath as I walked through the door to our hotel room. My brother was watching TV, and my mom and dad were on the balcony watching the sunset. I walked outside, and immediately my mom asked me what had happened because my face looked so pale. I told them how I rode off by myself and found these stones, the weird coconut, the necklace, and the weird girl dressed in white that disappeared. They all stared at me, including my brother who had joined us for story time. My dad chuckled and said that the kid was probably bored and just playing a prank on me. But my mom didn't laugh. She asked me very seriously if I had touched anything. I hesitated in showing her the necklace, but I did. When she saw it, her face lost all color, and an extremely concerned look took over her face. She smacked the necklace from my hands and hurried to the bathroom to grab a towel. She picked the necklace up and asked me if I had tried it on.
Go back to the apartments, use the key card, find
She made me swear that I had not put this thing around my neck, and so I did. She then grabbed a black eyeliner pencil from her makeup bag and drew a black cross on the back of my neck. "Make sure you don't scrub this off when you're taking a shower," she said. Then she took the towel with the necklace inside and left the room, slamming the door behind her. I didn't see her again until dinner. She was waiting for us at the hotel's dining room. She seemed calm.
I'm listening to Scared to Death podcast
I mean, was she mad at me that
while
I stole
waiting
it?
for
It was
my thing
abandoned.
to load.
She held up her index finger and I shut up.
Okay.
After I left the room, she said,
I love you.
I looked for Pablo to show him the necklace and tell him your story, and he confirmed my suspicions. We filled up a glass of water and dropped the necklace into it. And now tomorrow, you have to go back and return the necklace. But don't worry, we'll go with you. I remember pleading with my mom to not make me go there again, that I just wanted to spend the next few days chilling by the pool. But she couldn't change my mind. She couldn't change her mind. As bedtime came, I fought falling asleep for as long as I could. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed the whole thing. At last, I did fall asleep, and the next morning, my mom woke me up at 6 a.m. She said that her and my dad barely slept because I kept waking them up, that I was loudly sobbing and mumbling words in my sleep. However, what happened next scared me more than anything I'd experienced so far. As I was changing my clothes, I noticed a handprint on my belly and one wrapped around my right forearm. I screamed and my mom came running. She was trying to keep it together, but I could tell she was scared. She checked the cross on the back of my neck, a bit smudged, but still there. She asked me if I had had bad dreams. Maybe I had just been holding on to my own self too tight. We met Pablo by the entrance. This time he was accompanied by a woman. She was dark-skinned and dressed in all white. She looked at me but didn't speak. Pablo patted my head and smiled at me while telling me not to worry, that everything was going to be okay. I stared at him trying to figure out the meaning of his words. The ride back to the Stones was shorter than I remembered. Once there, my dad stayed back with the horses, while my little brother, my mom, Pablo, and the woman and I headed towards the second set of stones. He gave me the glass of water containing the necklace, and then he positioned me in front of the stones and asked me to place the glass with the necklace in it on the same spot where I had found it. And then the woman began to speak some words I did not recognize. It wasn't Spanish. After a few minutes of her repeating the same words over and over, she stopped and said, "It was done." There were tears streaming down her face. Once we were back at the hotel, we all sat down by the pool. My dad went and grabbed some beers, and my little brother jumped in the pool. Not too long after that, the woman turned her body towards me, held my right hand with both of hers, and she had a very sad look on her face. "Little one," she said, "my name is Beatriz. The place you took the necklace from was a shrine that I made to Yamaya, my patron goddess." Tears flowing from her eyes again, she continued, "My youngest daughter, Clarita, passed away a few weeks ago from a pulmonary infection. That shrine was a tribute to Yamaya, so she guides my little girl to heaven. When you took the necklace, you interrupted my daughter's journey. You see, each bead is a step on the road to her afterlife." She squeezed my hand a bit tighter now. "Thank God you returned it before it was too late," she continued. "If you had worn that necklace, you would have been marked as a sacrifice, just like the fish I had placed there before." She looked at my mom and nodded. "Your mom is a very smart woman," she added. "That cross she drew on the back of your neck protected you from being taken from Yamaya as part of the offering. Your soul would have been gone before the sunrise." She let go of my hand and stood up. I don't remember saying anything to her.
Echo
I was so upset, my body uncontrollably shaking. And then I remembered the handprints. I checked my wrist, and it was gone. I pulled my shirt up a bit, and the one on my belly was
Where's
also
the
gone.
tobacco parlor?
My dad was back with the beers and asked her to stay, but she refused the invitation. She took a few steps away from the table, stopped for a second, and looked back at me. She looked even sadder now, and her voice broke as she said, "Did you really see my Clarita?" I nodded, still shaking. Did she look
Cash buy,
happy?
trade, pawn shop,
I lowered my
tobacco.
head, remembering her scary face and that wicked grin, but I nodded yes again to give the woman some peace. I saw her feet turn and walk away. I remember crying inconsolably for quite a while my mom hugged me tight. This story has come up at family reunions over the years. My mom has always patted herself on the back for how she handled things. She's the kind of person that believes in supernatural energies and gods and the afterlife. For a long time, I struggled with this experience. I tried to convince myself that I made it up, that I never saw the girl on the side of the road that day. But through the years, I've woken up more than once with a handprint on my belly, sometimes two.
Oh my
and every
God,
time this has
those
happened, I wake up
flickering
feeling
lights.
short of breath and sweating, the way one
Put a
feels after
seizure
running.
warning on this game.
I've taken photos of the marks, which I keep on a hidden folder on my phone. Hopefully one day I can look at them and be assured that nothing is trying to drag me out of this world. I simply do it to myself while I sleep.
That was in addition to being terrifying, a great story.
It's a
all right, I'm coming.
incredibly well-written story.
Wow.
I know, it's like you don't see it coming. You're like, okay, ghost horseback riding. And then it's like, oh my God.
Crazy trip into fucking voodoo Santeria land.
Right?
Yikes.
I don't pretend to know much about Santeria or voodoo. I mean, I understand them as concepts, but I don't know their traditions.
They're syncretic religions, they call them.
Okay, what does that mean?
It's a blend of existing religions.
Syncretic. Okay.
So what happened was, it's just sad history. But when slaves were brought over, to the Americas from West Africa and Central Africa, they had their existing religions and their gods, and they were now not allowed to openly worship them.
Correct.
And their captors were Catholic for the most part, especially in the Caribbean and South America and stuff. And so what ended up happening is they kind of snuck being able to worship their gods into, kind of embedded it within Catholicism.
Yeah.
And it became, over many generations, its own thing. So it has this interesting mix of saints and stuff mixed from Catholicism with old gods from Africa. That doesn't
scream trap.
And then, which was
to the studio we
sacrifice and things.
Yeah.
And then sacrifice got blended into this. It just became, and then Santeria and voodoo are different but related. Their origins are very similar.
Interesting.
For that same mix, but
the altar and this afterlife is kind of where I was going. It's I don't. I was raised Catholic, even though I'm not practicing.
Why are those so blurry?
We just believe that you die and you go to heaven or you go to hell. But there's no. You don't have to do an offering. So this was very different for me. Different territory to explore. Very interesting. That this. Yeah. That they believe it so emphatically,
and it varies from place to place. Like the rites and the rituals in Cuba are going to be different under the guise of the same Santeria or voodoo, whichever variation in another place, because of the slavery history. There wasn't a written tradition.
Right, all
oral.
Did I go down the wrong alley?
It's very interesting, but
excuse me, game.
That's one of the best stories I've ever heard.
This is the kind of trouble I ran into last time.
Absolutely fascinating. Yeah,
terrifying. To see it with a group and to have all those elements and people talk about it at family reunions, that would fuck my
prosthetics.
head up.
There it is.
It's never over.
What? She's almost 12 when it happens. Ooh, hello, 12? Recurring nightmares for the rest of my childhood.
12 in 2002. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Great recall. Great attention to detail. The setup was really good. I loved it.
That gave me the chills. That was great.
I know, it's like halfway through, you're like, okay, when's the scary part?
And
then it hits you, and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah, that was a great one, because also
Clarita.
Happy ending asterisks. Obviously the precursor is beyond tragic.
Yeah, losing no parent should ever bury
dying,
their child.
Yeah, happy for the storyteller.
Yeah,
that it didn't follow them afterwards.
Well, she says that she still wakes up with some handprints on her body every once in a while.
Oh yeah, I missed that part of it. I thought she was thinking about the handprints. I was lost. They actually show up again.
Yeah, she takes pictures and has them in a file on her folder. She has a folder on her phone with those photos in it.
Well, never mind then.
I was thinking that you were saying happy ending for Beatrice, the mom. I thought it was very astute that at 12 years old...
That she would say, no, she seemed fine.
Yeah, even though she knew damn well Clarita did not seem okay. She seemed less than okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well now I just have like a
Okay.
maybe like more fun, kind of spooky, haunted Irish pub. Take the edge off and end on a nice note.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Dan and Lindsay and team. My husband Matt and I are both huge fans of Scared to Death, and he's definitely the creep and I'm the peeper. We love the show.
Thank you.
I do about 10 hours of commuting each week, so Scared to Death and Time Suck are both regulars in my podcast rotation. Since I started listening, I've considered writing in
That's
with
also
my
a
own
question.
real-life spooky tale, and I
If
find it
even
independently
if you're
more
there,
fingers to keyboard in this
do you
case.
have a
So here it goes.
do you have a ghost story?
Well, we are both
And
Canadian.
it's, do
This
you have a
story
ghost
actually
story?
takes place in Dublin, Ireland. Back in 2013, my then boyfriend, now husband,
On the
Matt and I
top of my head
both
at the
graduated
moment.
university and decided
I
to
don't
backpack
have one
across
either,
Europe for a few
except my
months.
dad's
After
one.
that, we planned to settle in Dublin for the year to work and live.
Yeah.
After a few weeks, my
His
husband
ghost
got a job
story
working at a pub
is
called the Chancery Inn, situated on the north
there
side of Dublin,
was
right along the Life
a,
river that flows right through Dublin,
there
dividing
was
it into
a
north and
ghost.
south. Here's where the tale takes place. The Chancery
He
Inn
was on an
is
oil
early
rig.
house, which means they are allowed to
I
start
can tell
selling
you the
liquor at
story.
7 a.m.
Let me pause this for a
Peppermint
second.
drink.
So the story goes is that he used to work on oil rigs. He worked on multiple oil rigs, changing them every time. Just a lot. Just keeping it going and stuff like that. He would work 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, kind of thing. So on one of these rigs, storms coming in, rain's coming in, it's real bad. He is on the night crew. Night crew comes in, everything like that. He's the crane operator. He's not anywhere near anything big. He's far away from the what is it called, like the boat port or whatever it's called. So he's far away from that. And he says, this is his words, is that night, while he was working the crane, he was lowering things in and stuff like that, and a boat came in. Boat came in with a father and son. Father got out and said, "Hey, can we come in? Is there any way we could stay for a little bit while this horrible, because it was a class 3 hurricane. It's pretty fucking bad. Out in the open water, those things just come out of nowhere and they will it will fucking decimate you." They're like, "No, you can't, you can stay for a little bit, but you can't stay for long." Their boat is starting to sink. And that's when he sees his son sinking in the boat. And his son is trying to save the boat. And he's like, "Please, you have to save my boy. You have to save him." And the boat just completely capsizes so quickly in less than a few minutes. The man is devastated, turns to the men on deck and says, "I will curse your name for not saving my boy," and jumps in the freezing water after him, never to be seen again. And my dad comes down and saw none of this. Just hearing about it. Just hearing about this story. Then, just a few days later, things start messing up around the place. Things go missing. Things start popping up in other places. There's this thing that'll catch on fire if it's not properly cleaned on those things, on the oil rigs. That if it's not properly taken care of, it'll just catch on fire. And it just keeps getting clogged.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't that's his. He tells it way better. I need to learn how to be able to tell a story without having to write it down first. But he was very good at doing this story. It was his version is very good. But yeah. It's one of his that he brings out at campouts and stuff like that. It's pretty radical.
People were getting up early to work, being Irish.
I don't have ghost stories, but I have experiences with mediums that are very convincing. Oh, okay.
Crowd, but over the years, many people have come through the pub. The Chancery was a locals pub. Tourists rarely ventured in. I've tried to do some research into when the Chancery opened, but have never been able to find out how long it's been around. It's located in an old Tudor-style building and looks exactly how you'd picture an old Irish pub to look. Inside, it is a long, single room.
All right. I guess she's had a lot of experience with mediums.
Of the room. Along the back of the pub in the basement was
not larges, but
was kind of in the middle of
mediums,
the pub, with the door facing directly across from the bar. One night, I was helping my husband close up. Everyone had left. I grabbed the mop and bucket, brought it to the front of the bar, and
that was bad, and you know it.
Just as I started,
I forget the sizes at Starbucks. What is it?
Muffled, and I couldn't make out the word. As Matt and I were the only people
there, what is
there,
it? Tall, large, grande, vente, or
something
like that.
I didn't turn around and just kept laughing.
It's such a meme.
But again, I couldn't understand. It was like
Google was like, "Is this what you were talking about?"
Like the words were.
It's
I said again.
Demi.
What are you saying?
Demi, short, tall, grande, vente, Trenta.
Irritated.
Oh my god!
I turned around and saw the door to the bathroom closing.
Sizes at
so it was like someone had just walked through
Cold Stone.
I was a little
Cold Stone is just as dumb.
Checking the bathroom to see if someone was still in there, or maybe Matt had just gone in there. I opened the door, poked in my head, and said, "Hello."
Like it,
Anyone
love
here?
It, gotta have it.
Nothing. At that moment, Matt came up from the cellar behind the bar. In a lot of the old pubs in Ireland, there's a trap door behind the bar, and that's where the kegs and dry storage are kept. I asked him immediately, "Hey, were you just up here?" "No," he responded. "Why?" I explained to him that I had heard someone talking and had seen the bathroom door swinging, like someone had walked in. He immediately went into the men's bathroom to see if anyone was in there, and of course, there wasn't. We were the only people there. I explained to him exactly what had happened, and he kind of smiled at me. He told me that while he had never seen or heard anything himself, other bartenders who had worked there over the years had claimed to have experienced weird things when they were alone at night. One swore he saw an old man sitting at the bar, but the man disappeared just as quickly as he had appeared.
I know it's hard for you, but I believe in you, Papa.
After turning off the lights, which were at the back of the bar, he went to leave through the front, and an unexplainable light flew past him. He ran out the door as fast as he could.
I think you're smart.
Others said they have felt
other people may have different opinions, but I think you're smart.
It was just more likely a lonely soul hanging around. I still don't know what I heard, and I feel like I could convince myself that I hadn't heard anything if it hadn't been for the fact that the voice answered me 3 times, and I saw that door swinging. It was a heavy wood door, and there's just no way it could have done that on its own. I had a beer or two, but as a rule, I didn't drink much there, as I really just stayed to keep my husband company on the slow nights. So I definitely drunk.
Is it
I never
more?
experienced anything else while there, and just like the other stuff I said,
It's a
I
difficult
never had a bad feeling about
in the
just like the other staff
in the
said,
masquerade.
I never had a bad feeling about the place, but to this day, I still can't explain what I saw and heard.
And that's why I don't go to those places.
You need to visit Ireland.
Yes,
it's one of my favorite places in the world, and the
Nix
only
is a
place
smart
in the world
boy
to get a
pupper.
pint of Guinness.
Oh, yeah, he even just said it, Nix.
Yeah, maybe the ghost had to go to the bathroom.
Maybe.
Thank you.
Maybe that'd be kind of like a funny loop, you know, like if there's usually it's usually
Just
like
in a
this
bathroom loop.
Yeah,
Just killed a
tragic,
guy.
you know. It's a lot of times like there was a murder or somebody.
So smart.
It's like, what a weird
So
kind of-
smart.
Yep,
He's
it was just like
the
some
peak
guy used
intelligence.
to like be a patron of that bar.
I just killed a
and
guy.
his
Oh, he's so
loop is- or
smart.
her loop or whatever. Is just
He
like
is-
sitting on the stool.
he is big
and
brain,
getting up
man.
and going to the bathroom and moving the doors, and that's it.
dear.
It's pretty funny.
Well, thank you.
I like this. I mean, it is
You
lighter,
big brain,
but, you know,
man.
I like the balance of it against the first story.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's interesting that, you know, she heard something. She's like, and she thinks that she's talking to her husband.
Yeah.
And it did respond to her theoretically, like, what? And then it Matt, what did you say? What?
Is there anything
You know what I mean?
else in here
That's
for
interesting.
me or no?
Yeah, like I wonder if that would.
No,
that probably
it
wouldn't
doesn't
be the
look
loop.
like it.
That part like would be like,
Darn.
is it actually trying to communicate back or weird coincidence?
All right.
I don't know.
mean,
Time to
I guess
deliver
obviously
the
it's- I guess it
bad
would be
news to
like
what's
trying
his
communicate
twat.
back. That's such a weird thing. I don't know. I don't know. We've talked about these
Damn
before.
it.
Like so many theories of like.
We're never going to stop talking about the theories, Dan.
I know.
That's the
Arthur, I
point of the
think his
show,
name
buddy.
was.
I know. 'Cause it just makes
just
my mind
lost
go
a
to this
bounty
place
hunter.
of like. I'm
Bounty hunter
picturing
quit.
like okay, for Apple users,
guy.
like when you if you use like Time Machine, which I don't really use anymore, that Time Machine
Oops,
backup.
I'm not looking
And
to
I
do
always
that
think
in the middle
of
the
when you
street.
would pull up Time Machine backups, like there's this all
Uh,
these little like screens, like old
Gotta go back down
desktop screens,
here.
one stacked on top of another,
go
going
around
back,
the
back, 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 out
asylum
into like what looks like
behind the
space on the computer.
diner
Mhm.
and
they're
get
all
to
like
the
stamped with like a
bail
time.
bondsman.
And like, what if there's some crazy thing where it's like our reality is overlaid with an infinite number of other realities that are going forward and going backwards.
Could be.
And sometimes it's like we're
Foxy
seeing like
boxes.
a glimpse of whatever was on the desktop
Boxes
in
and boxes.
1979.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I don't know if you'd ever see it the other way, but I'm like just
Going
what
to look for a
wild
bit of
thought if like,
it
the
as
universe
done.
is so vast and the multiverse
The
and all
sun
that,
is waking up.
but it
Oh,
could be
dawn
like-
is waking up? No,
there
sun
could-
is waking
I
up.
don't know how that
Oh,
affects like the
that's
loop, but
fine.
it's just interesting to me. It's like what if
Even it's
sometimes
okay.
you are in the same space.
You're
as
incredible,
other people in
Heathen.
that same space in a different point in time, and then
Thank you for
maybe
being so
they're
awesome
seeing you.
so
Like, what
far.
if she is the ghost to that person? Like what? Like
I'm
what?
with you. I'm
like
with
yeah.
you.
Like what if when she says like Matt or whatever like
Right.
that, and then somebody else is hearing brr,
Right,
and they're
right.
seeing
the
like a
inverse.
movement. Yeah, like it's the same on
Ooh.
both sides.
That's
yeah.
an interesting idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like it. I like it. So that means we can scare them too.
Yeah, yeah.
What if they're not actually trying to scare us? What if we're just like everybody is on their field?
More announcement, the script keeper, it's a big one. Zach Flannery has now left the suck. He was getting pretty burned out on the research, and man, I get it. Research is not his passion. It is mine. He wanted to work here, and he did a great job. He was not only researching, but trying to do it in a way that worked for me, not for him, on top of other responsibilities here. Not an easy job. We loved having him on the team, but his heart has long been in making his own music, working on his own projects, and so I'm excited for him to get back out there, return to his own world, build up his own mythologies. We're still going to hear from him. He's launching his own Script Keeper podcast here soon. I'll announce when he gives me more info on it, and he'll be doing more shows as a solo artist with his music and as part of Sovereign Citizen. And I'm excited to see what he's going to create.
Money, money, money.
We thank you for his time here. Left on what seemed to be great terms, and I wish him the best. So now let's get right into the research that may have been the straw that broke the Script Keeper's back. Ooh, he was telling me this was a rough one. He wasn't kidding. Celtic mythology.
Oh, Jesus.
Today, no timeline. The dates are way too uncertain. So here's how I'm going to lay it all out. First, we're going to get to know a little bit about the island of
That guy
Ireland,
out on
where most of this
Bond,
information
man.
comes from. Then we're going to learn about the Celts
manslaughter.
themselves,
That's
and then
not
so
great.
much mythology. So many Celtic
Oh,
gods and
wonderful
goddesses,
town.
mythical heroes, villains, weird-ass creatures that populate the Celtic imagination, or at least a handful of them. Also going to connect the dots from the rich tapestry of Irish myths to the rich history of Irish writers. We'll mention leprechauns, which are more folklore than mythology, but fuck it. They're fun to talk about. You'll hear about a salmon of knowledge eaten by a guy named Finn McCool. That'll be interesting. You'll meet banshees and fairies and vampires and so much more. It's going to be weird, sometimes confusing, but also a lot of fun. So let's just get into it. Since the Celts get associated almost exclusively with the Irish by most people, and because so much of this suck will take place in Ireland, or at least some fantastical
right.
version of it.
Go to the
Let's
pawn
take a few minutes
shop.
to familiarize
Which
or
I
refamiliarize
have to hit the pawn
ourselves
shop
with
anyway.
the Emerald
Might be
Isle.
able to pick up a weapon or two.
Ireland is a country mostly known outside of Ireland
Actually,
for Lucky Charms
the
cereal.
weapons I have in
Its
my
most
inventory, what the
recognizable
fuck,
cultural export, and frankly, the only one of any real value. First mass-produced in 1864, Lucky Charms was the first cereal in the world to include marshmallows, which had recently become a staple of Irish
dear
diet.
Lord.
During the Great Potato Famine that lasted from 1845 to 1852, a lot of Irish farmers started growing marshmallows. Technically a berry, marshmallow bushes can grow in almost any kind of soil and are not adversely affected by potato blight. Since they have almost zero nutritional value, Around a million Irish people, did still starve eating those marshmallows, but their sacrifices not in vain. While starving, they figured out that marshmallows are pretty goddamn tasty. And after tinkering around with the recipe for a dozen years or so, in 1864, Liam Phineas Patrick Conor Limerick McGregor, direct ancestor of the UFC fighter and most important person in Irish history, decided to design marshmallows into shapes that best represented the most important aspects of Irish culture. You may not know this, but Irish people love charms. God, they love a charm. They won't shut the fuck up about them. Strong believers in magic, nothing will captivate a true Irishman or Irish woman like a fun charm. That's why all the marshmallows are called charms. There's heart charms, said to give magical life to objects.
I still haven't picked up the drugs, and that was one of my main quests.
Did you know that every year, over 10,000 Irish people die trying to fly? There are clover charms, which represent the power of luck.
Not here, bitch.
The Irish have long valued luck over work ethic, skill, or good morals. Then there's the blue moon charm, said to bestow the power of invisibility. This is very coveted because most Irish people are criminals and often need to hide. There's the rainbow charm that is supposed to give you the power to fucking teleport or something. Also included because Irish people, again, either all criminals or future criminals, and they often desire to escape quickly from the scenes of their many crimes. There's the red balloon charm, symbolizing the power to float. Why do Irish people want to float? Well, this is a nod to their history of fleeing Ireland for better places to live in ships. And they can't swim. Show me an Irish person who can swim. I'll reveal to you a Scottish person pretending to be an Irish person for a gag. Finally, there's a unicorn charm, which is there simply because the Irish fucking love unicorns. Holy shit, do they love them.
What happened?
And they think they're real. A recent survey found that 99% of Irish people believe that unicorns were real, and 67% of them claim to either own or have ridden a unicorn at one point, because over half of all Irish people are pathological liars. JK, come on!
I can't reach.
Just goofing around, just doing some goofs. That was not the real history of Lucky Charms or accurate information about the Irish. I just wanted to be ridiculous, and I feel comfortable going off since 23andMe says I'm 55.8% Irish and British. Don't love that they love those two, that they lump those two together. But that's what happens when two nations that have historically not really cared for each other overall for centuries have also spent a good deal of time fucking each other. Some truth amidst all that slander. Lucky Charms really was the first cereal to include marshmallows. Not invented in Ireland. General Mills came up with that shit in Minnesota, 1964. A man of Irish descent did develop them, though, right? Irish-American product developer. John Houlihan, he wanted to jazz up some Cheerios type cereal. Something reminiscent of circus peanuts, which were one of his favorite.
What the hell does that actually do for me?
And the charm descriptions were real, as far as what the things represent without the Irish slander. It's the most delicious cereal ever invented. Also, so there you go. Now let's get to know a bit. I just want to lighten things up to kick things off. Let's get to know a bit about Ireland for real. Ireland is a country in Western Europe, occupying roughly 5/6 of the westernmost major island of the British Isles. Just over 5 million Irish men and women live there today, and around 40% of them reside in the greater Dublin area, the only true big city in Ireland.
Okay.
That city's old dockside neighborhoods, gave way to new residential and commercial developments. And Dublin looks awesome. I want to visit someday. Very modern metropolis, Ireland's heart, the center of its education, arts and culture, administration and industry. As of 2018, the city was listed by the Globalization and World Cities Research Network as a global city with the ranking of Alpha minus, which makes it as one of the top 30 cities in the world. A lot of good tech, medical jobs, and more there. Next biggest city in the Republic of Ireland is Cork, with the metro area population of much less, around 300,000. Handsome cathedral city and port. After that, we drop down to Limerick, with the metro population of only around 160,000. Limerick is mostly known for dirty poems. There was once a man from Nantucket, and he was apparently very well endowed. And I'm not going to finish that, because I find it to be a very profane and bawdy verse, and this is a clean, family-friendly show. I'm proud of. Not today, devil. Oh my heck. No one knows for certain the connection between short, often dirty, humorous poems and this city, actually. But there is thought to be, of course, some connection.
Now, I sold you that for $21. You're going to sell it to some poor sap for $68.
Metro population of around 170,000.
You could have at least given me $45 for it.
Would not consider Coeur d'Alene a
cheap
city.
Bastard.
Town. I love it here, but it doesn't feel like a city to me. Crazy to me that it's about the same size as Ireland's third largest city. I've heard from a variety of people that Ireland was pretty rural. Did not know it was that rural until this episode. Most Ireland is farm or ranch land. About 62% of Ireland's total land area used for agriculture.
Okay. So that
Beef and milk production account for around 2/3 of Ireland's agricultural output. A lot of cows, a lot of sheeps. In 2020, there were 7.3 million cattle, 5.5 million sheep, 1.6 million pigs, almost 16.5 million chickens on Irish farms.
Oh,
well,
I do have 3 experience.
I shouldn't have assumed that's going to be chickens. No disrespect to turkeys.
That'll increase
more cows and more sheep than people. Lot more poultry than people, and a pig for every 3 people. And again, that's not what I expected. For an urban versus rural comparison, as far as composition, England next door, about twice as big as Ireland. Geographically, 50,301 square miles, 27,133 square miles, but has over 11 times the population. With about 56 million people. Another interesting fact about Ireland's population is that unlike almost every other nation on Earth, Ireland's population, as far as people, much smaller than it was nearly 2 centuries ago. The Great Famine in 1844, due to all that potato blight, the nation was estimated to have 8.4 million people. Then population declined pretty steadily thanks to starvation and a mass exodus until the turn of the century. Then it continued to drop further at a less drastic rate until 1961.
I think I'm
just
going to end up
2.8
taking
million people live there. That's a
scholarship.
huge drop.
Because that'll give me persuasion
8.4 million
and
to 2.8 million.
And I
So many of those people
use
immigrated to America. Estimated
more
that as many as
subtle
4.5
tactics when
million
it comes
Irish
to
arrived in America.
interactions.
Gigantic percentage, their population between 1820 and 1930, about half of them was like, fuck it, let's go to America.
Read this book.
Today, more than 31.5 million Americans claim Irish ancestry, second only to German at 43 million.
Probably give me
23 out of our 46 presidents claim Irish ancestry.
That's my firearm skill at the moment.
They don't claim it currently because, most of them are dead. You get it. Started around 1960, Ireland's dwindling population did begin to bounce back, and it started steadily climbing back, and it's had healthy growth in recent years. They no longer are a nation so economically and dietarily reliant on taters. In 1850, over 820,000 acres of Irish farmland dedicated to taters. Now just over 22,000 acres used. Right? They've chilled way the fuck out.
Accuracy and damage with firearms.
The world can now rely on Idaho for its shepherd pie production needs.
Both contribute.
Potatoes do grow well in the Irish climate and soil.
Cool.
Just before the famine, nearly half of Ireland's population relied, quote, almost exclusively on potatoes for their diet. According to one academic source, and the other half ate potatoes frequently. God damn, that's crazy. I love potatoes. I live in the state, I've grown up in the state most associated with taters in America.
Cool.
If not the whole world now. And that's too many fucking potatoes. Right? Like most of your diet, you must have felt so sluggish and tired all the time with all that starch.
So
modern Ireland has a lot more to offer than livestock and taters. They've become a huge global player in the world of information and communications technology. Ireland exports the second most jobs into that industry of any nation in the world. Aviation been booming as well. Numerous large aviation companies building planes for the rest of the world. Thanks largely to recent growth, the construction industry also has boomed. In 2021, Ireland had the 5th fastest growing economy in the world.
I'm stupid.
So times have gotten a lot
My apartment's
better
above the pawn shop.
Recent years.
Dear Lord.
Let's go over some geographical information.
I know there's a way back there.
The island just over 5 million people today, separated from Britain at distances ranging from only 12 miles to around 120 miles. Ireland, like Great Britain, lies on the European continental shelf, surrounded by seas that are generally less than 650 feet deep. Greatest distance from north to south, 302 miles on the island. East to west,
probably the apartment that I lockpicked earlier.
It's big, but it's not a gigantic island.
Yeah.
The territory of the Republic consists of a broad and rippling central plain with limestone just under the surface. This plain ringed almost completely by coastal highlands, which vary considerably in geologic structure. Beautiful. These highlands. The flatness of the central lowland, which lies for the most part between 200 and 400 feet above sea level, raises up to 600 and then 1,000 feet in elevation. Sometimes in dramatic and scenic cliff fashion, in many places covered by low hills.
That's fine.
Lowland scenic with numerous lakes, low ridges, large boggy areas, perfect for strange mythological creatures to roam about in.
Active Quest, Santa Monica.
The principal mountain ranges are the Blue Stack Mountains in the north, the Wicklow Mountains in the east. There's a few minor mountain ranges, such as the McGillicuddy's Reeks in the southwest and the 12 Pins in the west. McGillicuddy's Reeks, that's a fucking great name, by the way, rise to the highest point in the Republic to an elevation of 3,414 feet. Not as mountainous as I expected. At least not compared to, not as mountainous compared to, places in the U.S. Like numerous peaks just here in Idaho, and not America's most mountainous state by far, rise to over 12,000
downtown to the skyline.
Ireland's climate is classified as Western Maritime.
Mr. Milton.
I would also classify it as fuck. Is it cloudy and raining again? Seattle or San Francisco-ish weather. Rarely warm enough for my liking. I love a hot summer day. Also rarely cold enough to kill you quickly. Currents and weather systems generated by the North Atlantic Ocean directly dictate how a lot of shit goes down on the island weather-wise, as it sits no more than 70 miles from any island or inland, location. Temperature pretty uniform across the island.
Where is that?
The average temperature lies mainly between 4 degrees Celsius / 39 degrees Fahrenheit and 7 degrees Celsius / 45 degrees Fahrenheit in January and February. Coldest months of the year. In July and August, the warmest months, temperatures usually range between 14 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit, and 16 degrees Celsius, 61 degrees Fahrenheit, although occasionally considerably higher readings are recorded. Highest temperature ever recorded, 33.3 Celsius, 92 Fahrenheit.
Nope.
Logged at Kilkenny Castle way back in June of 1887. So it doesn't get close to 100 degrees there ever. Not that close. The coldest, negative 19 degrees Celsius, negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit at Markree Castle back in January of 1881. The weather was wilder over there in the 19th century. Also rains a lot. I long wondered why the Emerald Isle so damn green, and the main reason, not surprisingly, is shit. Literally, fertilizer. Common custom in Ireland to shit outside. Only 1 in 20 homes have toilets. And they're generally only used by the weak and or the elderly. It's frowned upon, looked at as a sign of poor character to pop a squat on the jacks, aka the toilet. Everyone else is expected to do their part, and feed the yard, as they call it over there. Irish people like to feed the yard. Wait, I might be confusing Ireland with Poland right now. Or maybe I'm just making up strange insanity. Yeah, no, that's the last one. No, the reason Ireland is so green is either magic or the weather. Probably weather. Almost never gets real hot. Kind of heat wave that would kill grass and shrubs, etc. And it rains quite a bit. Good for making grass, the bells of Ireland, clovers, and all that stuff real green. In the south and the east of the country, it rains about 150 days a year, while the west coast gets about 225 days a year of rain.
You think I work for free, dude?
Rarely torrential, usually mild, but still, that's a lot of fucking rain. It's a lot of rainy days. That much rain, plus very little heat, plus not getting too cold, doesn't average below freezing temperatures during even the coldest months of the year.
I don't do
plus
no
good
charity
soil
work.
Equals a green-ass place. And it gets pretty foggy in a lot of places in Ireland as well, which keeps things looking green. A bit magical. Some places get around 100 days of fog a year. Not all day fog, but still, that's quite a bit of fog. I have to wonder if this weather helped lead the country, to having so many great authors per capita. Overall, much more of a, let's stay inside, have a hearty stew, maybe read or write a book kind of place.
Wait, is that?
As opposed to a, let's grab some sunscreen and then run down to the beach kind of place.
Skyline Apartments downtown.
Good
I don't think I can get downtown.
I googled best beaches in Ireland, and Google just said, we didn't find any criteria matching your search. So then I Googled best places to see a lot of Irish women in bikinis.
No, I can't.
And a lot of photos of Miami.
Not yet, anyway.
Joking, of course, but it is not a nation known for bikini weather. But it is beautiful. If you really want to do an internet search, type out most beautiful places in Ireland and be amazed. A lot of photos are so fucking green they seem photoshopped. It seems like they got filters on it. Too lush looking.
Back to downtown.
Never been to Ireland, sadly, but Lindsay has. A lot of my friends have. And they said it is that green. It is that gorgeous.
Wonderful.
Some of the estates and the castles on them are ridiculous. Like the Kerr Castle, the Rock of Cashel, the Tipperary or Ross Castle in Kerry. Every time I see the word Tipperary, I don't know about you guys, but it reminds me of my favorite song of all time. I'm sure you've heard it. The British Army song, It's a Long Way to Tipperary. This is a real treat. You have to hear it. It's so good.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know.
Down I go.
A little bit more.
Goodbye, Piccadilly.
Going up the stairs and going down the stairs.
Yep.
Farewell, Leicester Square.
Okay.
It's a
Loading screen.
long way
you.
to Tipperary.
Yeah, sure is.
My heart's right there.
God, they don't make songs like that anymore, do they? They just don't make them like they used to. Thank fucking God. Holy shit, I hate that kind of music. That old kind of marching band style, old timey stuff. I would rather truly have someone fucking jam pencils in both my ears, just fucking make me deaf for the rest of my life, than have to hear that song on repeat for, I don't know, even a month. Anyway, there are a lot of castles. There are over 30,000 castles and castle ruins around Ireland. I looked that up in multiple sources because I was like, get the fuck out of here. That's too many. Apparently it's true. When you count all the little ones and you count the ruins, there's so many castles, plus morning fog, plus so much green, plus gorgeous, surreal-looking seaside cliffs in many places, plus all the folklore and the mystical associations with Celtic culture. It gives Ireland a real enchanted vibe. Good place to build some strange creature lore. Can't wait to get to that part of the show. First, a bit more on the history of Ireland. Look at who the Celts were, since we'll be exploring their mythology. While Ireland is mostly associated with Celtic culture, a lot of other people settled there over the years. You know, Ireland has long had its own culture. It's also been ruled by foreign invaders for much of its written history. The Celts are thought to have showed up in Ireland sometime during the 4th century BCE. Before then, the first evidence of human presence goes back at least as far as 33,000
the girl
years.
on the beach.
And we don't know for sure who those original wild fuckers were. Maybe leprechauns, maybe selkies, maybe spriggans. Probably Fomorians. By as early as the 1st century CE, Ireland entered a historical Celtic phase known as Gaelic Ireland. Before the Norman invasion of 1169, all of Ireland was culturally and politically Gaelic, which means of or relating to the Gaels, and especially the Celtic Highlanders of Scotland.
Is it someone you used to know?
Parts of Scotland are pretty closely related. There's a shared root between the native language of Ireland Irish and the native language of the Scottish Highlands, Scots Gaelic, both of which are part of the Goidelic family of languages. It came from Celtic people who settled in both Ireland and Scotland. Doesn't mean that the Irish and Scottish are genetically super similar, though. There's a lot of similarities, of course, but the Irish also share a lot of similarities with the English, the Welsh, other people, because of all the different people mixing into the area over the years. As I went over in an episode on the IRA, Suck 74 way back, figuring out who's genetically related to who in the UK is a pretty murky affair. The Celtic people, one of several ancient peoples, and there was a variety even amongst the Celts, never truly had a cohesive kingdom in Ireland. They were a loose amalgam of tribes, communities, and disparate groups that came together for shared purposes such as defense, worship, trading, and hunting. These tribes almost had their culture disrupted or destroyed by the Romans in the 1st century CE. In 82 CE, Rome's military governor in Britain turned his attention to Ireland briefly. He defeated England's Queen Boudica, the Celtic queen, in 61 CE, and then continued to subdue the entire nation, bring it under Roman rule. Then he had to deal with a mutiny within his own army and a Scottish rebellion. Once he'd subdued a Pict uprising in Scotland, he was recalled to Rome, and the Romans never came back to Ireland, not militarily. But they did disrupt the culture through the new religion of Rome. They did a little bit of a cultural takeover. Christianity showed up in the mid-5th century. Following the arrival of the British Roman missionary St. Patrick and some other missionaries, 4th century. Then the arrival of the other Christian missionaries in the early to mid 5th century CE. Christianity took over the indigenous religions of the Isle. The Celtic Druids were on their way out. Christianity began replacing and absorbing old pagan and Celtic traditions and beliefs heavily by the year 600 CE. Said that by some historians that Catholicism was able to take over as the dominant religion on the island following a mass killing of Druids, the religious leaders of the Gaels. And I don't believe it. Get out of here. There's no way that happened. If there's one thing I know about the history of the Catholic Church in Europe, it's that it's very peaceful. I don't think they ever killed anyone. Even with Christianity's newfound prominence, traces of Celtic culture remained. Ireland's national symbol, the shamrock, green 3-pronged leaf, represents the Holy Trinity of Catholic tradition. Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Celtic cross represents the region's unique take on the Catholic cross. After the Catholics, the Vikings showed up. Another very peaceful group. Those guys, known mostly for being polite, being pacifists. At the end of the 8th century and during the 9th century, Vikings from what we now call Scandinavia began to invade, rape, and plunder, and gradually settle into and mix with Irish society. The Vikings settled in what became Dublin, Ireland's capital city, starting in 841.
I agree with you.
By the early 11th century, almost all the Vikings in Ireland had either been culturally absorbed or kicked out. After that, there was the Norman invasions that began in Ireland in 1169. Large swaths of Ireland came under the control of Norman lords, leading to centuries of conflict with the Gaelic Irish. The King of England claimed sovereignty over the island as a whole, but it would take centuries for England to bring all of Ireland under its control.
Go to win or not.
1542, Henry VIII of England declared himself King of Ireland and the English doubled down on their efforts to conquer the island.
Whether you win the game or not, doesn't
Ireland
matter.
was fully under English control, bringing the old Gaelic political and social order completely to an end.
Thank you, Fourth Wall.
1798, Ireland
Thank
freed
you.
itself.
On the floor.
Thank you, Fourth Wall. That's not what I was talking about at all.
Ireland formally incorporated into the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland.
I was talking about the game, which everybody lost.
Ireland wouldn't finally truly be fully completely independent until the Republic.
You know what I'm talking about.
1949. Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we know some
so you thought about the game.
Irish history, lay of the land there. Let's go back further to meet the OG Celts. They didn't start out
the game was first started
there many centuries after their culture and language formed. Ireland likely the last
1990?
Yeah. Actually.
It's so
because
weird.
Of its distance from Rome and other conquerors from mainland Europe, Celtic culture got to hide out and stick around the longest there. One of the earliest references to the ancient Celts comes from former subject Alexander the Great, who met some Celts from the Alps region of Europe way back in 335 BCE. While he was resting after a battle on the banks of the Danube River.
I remember when they brought up the game when I was a younger.
Contemporary accounts.
And I'm like, what the fuck? The game? What the fuck is the game? Well, you thought about it. You lost the game.
At one point, and it was written that they laughed.
Huh?
So they
what?
Nothing at all.
I love to bring it up every so often.
And he didn't even sneak away from
pisses some folks off.
That's a scary dude who fears nothing. But I don't think Alexander feared much either. Where did they come from? No one knows. Not exactly where the Celts came from. Perfect for a story about their mythology, right? More mystery. The oldest possible, even probable Celtic settlement uncovered by archaeologists lies in the little 900-person lakeside village of Hallstatt, Austria, founded sometime between the 12th or sometime around, the 12th century BCE, and they were probably Celtic. Not everyone's convinced that the Hallstatt culture was Celtic. And the Hallstatt was,
used a seduction option on a guy and he got grossed out.
Hallstatt was founded because of rich natural resources.
Oh God, just go in.
Mines, also mined copper and tin nearby, and they would trade to outlying regions.
So
Salt
weird.
Huge back then, used to preserve meat, so it would keep over the winter. Also, one of the oldest known forms of currency on Earth.
And
salt crystals.
You're right.
In China is
100% weird.
BC.
Agreed.
And the term salary actually derived.
Well, you got to figure when Vampire the Masquerade
Bloodlines
Bloodlines first came out.
I mentioned that before in an episode. Not sure which one. Maybe the Alexander the Great stuff. Too bad today's money isn't so tasty. It'd be super cool if you could like grind down $1, or a quarter into some fucking seasoning if you wanted to, and enhance some casserole flavor with some nickel or penny shavings. Copper and tin. Also mined by early Celts and Hallstatt. Both
skill too low to
bronze for weapons, tools, etc. Whether or not Hallstatt was truly Celtic by Alexander the Great's time, Celtic people were definitely in Europe and had been for centuries.
What is my hacking?
Spread out from Asia Minor in the east, present-day Western Turkey,
to the Iberian Peninsula.
Spain and Portugal.
Are you kidding me? Oh my
God.
God. Oh my God.
They were at their height geographically, at least, the largest group of people to inhabit ancient Europe.
To put into wits.
Hard to trace a lot of their migration with any degree of certainty, but they seem to have spread out from the
got 2 points.
They didn't leave any notes behind. It's 100% certainty.
Hello, General.
Hello, future knowledge seeker. My name is Kalian Red Pelt. I am Celt person. My people lived here in this dirt mound place.
Hope you're doing well, General.
In 1034 BCE, before I die. I mean, right now, I'm not dead. But someday, I'll be dead. And then maybe you read this.
Hope you're doing
parents
good.
Were cave people. We were thus first Celts to live here. Hope this helps. Hope whoever reading has medicine and AC and showers. Seems nice. Life for us now
everything in on and
archaeologists,
around
linguistic
me, dude.
historians, other scholars have determined that the Celts spoke their own language but did not have their own complex writing system to leave us any good notes or any books or history of their people or anything. Almost all of what we know about it, written by enemies or conquerors. So we'll never be able to completely separate fact from propaganda. Celts also not a unified group, which makes pinning down exactly what went on with them hard as well. There were hundreds of independent tribes who shared genetics and a language, but not a big unified empire. Never developed to that point, or to the point that they built big cities or monuments either. Not like so many other cultures, like say the Greeks or Romans did. I think of Stonehenge when I think of a big Celtic monument, even though it's not that big actually, and though it wasn't actually built by the Celts. Long thought to be, but now archaeologists think it was built before the Celts showed up in England by an unknown group of people.
What's
Maybe
up?
those Fomorians, right? Maybe leprechauns. Well, when someone describes something as Celtic today, they generally are referring to something connected with the people and culture of the 6 modern Celtic nations: Ireland,
That's
Scotland,
good that you're doing all right,
Wales,
General.
Cornwall,
Glad you
Brittany,
came
and
in.
the Isle of Man. Historic Celtic groups of Celts included the Gauls, Celtiberians, Galatians, Galatians, Britons, Gales, and their offshoots. Today, their legacy is most prominent in Ireland, of course, and also Great Britain, especially in Wales, Scotland, and Cornwall, where traces of their language and culture still exist. Are there other Celtic parts of the world? Depends on who you ask. Some think there could be a 7th, even 8th.
Have confidence.
These aren't, of course, real nations like political separate entities today, but just whatever.
No confidence.
The potential 7th is Galicia in northwest corner of Spain. Galicia has a strong Celtic identity, including stone circles and forts and use of bagpipes and local music. Oh, the bagpipe.
I'm gonna.
The devil's accordion. The bagpipe is the rare
I'm
instrument.
gonna
It sounds just
stream
as good
until
when played by
for
someone
3
with literally
hours.
no musical
Got
training
2
at
and
all,
40,
as it does
2 hours and
when being
40
played
minutes
by
under my
the
belt.
world's best bagpipe
Then I'm
player. Not really kidding, in my opinion.
let's stop
Here's a
streaming.
clip of Jack Lee, one of the best bagpipe players in the world. This is from 2006. This is a world champion.
Slightly tired.
Literally, they have world championships for bagpipe. He's a world champion in the bagpipe. And here's how he sounds.
What is it, baby?
What?
You're like, okay. I love you. I love you.
I love you.
So that's really, really, really good bagpipe. Now, here's a dude on a street corner in Italy who I think is drunk. And from a video labeled just worst bagpipe player ever. Okay. I mean, I know the first guy knows a lot more about what he's doing, but I find neither song pleasing to my ear. Sorry, bagpipe lovers, all 6 of you. Unlike the previous 6 Celtic nations, no Celtic language has been spoken in Galicia since the Middle Ages. Northern Portugal.
What's
might be
up?
the 8th Celtic
What's
nation,
up,
as it has
General?
cultural traits similar to Galicia.
What's up,
in the sense that there
General?
is a Celtic identity, but no Celtic language has continued into modern
What's
times.
what's a merper to
The
do?
Celtic League is in charge of who makes the rules as to who is a Celtic nation and who isn't. And they only recognize the first 6 nations. And who the fuck is a Celtic League? Unfortunately, they are not something akin to the Justice League. Not a group of superheroes. All happen to have Celtic origins, not like, Selkie Lady and, Ferryman. The real Celtic League, founded at a music festival of all places in 1961, group of several individuals, very serious about Celtic culture. From their website, the league was founded by Celtic nationalists who saw the need for an inter-Celtic organization with a political dimension in order to make the peoples of all Celtic nations more aware of their commonality in terms of their language, history, and culture, to further the Celtic nations' right to independence, and to promote the benefits of inter-Celtic cooperation. And it does not seem like that fight is going very well for this group, at least. Doesn't seem like many more people have joined since that initial music festival in 1961.
I'm about to get what they're doing, Goat. I'm working on comic book. You know what I'm doing.
Been out for many years, has 319 subscribers.
He's
So if
silly.
you're serious about helping Celtic nationalists further the rights of Celtic independence, you're going to want to find these guys. You're going to help them out. You're going to want to like and subscribe. They're going to have a hell of a time pulling off any kind of revolution with a couple hundred people who, based on the subjects of their videos, are mostly retired and long retired. It's an older group. What do we know about the ancient Celts from the Celtic League nations and elsewhere? Each tribe had a warrior king.
I hope you're
religious
doing
center,
well,
typically
you big
lived
old
in and around a
merper.
hill fort.
I just wish I
Such as
wasn't so
around the hill forts
tired.
with burial mounds starting somewhere
I
between
don't know
the 6th
how
and
I'm
9th
so
century
tired.
BCE. The Celtic culture seems to have started
What
to
about
become
you, boy? You still,
oh, man.
you very
Seems to
tired?
develop a
How you
hierarchy.
feeling?
That word, no matter hierarchical. Maybe that's right. And the elites would be buried into these big tomb mounds with a lot more jewelry, bronze, gold, ivory, and jewels than the comic book.
Well, yeah.
We meet sacks of long-loved shiny
I'm
shit.
good.
And the Celts made some really
So
nice
far,
shiny
anyway.
shit. Elaborate Celtic
Not
designs and
tired at all.
artifacts crafted from
I
gold,
got you.
silver, precious
Well, I guess I'll
gemstones,
have
a
to
major
stay
part of
up
museum
with
collections
you.
throughout Europe and North America now. And replicas
Guess
worn
I'll
by all
just have
kinds
to
of
stay
people around
up
the world
with
today.
you.
I
Don't
would
I?
say more of those people believe in stuff like wood nymphs, gnomes, and fairies than people who don't wear Celtic jewelry. Many of these items have been excavated from ancient Celtic hill forts, burial mounds across Europe. Remnants of clothing have also been recovered.
You're
Ancient
right.
Celts
I don't
famous
have
for
to.
their colorful wool textiles, forerunners of the famous
But you're
Scottish
going to, aren't you?
tartan. And while only a few
Well,
tantalizing
you're so
scraps of these
sweet.
textiles survived over the centuries, historians believe that
Well,
Celts
if you're
also
gonna be
one of the
up,
first
I'll be
European
up with
people,
you.
if not the first, to wear
So
pants.
you're not.
One
not
famous example
alone.
of a burial mound where lots of shiny and other cool Celtic stuff was found
Hello.
is in the small village of Hofdor, Germany. I'm watching Game of Thrones again, and I just wanted to say Hodor, Hodor, Hodor. Only Game of Thrones fans will understand what I'm doing right now. But the small village of Hofdor, Germany, and it held the remains of a Celtic chieftain and a shit ton of artifacts,
I wonder if I
pointing to
should
a
have tried to
complex and
drink their
stratified
blood.
Celtic society.
Oh well.
The Hodor
Also, good old friend
Hodor
Nix,
chieftains.
sweet boy
The
Nix,
Hofdor
is
chieftain's mound
playing
dates from approximately
some
530 BC,
of his
what
favorite
archaeologists
game.
call the late Hallstatt period.
I don't know if it's
Celtic
my
culture was
favorite, but I
concentrated
do
in
enjoy
Central
it.
Europe.
It's one of his
Chieftain
favorite
laid out on a long
games.
bronze couch with wheels,
I'm
dressed in
gonna
gold
clap you.
finery, including the traditional Celtic
It's
neckband
his
called a torque.
favorite game.
Surrounded by ornate drinking horns, large bronze cauldron, which still held the remains of a high-proof honey mead. It's pretty cool. No? Mead remnants lasted that long. I have tried honey mead a few times, even some honey mead based on ancient recipes, and having a real hard time getting into it. Very sweet.
Put that
The
away
drinking
for now.
equipment points to the critical role of feasting as a socio-political tool to the Celts. Jesus Christ. I should have just changed. I know it's Celts.
Know why I would have needed
my brain
to do
has been
that,
trained my
but
whole
alright.
life to see a C and then an E and be like, sa.
Walk around
not
and see if I
ka.
can find something.
What the Greeks and Romans described as excessive drinking was actually a way
No.
for Celtic elites to strengthen ties with allies. And that continued into the great beyond.
I could have turned out the
Hell yeah,
lights on them.
getting fucked up with people is a great way to strengthen social ties, right? That's never stopped in human society. Was then, is now. I never did any more bonding with a group of people in my life than I did with my old college buddies. And
Always
we
nice
bonded
to find these
mostly
little things
by getting
after I
fucked up
don't
together
need
all the
them.
time. I bet those Celt drinking parties were wild. A lot of singing, a lot of hugging, a lot of laughing, quite a bit of fighting, probably a lot of fucking. Warriors would also be buried with bridles, tackles, slashing swords used for fighting on horseback.
Alrighty.
Based on this, they clearly had some
Can't they
sort
just
of
pick up the
cavalry,
baseball bats
and they had
salt
horse-drawn
and all?
wagons. And carry that salt around for trade. By
Oh,
600
well.
BCE, they were trading with a lot of the Greeks and other early people around the North Mediterranean. The earliest known mention of the
Probably
Celts
have
is
four
from a Greek writer from
experiments.
517 BCE, referred to as the
I
Celtor,
could just toss it
ancient
into
Greek for
another
the tall
skill.
ones. It's from that word that we
Mm.
get the word Celt. And these tall ones maybe could have kicked a lot of Greek ass. Maybe could have then
Dodge
taken
for
down the Roman Empire
defense.
if they would have ever unified.
Obviously,
But
goes
not
without
only did they
saying, I
not
would
do that, they
think.
also fought each other as enthusiastically and fiercely as they fought non-Celts. Legendarily fierce fighters.
Lockpick and sneak.
They believed in reincarnation, that they would be reborn to live and feast and fight again on Earth if they died in battle.
Wait,
And it's thought that this for sure
hacking.
contributed to their reputation for fearlessness, and that is scary.
there was
right? I don't want to fight
actually-
anyone to the death, not at this moment.
let me see
anyway.
if I can go back.
But
and
if I
do that.
do have to fight someone to
turn
the
the
death,
power back
I would
onto the
prefer
house.
not to fight someone who is so
'Cause I
confident
think I have
that
an
they'll just be
ability I can use for
reborn,
that.
right? If they die in battle, that they just don't fucking care about dying. Some of them also fought naked.
Can
That
I
freaked out a lot of their
not
opponents, I bet.
Turn the
That
power
reminds me
back
of the
on.
berserkers we learned about
Is
back
that
in
not
Suck
an option?
135 on the Vikings. Right? Extra
Okay.
level of intimidation.
Well, I
Some
guess
guy
I'm
who wants
just
to kill
dumb.
you, some
Oh, well.
tall, muscled, fierce-looking guy with some big, long sword, battle axe, is running at you with his dick and balls flopping around. Extra intimidating if he has a boner. Everyone fears the war boner. Bojangles just whimpered, right?
And down.
Bojangles
steps.
fears almost nothing. A war boner makes him nervous, though. The kinds of weapons and the battle techniques used by the Celts varied quite a
Down
bit
the
from tribe
would-be
to tribe.
steps. Oh,
One
God.
group of Celts
Okay.
thought to have invented chainmail, the signature armor of medieval Europe, right? That classic medieval armor, rusty masses of metal were found in some Celtic graves dating back to as far as 400 BCE, and they were identified as being the remains of old chainmail. Also regarding Celtic fighting, ancient Celtic warriors loved to cut a motherfucker's head off. God, they loved a head. The greatest trophy an ancient Celtic warrior could possess was the severed head of their enemy. They would sometimes preserve these heads in jars of cedar oil.
The
take them
goat be
out, show them
screaming,
to
yes,
fellow
I am
warriors,
hearing you.
other
Nick
guests,
knows
etc.
what I'm talking
Right?
about.
Make yourself at
Oh,
home.
no.
Let me go
Wait,
grab you some
what?
mead and
Huh?
pull some new human heads
Nix
out of
knows what
jars
you're-
for you to gaze upon.
Yeah, Nick.
You know, later.
Nix, you know
guys
what
light
he's
check everything.
talking
How was
about?
Brennis, dear? Did you have fun looking at all those
Oh.
heads and keeps in jars? God, I love how what is so
You repeat that
normal
one more time for me.
in one culture, not only normal but a
the
point of
goat be
pride,
screaming.
can be completely barbaric
Yes, I am hearing you.
In another culture.
Nix knows what I'm talking about.
Right back in some ancient Celtic village, dude welcomes you into his house, shows you a bunch of jars
using
he
the
has
goat
heads
scream
in.
emote?
No.
Maybe the nicest, coolest dude in town. Everyone loves Gaius. He's a great dad. He's a solid warrior, doting husband, so many jars full of cool heads. Guy today shows you his jar of heads collection. You need to fucking attack him or flee immediately, whichever option gives you the best chance at survival, because he's a fucking serial killer. Because these Celts were so feared in battle, because they didn't gather themselves into one big Celtic army, they were often hired as mercenaries by foreign rulers. Great reputations as being intimidating mercenaries. In addition to warriors, they weren't just all warriors. They also had skilled craftsmen making their jewelry, art valued in their society, and the people who could make it highly. Weapons, utensils, other tools being made, They had bards, storytellers, great myth makers. They were very valued. Poets who developed their mythology before they ever put anything to paper or stone, long before. And boy, did they ever develop some stories. And do their stories reek of an oral tradition. And you don't ever write shit down 4 centuries, and you never use an editor. Your stories can get a little hard to follow. The upcoming mythology has so much, what the fuck is happening right now in it? The Celtic bards would sing of the great deeds of dead heroes and warrior kings, share tales of fantastical beasts. Makes me think of the, oh my gosh, why am I just bringing this up randomly? The Witcher. Toss a coin to your Witcher, oh valley of plenty. You know what I'm talking about. That's these bards make me think of. But anyway, they share all these great deeds. Also would craft, new songs about current warrior kings, etc. Sometimes not always, nice songs about the current warrior kings. The bards would mock those alive or dead who they considered cowardly or incompetent. That'd suck, if you're the chief warrior. Your own bard is just singing songs like, "Oh, here is the tale of the warrior king Aiden. In his jars are heads full of pagans, or are they? Or does he have extra honey to help him wash down his mead? Does he keep his balls in them and take 'em out only when his wife wants to breed? The warrior king fights from the back of his flock. He's never naked, for the enemy would laugh at the size of his cock." And then you find the king's like, that's enough. Okay. All right, Bart Sweeney. That's quite enough singing for tonight. How about we go back to the drawing board with that one? I'd like you to work on the melody a little bit. I'd like you to work on the lyrics a lot. Not a fan. The Celts also had those druids. They're priests. To become a druid, one didn't have to be highborn or anything. You just had to be really good at memorizing shit.
For explosives.
You had to be willing to train for several years, memorizing who the gods of old were, what they did, the old heroes, what rituals were required to worship them, and so much more.
Why? I don't know.
It seems like the number one criteria for being a druid really was having a good memory, right? In ancient Celtic society, the druids were healers, teachers, politicians in a sense, judges, their equivalent of scientists. Had to remember everything, not writing any of this shit down. They were immensely respected. According to old legends, they could walk out into battle, into the middle of fighting, and not be touched. They could stop fighting between 2 warring tribes of Celts. No one fucked with the Druids, except, of course, for the Romans and anyone not a Celt. Those other people fucked with them a whole bunch and, killed a shit ton of them. But not the Celts. Celtic warriors would be too worried about incurring the wrath of the gods to risk hurting or disobeying them. Maybe in all this, of course, right? Again, a lot of what we know about the Celts outside of what has been found at archaeological digs comes from what
maybe
other
I'll get
cultures
me a bread with a slight coat of butter and heat it up in a pan.
The Roman Empire
That's
destroy
okay.
and or absorb most of the Celtic tribes in mainland Europe, referred to the Celts as Galli, meaning barbarians. They called a lot of people barbarians. They didn't know you, and they didn't like the way you talked. You looked a little rough. Well, you're a fucking barbarian. Most of the Celts eventually lost to Rome, but they did give them a lot of trouble before they went down. The following account seems to be believed by most historians. The story of a fearless Celtic warlord named Brennus and his invasion is told by a number of Roman historians. But they were writing about it centuries after the fact, drawing on earlier original sources no longer in existence. And some think Brennus is a mythological character, a propaganda figure used to rally future Romans against the barbaric horde. We have to kill them before they sack us again like Brennus, like that kind of shit. But he could have been real tough motherfucker. If true, in 387 BCE, Brennus annihilated a Roman army, then violently sacked, pillaged Rome, even put most of the Roman Senate to the sword. After he and his army kicked the shit out of several other cities on their path to Rome, would then hold Rome collectively hostage, captive for several months before collecting a heavy ransom and then bouncing. Brennus is famous for his reputed saying,
My
"Woe
big
to the
pop-up.
vanquished." Nice. Brennus' sack of Rome was the only time
What's
in
up?
800 years, if it happened, that the city was occupied by a non-Roman army
I'm just yelling.
before the fall of the city to the Visigoths in 410 CE. Brennus was the warrior king of the Senones, Gaulish for the Ancient Ones. And prior to Brennus, this tribe of Celts had settled on the coast of the Adriatic Sea in present-day Italy, due east of Florence, having traveled down from the Alps due to either their love of wine and warmer weather or because Gaul they felt was just too overcrowded due to various historical accounts. I hope the wine story is true. I hope they tasted wine for the first time and they're like, this shit is delicious. Oh man, check out that beach too. Oh, hot damn. I love a good grape. I love a good bikini. More of this. Let's fucking pillage this shit. The Romans would clash with the Celts often, beginning with the reign of Julius Caesar in the 1st century BCE. The Romans launched a massive military campaign against the Celts, killing them by the tens of thousands, destroying their culture in much of mainland Europe. Fucking Rome. There could have been so many more leprechauns and selkies and shit if Romans, hadn't driven them all
Or could a
out.
piece of baguette.
Julius
Go
Caesar
ahead
embarked
and
on
do
the
me a
9-year
baguette
Gallic
sandwich.
Wars to defeat the Celts and various other
Which
tribal
would have
kingdoms in Gaul,
inside
modern-day
ham,
France.
Gouda cheese,
Caesar wrote
pizza
about the conquest
sauce,
of Gaul
and a
with
bit of
mix of
veggies and
disgust and
bacon.
respect for his Celtic enemies. In his account called Commentaries on the Gallic War, a first-hand account / propaganda piece on 9 years of fighting.
It's whatever
A
you
lot of what we
want,
know about the
buddy.
ancient Celts, in mainland Europe comes from Caesar. He wrote a lot about the practices of their druids, for example. More on that in a bit. Caesar's Roman armies would attempt an invasion of
Right,
Britain,
good
but were
sweethart.
unsuccessful, and thus the Celtic people, either those who had already settled there or been pushed
It
there
looks like
by
you're
Roman
going to the
advances,
shadow
were
realm,
able to establish
Jimbo.
a homeland.
Have
Once
fun.
that Rome pushed
Hey,
farther west,
Mass.
Ireland would likely not be so associated
Hope
with
you're
Celtic
doing
heritage like it is today,
well.
or associated with it at all.
Bear in mind, I'm not
Other Celts
ignoring
who didn't
you. I
make it
just
to the
have a
British
video
Isles
game
did
in my
establish
ear.
small pockets of
Hey, you
Celtic
have
life
video
in
game
mainland
in your
Europe, like
ear.
tribes
I've got a
of the Galatians.
podcast in my ear,
Galatians
so
occupied much of the area of
I
what is now
completely
northern
We're
understand.
on equal footing.
They successfully fought off attempted invasions by both the Romans and the Moors.
Totally in
The
the
latter
in the
ruling much of
same
present-day
footing.
southern Spain. Evidence of Galatian tradition remains in the region today. Descendants of the Galatians still participate in ancient outdoor
I don't
dances
know. I
accompanied by
might
bagpipes.
listen to that
More
that
of this!
art that role play.
Oh, sweet! That's an instrument, often associated with more well-known Celtic regions.
Just
such
for
as
the
Scotland
just
and
because
Ireland.
I need
In
something
addition,
to
a
waste
Celtic
my
symbol
time.
called the Cruz de la Victoria, the
Maybe.
Victory Cross, similar to a
I'm
Celtic
doing all
cross,
right. Just
adorned the
dropping
regional
in
flag
real
there.
quick to wish you luck.
Galatians, as we've discussed,
Good
also
comic
settled
pages.
in nearby Galicia, a region in the northwest
I'll
coast of
try my
Spain.
best.
And yes, those familiar with the Bible, the
Hope
Celtic
everything is going
Galatians are
well.
the people
Well,
the
I'm
Apostle Paul
doing well.
wrote
I
a
don't know
letter to in the
how
1st century
how
CE.
Pup Pup is
And
doing.
many were
I
converted
will
to
assume he's
Christianity
doing
in the 1st
good.
2 century CE.
I'm all
Tribes
right
of
so
Britons
far.
and Gauls
Yeah, he's playing his
settled in the
game.
northwestern corner of present-day France, the region known today as Brittany. Celtic tradition survived in this region as it was geographically
He seems
isolated from the
okay.
rest of France. Many festivals and events still held today can trace origins to ancient Celtic times. Many of the French Britons also wear traditional Celtic hats called coifs. Roughly 1/4 of the region's residents can speak Breton, a Celtic language similar to Welsh. Although Caesar's invasion of Britain was unsuccessful, the Romans did eventually mount a successful attack against the Britons following Caesar's murder in the 1st century CE.
So he stops
This incursion
whining.
effectively pushed the Britons on the island west to Wales and Cornwall, north to Scotland. In fact, the Romans built Hadrian's Wall, remnants of which still stand today near what is now the border between England and Scotland in 120 CE. The wall designed to protect the conquering Roman settlers from the Celts, who had, fled north. Neither the Romans nor the Anglo-Saxons, who took what is now England from the Romans in the 5th century CE, were able to successfully invade Ireland.
I forgot all
This
about
enabled the Celtic tribes that had settled there to survive the longest. It allowed their culture to flourish the longest. And that allowed a bunch of crazy fucking stories to come around, as we'll soon see.
One of these.
After the Roman conquest of most of the other Celtic lands, Celtic culture was further trampled by Germanic tribes, Slavs, and Huns during the migration period of roughly 300 to 600 CE. As a result, few, if any, people live in mainland Europe and the British Isles.
That's good to hear, but yes, try not to tire yourself out, okay?
Smaller islands identified as Celts until the 1700s.
Gonna go finish making dinner. Have a lovely rest of the stream, and sorry for not being able to stay longer. It's okay.
Irish, Cornish,
Mass, it's okay.
Celtic.
Don't apologize
and Ireland
for
and those
having
few
to
other smaller
fail.
islands not held strong.
Yeah, Mass is in
Celtic
another
culture
country and
tradition
it's
would have
having
been
dinner.
lost to history.
Yeah.
Now let's talk more about
You gotta go.
Celtic
Like,
religion.
real life,
Celtic religion was closely tied to the natural world, and they worshipped their pantheon of gods in what they called sacred places like lakes, rivers, cliffs, and bushes. Very much a woodsy, crunchy, outdoorsy religion. The Celts were like ancient Vermont hippies. If those hippies, when not chilling out in the woods, love to head over to New Hampshire or Massachusetts, from time to time and just lop some
You're
fucking heads off.
fine, man.
The moon, the sun, the stars,
We'll
especially
see
important to the
you
Druids, as they thought that there
later.
were supernatural
We
forces
understand
in every
that
aspect
you
of the
believe
natural
in
world.
us.
Archaeologists, or they saw
I
supernatural
understand. I
aspects
don't
in every
know if
aspect of the natural
Nex
world.
gets it.
Archaeologists believe that the Iron Age Celts had a ton of
excuse
gods
me,
and
I
goddesses, and that the
understand
Celts
perfectly
worshipped their
well.
gods through sacrifice, giving them
He's
valuable
not a
objects to keep
child.
them happy.
He
But material
does
treasures
have
weren't
object
Iron
permanence.
Age Celts sacrificed
I
via
do
killing
not
animals,
actually.
even humans, to their
I
gods.
have a touch
Maybe
of the
humans.
ad every once
Is
in a
that a fact,
while,
or is
you
that just
know.
propaganda written by those who fought them, or those who
You're
converted
just
them
like
into Christianity?
object
The Celts also
permanence. Oh
sacrificed
man, that
weapons to the
sounds
gods
good.
by throwing them into
Can
lakes,
we
rivers, and
add
bogs,
that
places
into
they
my
considered,
character
again,
sheet?
magical, special. One particular
Right.
site in Wales, Lyn Cerrig Bach, maybe could not find a pronunciation for that place. Archaeologists have found over
I don't
150
know if that
objects of bronze
actually
and
did
iron,
anything for me.
including
Oh,
spears,
no, it
shields, and
went from
swords.
I'm gonna go
119
check on
to
that rabbit.
113.
The Druids, as I said earlier, were in charge of Celtic religion,
Go
and
check on
sadly,
the
we don't
rabbit. Go
know
check on
a
the
lot
bun.
about them for certain. It's all secondhand knowledge. Julius Caesar, who conquered Gaul, is among the principal sources of information about Druids, and he didn't really care for them. Killed a lot of them. He wrote that they were the most educated and powerful members of their tribes, though, more than warrior chiefs in some ways, and were well respected by other Celts. The Druids would travel between distant Celtic regions. They would pass on news,
Gave me a
worship,
little bit,
camaraderie
but not a
between
whole lot,
tribes.
honestly.
Being able to warn other tribes about enemies like Rome, made them frequent targets to be killed by the
It'd be a
Romans.
little cheaper that way.
Where did the Druids come from? How old are they? The earliest written reference to them dates back about 2,400 years, while Druidism is likely to go back much further in time than this. How far back is unknown. Ancient Druidism continued up until around 1,200 years ago, gradually being, pushed out by Christianity.
You right here
the
with
ancient Greek
me.
writer
What about the worker
Dio
rabbit?
Chrysostom
You
lived
help
about
keep me
1,900 years ago.
keep me
compared
on
Druids to the biblical
pace.
magi, those wise men, and the Brahmins, the Hindu priests of India. He wrote, the Celts appointed those whom they called Druids, these also being devoted to the prophetic art and to wisdom in general. One passage,
General's
Roman
in your
historian and
chat now.
traveler, Pliny the Elder, who
Yeah,
lived
he
almost
came
2,000
knocking.
years ago, talks about the importance of mistletoe and the fifth day of the moon to the Druids. He said that mistletoe was gathered with rites replete with religious awe. This is done more particularly on the fifth day of the moon,
So it's
the day which is the beginning of their months and years, as also of their ages. Yes, the Christmas association of mistletoe is Celtic in origin.
Mean much if I
The
can.
Celts would place a sprig of
Use it
mistletoe above
effectively.
their, the door of their homes, and its sacred nature prohibited fighting beneath it. And that evolved over the centuries into the custom of kissing underneath mistletoe at Christmas. Mistletoe, a very sacred plant to the Druids, thought to ward off evil, restore health, bestow fertility. Not sure about all that. Western medicine, currently not sold on all these claims. The Celtic Druids believed that mistletoe was the essence of the sun god, called Tyrannus by the Gaul tribes of Celts. And any tree hosting mistletoe on its branches was marked sacred. Pliny also talks about the importance of animal sacrifice and fertility to the Druids. They bring thither 2 white bulls, the horns of which are bound.
What's General doing?
Then for the first time,
What's that
clad in a
general
white
doing?
robe, the priest ascends the tree and cuts the mistletoe with a golden sickle, which is received by others in a
I
white
see
cloak.
how it is, General.
Then they immolate
Doing
the
his
victim while
chat.
offering
All
prayers.
right.
That's what Pliny the Elder wrote.
Oh, okay.
It is the
I
belief
see
with
how
them
it
that the
is.
mistletoe taken
It's
and
not
drink will
like that,
impart
and you
fertility
know it.
to all the animals that are barren, and that it is an antidote for all poison.
Okay. All right. You going to his chat?
Sacrifice typically via fire, by the way.
Oh,
Hopefully not in that case, but
don't
probably.
be a sour
Burning
puss.
bulls.
I'm
Seems cooler
messing.
than
He
slitting
knows
throats.
I'm messing.
Some historians believe that Druidism was
I know,
founded in
but I
Britain,
like
but again,
messing back.
no one's totally sure. No one's sure
Turnabout
how
is fair
widespread it
play.
was either.
I'm glad that
Flourished
he
in the British
comes.
Isles and Gaul, though, based on archaeological
I'm
digs.
glad that he goes
Julius
to other
Caesar claimed
people's
that Druidism
streams. There's a
originally
lot
came
of
from
people
Britain,
that do
and
need
those
it.
who wish to study it in depth, did travel there. As Christianity spread throughout Europe, Druidism gradually faded away. Druids still present in Ireland as recently as the 8th century CE, but in a much more reduced form. And then, then they were all gone. Today,
I'm also
the term
glad
Druid
that
conjures up,
real
like a
Kazu has been
magician or a
growing.
wizard or something, Dungeons and Dragons shit. But really, that they were culture's
good.
intellectuals.
That's good.
Spiritual glue that held their tribes together.
Gotcha.
In recent years, there has been a spiritualist resurgence of modern-day Druidism. But there's not much of a connection between modern Druidism and ancient Druidism because we don't know what the fuck they did. According to a guy with a PhD in social anthropology from the University of Aberdeen, who has studied Druidism for most of his adult life, like the Druids, the Celts, written books on them, Thorsten Geiser, Druidic, there we go. Rituals are best seen not as a set of formalized actions, but as a stance, an attitude, a particular mode of experience and perception, which gives rise to a feeling of being in the world, of being part of nature. So it's we don't know what they did. It's just more of like, they like Mother Earth. And we know that they wore some stuff that looked kind of like this. And they probably worshipped, some of these gods, but who knows which band of Celts did and whatever. I read all that as like modern day druids are, and I'm not trying to sound overly condescending here, but there's people who love nature and Celtic culture. And when they're, turning that into druidism, they're kind of engaging in something like akin to cosplay, right? Let's put on some robes, Celtic jewelry, head out to a Celtic archaeological site, chant in Gaelic, think about nature, Mother Earth, reference some Celtic gods, feel in touch with the universe, and, tell ourselves that we're druids. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do. I know it's inflammatory. Have fun if that's what you want. If it makes you feel good, fucking do it. But just, say that, we'll just know that what you're doing is not repeating ancient druid incantations, right? And prayers, because we don't know what those are. They've been lost to history. If I put on a robe and went out to some Celtic ruins in Ireland and had enough, psilocybin or something in my system, I bet I would fucking feel like a druid. It'd probably be a lot of fun. Maybe Nimrod would appear before me. Maybe I'd see a Selkie lady or a banshee or something. We do know from the writings of their enemies that at the center of the beliefs of the druids and the Celts as a whole, there are several gods and goddesses and other crazy characters who will
probably not the best thing to do. But
before we meet all the weird creatures,
Not the best thing to do,
let's take a second to look at another key aspect of the Celtic religion that they were, largely born out of, these creatures, their holidays, or associated with their gods and stuff. It was a huge part of a Celtic person's life, and a couple of these you might have heard of. In Ireland, there are 8 important sacred Celtic holidays a year, each one still celebrated today with many traditional rituals and activities carried out, not only in Ireland, but in other Celtic regions around the world. And a lot of crossover here with paganism, not associated with Celtic traditions. Crossover with Wiccan celebrations, and again, because of the traditions coming from a collection of tribes who did not write shit down. Holy fucking telephone game.
Password required.
The definition of these holidays is going to vary a little bit from one source to the next. I'm just trying to save myself some angry emails with that disclaimer. Trying to keep from getting hexed by a wicked witch or something. First is Beltane. Beltane is a fire festival. Celebrates the first day of summer according to Celtic tradition. It's the Gaelic May Day festival. Beltane's a Celtic word which means fire as a bell. Bell, aka Belanos, a Celtic deity called the Fair Shining One or the Shining God, the Lord of Light. Must follow the Lord of Light. I'm still thinking about Game of Thrones. He was one of the most ancient and most widely worshipped Celtic deities.
My personal use.
He was associated with the horse and wheel.
I didn't know they were out.
Belanos was thought to ride the sun across the sky in a horse-drawn chariot. Most burial tomb inscriptions referencing Bel come from Gaul. Some Celts there would have inscribed words here and there with his name in Latin. May Day fairs were once popular, where farmers would trade products and host festivals where people partied, welcomed the long days of summer.
But I'll make sure
in the pagan traditions, Beltane's a fertility celebration with the phallic symbol of the maypole being danced around by maidens.
Pelvic exam.
I get it. Traditionally, those the tribe felt were ready for procreation. It's said that in many tribes, men and women would go off into the woods and fuck.
Report to the ship as soon as possible.
Okay. Personal.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds almost like an ancient version of some kind of Woodstock or Coachella-like music festival. So it was even more sex.
Commands.
Hopefully some drugs. Hey, Lucifina. In Ireland, Beltane mentioned in some of the earliest Irish literature going back to the 8th century CE, associated with the important events in Irish mythology. Also known as First of Summer. It marked the beginning of summer, and it was when cattle were driven out to the summer pastures, rituals performed to protect cattle, crops, and people, and to encourage growth. Where taking part in special bonfires were kindled, and their flames, smoke, and ashes were deemed to have protective power. People and their cattle would walk around or between bonfires, sometimes leap over the flames or embers. I mean, I doubt the fucking cows did that. Probably just the people were doing the fire leaping. But who knows? Maybe they had some bovine whisperers who were so talented they could get cows to jump over fire, which is a cool trick.
Malcolm St.
All household fires would be doused and then relit from the Beltane bonfire in the community. These gatherings would be accompanied by a feast. Some of the food and drink would be offered to Irish fairies, also known as the good folk or the little people, or by a bunch of other Gaelic terms my brain has no clue how to pronounce. We'll get into fairies later. Love that they would make offerings to fairies, not in a symbolic way. These creatures are real. We don't want to fucking piss them off. Lord of the Rings kind of way. Doors, windows, byres, and livestock would be decorated with yellow mayflowers, perhaps because they evoke fire. In parts of Ireland, people would make a May bush, typically a thorn bush or branch decorated with flowers, ribbons, bright shells, and rush lights. Springs thought to be sacred were also visited. The water in Beltane dew, thought to be magical, bring beauty and maintain youthfulness. A lot of nature worship, a lot of magic.
Loyal employee.
Celtic religion mythology, what we do know about it.
Have confidence.
Very Mother Earth focused.
No confidence.
June 21st, the summer solstice.
No confidence.
Is the next Celtic holiday.
Thank you, Gerald.
From midsummer.
Oh yeah, I was
to Litha, to so many other. How the fuck do you say that in Gaelic terms? Which mean the light of the shore, light of summer.
Scream
Gaelic solstice means sun stop.
No goat
Which refers to the fact that in the few days before and after the solstice, the sun
You
appears
gotta
in the sky,
push
rising and setting at the same point on the horizon. This day is the longest of the year, celebrating light and sun.
Maybe people just need to
flowers,
hit that
herbs,
button
candles.
more.
The Celts dedicated this day to a Celtic goddess who went by so many different names. It is ridiculous.
You want me to hit the goat scream button?
Or attain,
Sweetheart.
Ireland. Known in Wales primarily as Rhiannon.
Okay.
Sometimes she gets mixed up, matched together with some other Celtic gods and goddesses for extra
Apparently being asked for.
Attain often
Well,
called the Shining
how
One.
much
She was
where
originally
is
a
it?
sun goddess before becoming a moon goddess. And she was
but
a white lady.
it's 5
And,
bits.
I don't know. She might have also worked at Burger King for a while. Maybe been a fry cook. Perhaps a masseuse. Fucking, I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe Shepherd's Pie, a pub for a little while.
Sorry,
a lot of variations.
Or is that
on her legend.
Roberts?
She was a goddess of love, transformation, rebirth.
Is that
Elements
what
sacred to
you
attain
wanted?
are the sun,
Yeah.
dawn, the sea, rain, water,
I
butterflies.
don't know if you heard it.
Seems like this drop down.
Oh, that
Right?
was
You have
Thornton.
the- you have powerful. You have powers of the sun. We must pray. We must pray to you to make the sun rise, and to have the sea not flood us, and
Quit,
for the
not
rain to come
get.
down, and also for butterflies are cool. Also associated with apple blossoms and swans, associated with
Alrighty.
healing, the transmigration of souls. The summer solstice believed to be the ideal time of year,
about
given the
all the
abundance
information
of
I
light that
can
was
for
present
right
for the druids to
now.
banish evil spirits. Go on, get out here, Banshee. Go on, get.
Pain.
Come on, get out here, Baylor. Get out here,
could
Carmen.
do the pain
I see you, Kelpie. Go on, get now.
to do
Marking
some
the
morphine.
beginning of the harvest season, August 1st is the next holiday, Lunasa. The holiday is halfway between the
lockpick
autumn
is
equinox and the
below.
summer solstice, one of the 4 Gaelic seasonal festivals, along with Samhain.
Or
Imbolc,
wait, I think that's the wrong
Beltane.
one.
Celebrations still exist to this day, include festivals, traditional music, hopefully
That
not
is the
this. I mean, is that the best guy or is that the worst guy?
Blood buff.
It's hard to tell. Arts and crafts, dancing and parades. And it's another excuse to party. Lunasa is mentioned in some of the earliest Irish literature and has pagan origins. The festival itself is named after the
I'm
Celtic
actually gonna have
god
to dip
Lugh.
into my blood packs.
Lugh, the primary god in Celtic culture. Or
Yes, go.
excuse me, was
We
a
hear you.
primary god.
I am here.
I misspoke there. Sometimes known as the sun god, trickster
Good.
god,
Oh, dear
the
Lord.
Celtic Mercury, god of war, etc. Lugh generally portrayed in art as a warrior, a king, a master craftsman, sometimes a savior, associated with skill and mastery in multiple disciplines, including the arts. Powerful god. The next holiday is called Mabon,
Alrighty.
which is the second harvest festival, which also revolves around the stars and
Morphine,
falls
love
on
it.
September 21st. We call it the autumn equinox. Traditionally known as the
Thank
stepping
you.
stone between light and dark, meaning at this time of the year,
Email.
there's an equal amount of both. It's a time.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
In the winter,
Jesus.
during Mabon, the Druids and
lamb.
Celtic practitioners of their religion remembered the abundance they had received during the harvest season by giving offerings back to the land. Next comes
Welcome, are you
Samhain,
free tonight? I
right, what
thought
turned
you
into
could
Halloween.
swing by
Between
my
October
apartment
31st and November 1st,
after your
spelled
shift.
Sam
You
Hain,
do still have
pronounced
house
Samhain. So that's cool. Thanks for
calls.
making it easy, Celts.
Don't you,
Marking the
doctor?
end of the harvest seasons
I have
and the
something
beginning of the
that
winter.
needs
This
checked
day is celebrated with
out.
bonfires,
Page.
rituals, thought to have cleansing
Wow.
and protective powers. The Druids believed Samhain was a time when the
Do I
veil
really have to
between
ask
the darkness and the
twice?
light
You
was the
don't have
thinnest,
to
between
do
the realms of the
anything if you
living and the
don't
dead.
want,
All
but
sorts
I
of
really
various
do
spirits
need
could
some
ramble
help
into our world.
studying for my
right?
anatomy test.
I guess amble more is probably word to be
Guess I'll
better
see
for that
you
context.
around
And cause all sorts of trouble.
5.
Halloween is steeped in this Celtic
I'm really
tradition as
glad you
both are
finally
celebrated on the
decided to
same
come
day,
over.
focused on the
And
dead.
if you should want
During
me
Samhain, the
to
Celts would
show
dress
you
up to play a trick on
appreciation,
neighbors.
you just have
called
to
guising,
ask.
which
Wow,
consist of them
Paige
reciting
is
a poem,
thirsting
singing a
after
song,
this
telling a
guy.
joke, with the hopes of a reward in the form of a treat.
Malcolm, do you think you'll
Carving
be
faces
able to
into
get a day
pumpkins,
off
or
next
the
week?
jack-o'-lantern
My
also
mother's
started with
coming
Celts, but
into
they would carve
town
scary
on
faces into
Thursday.
turnips.
I bought
instead
a
of
new
pumpkins.
mattress.
Some
and
sources
some
say they would
new
place candles within
curtains
them,
for the guest
those
room.
big turnips, leave them out away from the
And
front
do
door
you
because they
think you
believe
can
spirits
pick
would be
up some
attracted to the light coming from
donuts
them
and
and
orange
not come
juice
into
on
their
the way
homes.
home for
All right. Some
breakfast?
sources don't believe they lit fires in them, but would still be attracted to the carved
wow.
turnip. Because spirits We're super dumb, I guess.
Well, then.
You know, doing all the alerts. Yeah.
Or, I don't know, an angry human face or
We
another
will
spirit or
make
something.
a,
I love shit like that.
we will make again goat screams great again.
Powerful, and they possess incredible
Well,
magic.
not all of them, but I've been using, yeah. You missed when the goat did the screams.
Powerfully magical creatures to find us, we must carve faces into turnips with candles in them.
Okay.
And that will trick them, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll haunt this guy, I guess." Or no, I'm so scared of that guy's face is mean.
This is hard to do with a
later we
microphone
can
in
joke
front of
about it. But no, how's a turnip? But they're like,
diagnosis severe.
After Samhain comes the winter solstice on December 21st, sometimes called midwinter or Celtic midwinter. In Gaelic, it's called "Get the fuck out of there." Are those even real letters? This is the
I'd love
shortest
to eat, but I don't have anything to nibble. Well, I have cookies.
From this day forward, the days become longer.
I don't feel like eating cookies right
is
now.
a time of rebirth.
I had some cereal earlier, but
attending gatherings and festivals,
it made me
drinking and partying, kind of the theme
reason.
of all 8 of these at a fundamental level. New Grange, a 5,200-year-old monument in Ireland, an extremely popular place to visit. From December 19th to December 23rd, that's when the sun will shine through a gap into an ancient burial chamber. This cool event takes place at dawn, lasts for up to 17 minutes, like something out of some kind of Indiana Jones movie. On February 1st comes St. Bridget's Day, marking the first day of spring, represented by St. Bridget, Ireland's first native saint who died in 625 CE. Obviously Catholic here, not Celtic, but the holiday has Celtic origins. It's a feast day generally associated with the symbol of straw or a red cross.
Diagnosis frequent bouts of sexlexia.
St. Bridget's Day was known as Imbolc.
I have quite a lot of dyslexia.
Original rights and
sexlexia.
Sexlexia. To be when Cailleach, mother of wolves, queen of winter, the veiled one, the divine hag of Gaelic tradition, a deadly Celtic goddess, gathers her firewood for the rest of the winter.
Oh my goodness.
Of light. Legend has it that if she wishes to make the winter last a good while longer, she'll make sure that the weather on Imbolc is bright and sunny, so she can gather plenty of firewood. Therefore, people would
that's a Futurama joke.
Was a day of foul weather, as that meant that Cailleach was asleep.
General's farting.
Winter was almost over. Wasn't worried about it.
I know,
Then
right?
once Ireland was solidly into its Catholic days, the holiday remained associated with weather divination.
Don't do that.
Is it going to be a good year or a bad year for the crops? Are serpents and badgers, are they leaving their winter dens yet or not? And it's a precursor to Groundhog's Day in North America. Much cooler.
Was there a key
darker,
I was missing?
You know, hot evil goddess version of Groundhog's Day. Based on pictures I saw. Many people celebrate the day now by visiting St. Bridget's Holy Well in Clare, Ireland. Housed in an open stone house or grotto that serves as a gateway to the ancient cemetery on the hill above it. Spooky looking little place.
I remember.
The graveyard is the final resting place of several mythical kings and clan leaders in Ireland. Looks like an awesome place to visit. And people who don't or can't visit this well, they can celebrate by doing some spring cleaning, some feasting, making some traditional crosses. The final Celtic holiday is the spring equinox, March 20th. Modern Celts tend to call it Ostara. And it seems to be the obvious.
He's got COVID. Hopefully, it's not a bad variant. Yeah, true.
The official name that the Celts call the holiday is not known, but because it is believed to be related to the northern goddess Ostara, the goddess of spring and dawn, amongst other things, the name Ostara associated with the holiday today. Spring equinox.
Yeah, even sun isn't feeling good.
The day and night are of equal length. And during Celtic times, eggs were used as a symbol of rebirth and the beginning of new life, and a hare or rabbit was a symbol of the goddess and fertility, and that is why rabbits and eggs are associated with Easter today. It started with Ostara before there was Jesus. All these holidays help mark the passage of time for the Celts, determine the seasons, give structure to ancient Celtic life. Many, of course, associated with food and, revelry, but also like when to grow food, when to harvest it. There were reasons for the tribes to gather together, party, strengthen social ties. What culture has not had a lot of holidays and celebrations? It just gives us meat sacks something to look forward to, and it reinforces our tribalism. St. Patrick's Day, not one of the Celtic holidays. No association with Celtic tradition. Actually helps mark the end of Celtic traditions with the beginning of Catholicism. Celebrating the arrival of Christianity. Now, in many countries, it's supposed to be a celebration of Irish life and heritage, but really it's just become an excuse to get fucking hammered. So not including that one in this particular narrative. Now let's really dig into the mythology. But before I do, big note. The pronunciation of these characters, very tricky. And not just for me this time. I'm not just making an excuse, I promise. These gods are all Celtic, but come from old, ancient Celtic mythology, generally from Ireland, not always, though, sometimes from Wales, England, present-day France, etc. Most of the names are Gaelic, Old Gaelic. Watch a stupid amount of pronunciation videos. And for a lot of the characters, when the videos are being presented by people who present themselves as native speakers,
I'm good.
You listen to 3 different supposed Celtic experts name the same god or goddess or hero or monster, and the pronunciations vary wildly. People in the comment sections arguing their ideas of how the words are, supposed to be said very wildly, like the most variants of any topic I've ever covered. More disagreement than even with the Norse mythology. If you have a doctorate in both Gaelic and Celtic mythology, you could probably say all these correctly. And thanks a lot for not making any good videos for me to find, you fucking dick. If you don't, save your emails in this regard, or at least watch 5 different videos with 5 different people saying the word you're positive on butchering before you waste your time. Fun subject today, but we're dealing with old words, old gods, creatures who show up in many different versions and forms in, many different, Celtic regions. So much telephone game. May Nimrod guide my mush mouth as best he can. And I'm sure I'm going to mess up some words that are agreed upon as well. Okay.
I don't
Conscience clear.
know.
Now, here we go. Celtic mythology is a collection of histories and legends measured in 4 distinct chronological cycles. They are the mythological, Ulster, Fenian, and historical cycles.
Me too. We got our PCR test today, so we'll know tomorrow hopefully what variant it is to know how badly he will do.
Maybe their powers vary, considerably from cycle to cycle, from one tribe of Celts to another, not confusing at all. Of course, it's confusing. Again, oral tradition, Celtic culture, not cohesive, and Christianity. This is an important note.
Hello?
When the Catholics came to the British Isles and other Celtic areas, they fucked up all the lore. That's what all the historians think. That they bent the stories around, gods got turned into warriors, kings, queens, witches, monsters, etc. A lot of creatures got demonized much more than they probably were. Missionaries couldn't get rid of all this mythology without enraging Celtic locals who outnumbered them and risking an uprising. But they also, following their religion, could not let other gods exist as gods, because that was, antithetical to Christian belief. So they twisted the characters to suit their own ends. Massaged a lot of these stories.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get these cycles out. The mythological cycle was the first era of ancient Irish folklore and as a result the least documented. Also contains some of the most important Celtic figures. Stories from the mythological cycle center on gods and the first settlers on the island of Ireland. 7 main groups, 2 of which we'll cover in some detail today. There isn't really a true origin story, but if there was, it would be in this cycle. The Ulster cycle was the second cycle of Irish mythology. Most of these tales originate from or before the 1st century
gets
CE,
better though.
Which tells you how old the first cycle is. The first cycle. The most prominent hero of this cycle is the demigod Cu Chulainn. For the Ulster cycle, many of its myths take place in the provinces of Ulster and Connacht, and center around births and death, training, and battle in the Irish countryside. There are many tales from this cycle featuring kings, heroes, gods, friends, foes, tons of magic. The Fenian cycle, the 3rd wave of Irish mythological text. Like its predecessor, the Ulster cycle, it's focusing on heroes, heroines, stories generally based in the regions of Leinster and Munster. For whatever reason, stories from this cycle, just where the people were writing them. Stories from this cycle center on the Fianna, a band of independent warriors, and their leader, Finn McCool. We'll meet Mr. McCool. And the historical cycle is the last cycle of mythology, and stories from this time blend, factual history and people with legends and tall tales. Hence the name historical cycle. Folklore from this cycle includes real figures in Irish history doing not real shit, as well as purely mythological creatures all woven together. There's one main story here worth noting. It's the story of Buile Sweeney, written in the 12th century in both verse and prose.
We do hope he feels better, though.
And supernatural powers, often called the frenzy of Sweeney.
We hope your son feels better.
Sweeney,
hopefully,
comes from. About a pretty or a petty king Sweeney
hanging out with us will make him feel a little bit better. Just know I'm not feeling good either.
Christianity, and we'll explore that. Okay, all of the myths from all 4 cycles are collections of secondhand fanciful tales at best. Let's go through each of the different cycles, and share a little bit from each one. Mostly from this first one. We'll start with the
people feel like shit.
The mythological cycle. Buckle in. This is the wildest one, and this section will be by far the longest. 7 distinct groups make up the majority of the tales in the mythological cycle. They are the Tua de Donna, the Fomorians, Caesar, possibly Partholonians, the Firbolgs, the Nemedians, and the Milesians. We're going to focus on 2 of these 7. Here's what the other 5 are about. Caesar That's closest my mouth will make it. I know it's not like instrument for cutting paper. It's Cessair, but that's the best way I can say it. The scissor is a mythological figure in Irish folklore featured in an ancient medieval text. The Book of Invasions, the most important source in the world when it comes to Celtic mythology. This book is
casually strolling through this hospital,
it's
stealing all the information.
The book, this book is a collection of poems, prose narratives in the Irish language intended to be a history of Ireland and the Irish from the creation of the world to the Middle Ages. It was compiled in the 11th century by an anonymous writer, very likely a Catholic monk, or several monks, almost with certainty, and they compiled texts that go all the way back to the 5th century, writings written by earlier Christians in Ireland and Scotland, and scholars believe that the writer sought to create an epic written history comparable to that of the Israelites of the Old Testament in the Bible. This history intended to fit the Irish into Christian world chronology and connect them to Adam. So, they took confusing stories and made them way more confusing by trying to mesh everything with Christian mythology. So it's a big Christian Celtic mashup. And again, once again, the history of the Celts being written by the conquerors.
No.
The Fomorians were the first group to settle the island in this history.
I believe in your son. I know you can do it.
Later. The Partholonians, second group of settlers on the Emerald Isle, said to have introduced traditional activities such as farming, cooking, building. Nemedians, told to be the third who settled Ireland. They arrived 30 years after the Partholonians died out.
I did a good thing and I did a bad
according
thing.
to the mythological cycle. Then came the Fear Balags, who were the fourth to settle on the island of Ireland. Said that the Fear Balags were descendants of the Nemids. They left Ireland, went to Greece, then came back. The Milesians are considered the last group to settle on the island of Ireland.
Yes.
Celts from present-day Spain,
buttons.
who now
Very big
represent
oof.
the ancestors
Very
of
big.
modern Irish people.
Big oof.
Said that on arrival, they contended with the Tuatha, some god folk who descended from the Numidians. Way too much to cover to get into all these, so we're going to look at two in depth: the Tuatha and the Fomorians. And then later I'll go over the other three cycles and cover a few, gods, some Irish mythological and/or folklore creatures that are just interesting and fun. And then I didn't mention earlier, but also idiots of the internet. I don't think I've
All right, let's get this
the
guy morphine.
are the most widely remembered supernatural race who live in the other world of Irish folklore and the mythological cycle.
Just give you morphine.
The other world is the
Be
Celtic
right
realm
back.
of deities
All
and
good.
possibly also the
Thank
dead.
you for
Usually
hanging
described
out
as
with me, and
supernatural
thank you,
realm of
Heathen, for
everlasting
hanging
youth,
out with me
beauty,
for as long
health,
as you have.
abundance, and joy. Similar to a parallel universe. Various mythological heroes visit it either through chance or being invited by one of its residents. They often reach it by entering ancient burial mounds or caves, or by going underwater or across the Western Sea. Sometimes the other world is said to exist alongside our own, located beyond the edge of the earth, intrudes into our world, signaled by phenomena such as magic mist, that the Tuatha or Tuatha could enshroud themselves with, right? That enchanted-looking Irish fog is how they're interpreting this.
Thank you.
Could also be signaled by sudden changes in weather, by the appearance of divine beings, or unusual animals.
Speaking of which, how much do
An
I have in
otherworldly
my
woman
pocket?
might invite the hero of a story into the other world.
233. It's not
Okay,
terrible.
yes, you would. I interpret that as ancient horny Celts, probably, using that maybe as an excuse to blame, cheating on the gods or something. Like, what? She was a real woman from the next village. Are you serious? I swear, baby. I thought she was a goddess. I thought for sure she was an otherworld
See if I can
goddess.
get a better
We can't
pistol
upset
than
the
what I'm
gods.
currently
And I
equipped
just thought
with.
I was doing my religious duty. She used magic. She used magic to trick me. The Tuatha show up in a lot of old stories based in Irish mythology, often called the tribe of the gods. Most pagan gods in pre-Christian Ireland are in this group. According to that Book of Invasions, the Tuatha came to Ireland on flying ships surrounded by dark clouds, traveling by magic. Got to be the best way to travel. The Tuatha regularly associated with archaeological sites like Newgrange, other ancient sites in Ireland, key part of Irish folklore. The Tuatha mean it can mean the folk of the goddess Danu. And in the mythology, they invaded and ruled Ireland over 4,000 years ago. Danu, one of the oldest mythical beings in Ireland. The mother of the gods, the Earth Mother Goddess, often portrayed as a beautiful woman. Hail, Lucifina. Those sculptors who carved her, old idols, they must have boners while they were doing that.
I don't give a fuck what
This
happens
Celtic
to
goddess is
you.
commonly associated with nature, Mother Earth. I might have met her when I did some DMT.
He's just selling ammo.
Also represented aspects of regeneration, wind, wisdom, death, and prosperity.
Was going to happen
And
here?
according to ancient document known as the Annals of the Four Masters, compiled by Franciscan
buy that.
monks between 1632 and 1636.
Yeah, I'll buy that again.
From some earlier text. The Tuatha ruled from their parallel universe. They ruled in this universe from 1897 BC until 1700 BC. Not very long for how important they are, how powerful.
I have a problem.
Those monks trying to diminish their godliness. These gods were said to have originated from 4 mythical northern cities, possibly
I'm probably not even going to use it, but I took it anyway.
Although the Tuatha lived in the other world, they interacted and engaged with those living in the real human world. Tuatha were frequently featured in the writings of Christian monks, and again, a lot of liberties, taken to shape their stories. Some of these writings of Tuatha referred to as queens and heroes who possessed magical powers. Other times, mainly more recently, they're referred to as Celtic gods and goddesses. The Tuatha hailed from a land that granted all those that lived there everlasting youth, called Tir Nanag. Maybe this is not really actually confirmed anywhere in older texts in Irish mythology. The Tir Nanag comes from a later mythological cycle, but it seems to be the consensus today that the Tir Nanag is the home of the Tuatha because later people said so. This is all setting up today's idiots of the internet very well, by the way. A lot of people in the comment sections under this stuff. Oh man, speak with so much certainty. I'm jealous. They read one top 10 list, or one book.
That's fine.
Now they know everything about some aspect of Celtic lore. I've learned this week that arguing over a lot of Celtic mythology makes about as much sense as arguing over what your dreams mean. Resetting a bit here now. In the majority of Celtic mythology tales, when the Tuatha made their way into Irish soil, the mighty Firbolg were already the leaders of Ireland. Right, the fourth group to settle Ireland.
That's how
the first three, the people of Cizar, the people of Partholon, and the people of Nemid, they were wiped out. They were forced to abandon the island.
Why do you betray me?
Firbolg, said to be the descendants of the people of Nemid, and the Tuatha
Why must you betray me?
This is weird.
Why must you betray me?
Were at one point killed in wars and disasters. And then some of them, apparently the stronger ones, went on to Britain. And they became, the Tuatha. They became gods. And then the other weaker ones went to Greece. And then they came back as the Firbolg. But then they got stronger. Came back first. They controlled the island. And then the stronger ones from Britain, the god dude and god ladies, they came back to fuck up their cousins. This plays out like a fucking fever dream. The Tuatha made their way over to the west coast of Ireland, demanded that the Firbolg surrender half their land, right? Which is an interesting stance for god people. Be like, hey, we don't need it all. Let's take half. And then the Firbolg refused. They didn't even want to give him 1 acre.
Okay, snuck on in here and there's nothing.
This refusal led to the first battle of Mig Tuired, Celtic version of ancient Greek tales of the gods fighting the gods before them, like the Titans. And in this great, full of monsters and magic and giants battle, the Firbolg will be defeated, but not easily. The Tuatha, led by King Nuada, first king of the gods. You may remember him from Hellboy 2. Not kidding. Prince Nuada in that movie, loosely based on this old Celtic legend.
No. So, background here. It's there's a little bit of white space in there. There's a little bit of white space. And I'm trying to think. Do I need to fill that space up, or is it fine with what it has? I mean, I could always add some designs in the background, stuff like that. Of you of like different things and stuff like that. Very easily. And I could just come back to this page with those designs.
True.
So it doesn't, because there's a lot of like white space, and that's not always a bad thing to have white space. It's just that with so much of it, and this is like kind of a lore heavy page, like, do I need more? And it's like, I don't even know. I don't know. I could come back with like symbols of like the major families, which I don't even know. I can't. I've got it in my sketchbook, so like I've got a few families in my sketchbook. Let me see if I can find them. Hey, little boy, what are you doing? He's like, I'm itching my face. Yeah, I've got I've got a few different ones of the dwarven families, major dwarven families. So maybe I could put that in the background. Mayhaps. There is a possibility. Will it come up in the comic? Well, I mean, this whole backstory doesn't. This is just world building of the country, so it's the biggest thing is like, what would I? You know what? I will come back to this page anyway before I finish chapter 1, so it'll be fine.
Nuada was the first king, was married to Boyan, a river goddess, Boyan, river goddess, and during the battle, one of the Fyrbolg managed to cut off the arm of King Nuada, which resulted in the kingship being turned over to a tyrant named Bress. Everybody knows you can't have a one-armed king, apparently. Dian Ket, god of healing, and son of another god, Dogda, powerful god possessing the power over both life and death associated with fertility, agriculture, magic, and druidry, magically replaces Nuada's.
You could try to pencil in a little Easter egg there in the corner in the white space.
You see what I'm talking about, right?
Give me a moment. I can find out. Whoop. And whoop. And whoop. And we come over here to... Where the fuck are you? Oh, you're over here. I see you. I sees you. Okay, what white space exactly are you talking about?
So, like this right over here. Like, I can just like all of this stuff right over here.
You mean the black space?
Yeah, that space.
Well, that's just negative space. That's not necessarily a bad thing for that image.
Yeah. It's got a bit of
you can either do some light design work or keep it just negative space.
Okay.
It's meant to be ominous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just do some light design work or just keep it negative space. Either way would work.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just trying to think. It's like I'm just like, do I want to add that and stuff like that? And it's like, I mean, I could add the symbols of the gods in the background because the question is like, where were they within this fight? It's like, were they with these dwarves or were they gone? Yeah, I could put the symbols of the goddesses in the background. Like something very big and prominent within the history of this world. It's like, yeah, they weren't involved. As far as anybody knows, this was not a religious fight. This was just it was just a war between all of the races for territory. Like all it boils down to. And it has nothing to do with like a religious backing or a non-religious, completely non-religious backing. And it's like, so where were they? And it is a question that probably a lot of people, you know, in this country have because of how it was formed, and it turned into where there's only one city in the whole country. There are places that are as big as a city that could be considered a city, but they are not known as cities for that reason. So it's just a thought. What do you think, baby?
I think yes.
Okay. That boy is so cute. He is so cute.
The cute one.
What? I was talking about a rabbit.
His lost arm, fucking presto changeo, fuck yeah, bro.
Stands.
New arm, and the new one's made of silver. And he's pronounced
I'm the cute one compared to the rabbit. I don't
like
believe that.
Seems like a heavy ass arm.
I don't believe
try and carry
that.
around in battle. But, you know, better than no arm, maybe. The silver arm shit would not last very long.
Right, boy.
Right? Miach, I don't know how to say his name, son of Diane Ket, also a member of the Tuatha Dé Danann, not happy that the Nuada was given the crown. And he was some kind of goddish wizard motherfucker. And he used a spell that made flesh now grow over Nuada's shiny replacement arm. And then Diane Ket, furious about what his son did to Nuada, and then he kills him. He didn't like being upstage, and I get it. We've all been here as parents, right? You make a warrior, king, god dude, wizard fucker, a silver arm. And then your son, without even talking to you, makes the guy a new arm. It's fucking better. And he, just to be a dick, and you have to kill him. It was this time that Bress, who was temporarily the king while Nuada lost his arm, complained to his father.
So he's completely immune to any virus that I have.
Next group we're going to cover.
So he's okay.
Was maybe a
so if I have anything, he's fine.
God of storytelling, maybe good at Scrabble.
Well, that's so nice. That's good to know.
Bress to help to get help from Baelor.
He's just an old man.
Who will become a monster later.
Being an old man.
He will mutate into a race of giants. And Baelor, the king, will turn into a big, one-eyed motherfucker known as Baelor the Smiter, Baelor of the Evil Eye, Baelor of the Piercing Eye. Reminds me a lot of the Eye of Sauron from Lord of Rings. The Tuatha Dé Danann then hold a council. They decide it's going to be best to make their peace with the Fomorians because fucking Baelor is scary as shit. They don't want to be annihilated, even though they're god people.
Okay.
But then later, the Tuatha Dé Danann do fight another great battle, the second battle of Maeg Turig against the Fomorians. They're like, we do want to fight you, actually. And then Nuada's killed by the Fomorian king, Baelor's poisonous eye. But then Baelor gets killed by Lu, champion of the Tuatha Dé Danann, who slings a fucking rock into his big evil poison eye and takes over as king. And then later, these god warriors fight a third great battle against the Milesians, a Gaelic people from the northwest of the Iberian Peninsula, last group from the ancient days, and ancestors of modern Gaelic peoples in the British Isles.
Up to the nut, how sweet.
Will not be defeated. Right? One of their bards and druids somehow negotiates truth with the god people, the Tuatha Dé Danann, and then
I love the answer.
Those people decide, okay,
I love the attitude.
Of Ireland,
yeah, I don't care.
Celtic realm of deities and possibly the dead.
You know what? I don't give a shit.
Of Ireland, and that is how it's been ever since, without fucking question. Okay, that's why Ireland now has both regular people and magic people and leprechauns, and that is how you fucking. That's how you get enchanted, meat sacks, with an ancient bard truce, one-eyed monster fallout situate mic drop. Okay, I hope that was all very concise and easily to understand, because it is for me. It all makes perfect sense. It all makes perfect sense. Few other details about the Tuatha Dé Danann before we move on. Some stories have them coming to Ireland, not on ships, you know, but just like that flew through the clouds, but just regular ships. The Tuatha Dé Danann often described as tall gods, goddesses that have blonde or red hair, blue or green eyes, pale skin, right? Kind of like that classic D&D imagery, or Celtic warriors and gods and goddesses. The Tuatha Dé Danann have so many members I didn't mention who are Celtic gods, some more prominent than others in Irish mythology. Dagda, another Tuatha Dé Danann god. I think I mentioned Dagda. It's all getting so blurry now. Played a super important part in Celtic mythology. In a number of stories, Dagda, or the Dagda, described as a large man or giant with a beard that owns a club with magical powers. It's also said that the Dagda was a druid and a king, held the power to control everything from the weather to time, so that's sweet. The home of the Dagda reported to be that ancient site in Newgrange. Oh, and also said to be the husband of the terrifying Morrigan, shape-shifting goddess of war and death. The Tuatha Dé Danann also had magic items I didn't mention. When they arrived in Ireland, they brought with them 4 treasures, right, from their 4 magic cities of Findius, Glorious, Murius, and Folius. Each of the treasures of the Tuatha Dé Danann possessed incredible power that made them some of the most feared items in Celtic mythology. First, there was Dagda's Cauldron. Dagda's mighty cauldron had the power to feed an army of men. Said it had the ability to leave no company unsatisfied. It can make super tasty food and as much as you want. I bet that cauldron made some sweet-ass biscuits and gravy and really good shepherd's pie.
I mean, they're
and
not
probably
exactly
amazing lemon meringue pie. Whatever you want.
But I don't think
Low-calorie options would taste like regular options. Right? Cherry Coke has just the right amount of cherry syrup in it and not too much, and it's carbonated and not stale. It said that it have, this came from the other world, city of Murius. And then there was the Spear of Lu. Spear of Lu, one of the most feared weapons in all of Celtic mythology. Once the spear was drawn, no army could defeat the man who held the spear, nor that man's army. That's a dope-ass spear. You don't even have to throw it, and you get to win.
He's a nibbling.
Right? If you had that spear and that cauldron,
you
just fucking use the spear to guard the cauldron. You get to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, and no one can take that magic away from you. Glorious was the otherworld city that the spear was said to come from. Glorious. Another treasure, right? The gem called the Stone of Fall, said to have come from the otherworld city of Faulius. The Stone of Fall believed to have been used to pronounce the High King of Ireland. According to legend, when a man worthy of kingship stood upon it, the stone would roar with happiness. That's weird. Roar with happiness. Ha ha! I'm so happy! And you're like, this guy gets to be king. Stone roared with happiness. Pretty cool, but not as cool as the first two. I mean, super fun to be king of Ireland, but cooler than perfect food every day and never having to be defeated in battle? I don't know. Speaking of swords, according to legend, when the Sword of Light, we must follow the Lord of Light, is removed from its holder, no opposing army can escape from it. In some stories from Celtic mythology, the sword resembles a bright, glowing torch. That one, I mean, obviously, the dude who I'm just pulling this out of my ass right now, but wrote the books that the show, the Game of Thrones, is based on. Pulled from this mythology as well as pulling from other mythologies. Tolkien. A lot of people that are writing these modern Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Game of Thrones, building these worlds, they pulled from all this stuff. You can just see like the influences. Like, oh yeah, that is from the Lord of Light. This sword, still not as cool as the other, as the spear. That spear would fuck the sword up, right? If I get one thing, I get the spear, then I use the spear to take the other three things. Let's really meet those Fomorians now. No recounting of ancient Irish myth could be complete without mentioning the Fomorians, dreaded foes of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and all who came to conquer Ireland. These ones in the Game of Thrones world, they would remind me of the White Walkers. The meaning of their name debated even today, though most agree that the first part, fa, means from below, nether. The latter part means probably sea, demons, or giants. Nether giants, sea demons, something. And when you read of their deeds and doings, that stuff is pretty on brand. They're fucking monsters. Some scholars believe their destructive nature mirrors that of natural phenomena. Descriptions of the Fomors or Fomorians, their behavior strange and conflicting in the old legend, of course. Some tales tell that they were phenomenally ugly, and that they even celebrated this ugliness, driving out their children who were normal in appearance, taking deformities as a mark of favor from their dark gods. And that's weird, but I get it. Did you know that I once had two beautiful kids? But I got rid of them. Too pretty.
Hopefully
too handsome.
See me
it was distracting.
This.
What?
Then later,
do you do?
Kyler
What?
Monroe. And I was like,
I'm hacking into our computer.
I keep these freaks. Come on. Okay. But not kidding about these monsters. One Fomor might have a large arm and a small arm, while another might have two heads. The other has 3 eyes. Tails big and deformed. Other tales claim they were born whole enough, but strange in mind. And appearance after exposure to their occult practices would make them deformed. Some believe that they had the heads of goats. Others thought they were related to the fallen angels of Christian lore, right? The monks tried to connect them to the Nephilim. Maybe it's giants. In the Labor Gabala Aaron, that book of invasions, said they're described as having like one leg, one eye, one arm. Some corners of the internet say this is a misunderstanding of the crane stance.
Security, or
right? Maybe they would stand that way when they're doing their fucking wizard spells. There were giant wizard warriors. Legends tell they could control the weather, mists, waves of the ocean. They could bring blight upon the crops, sickness upon cattle. They could and plague from their festering pits upon the people. The icy blasts of winter were theirs to command, and deadly spirits from the underworld halls. They could summon to question, up the past and the future. They could see. They could do they could do fucking all bad wizard magic.
Be simpler to get
and Baylor, old Evil Eye, was one of their great kings and a popular Celtic folklore figure. And it was said his gaze could turn men to charred stone. But I got rid of him. Too pretty. He's to be king. Stone roared with happiness. Pretty cool, but not as cool as the first two. I mean, super fun to be king of Ireland, but cooler than perfect food every day and never having to be defeated in battle? I don't know.
Maybe
Speaking of swords, according to legend, when the sword of light, we must follow the Lord of Light, is removed from its holder,
now I can only
no
do so much
opposing
when she's
army can
standing
escape
right
from
there.
it. In some stories from Celtic mythology, the sword resembles a bright, glowing torch. That one, I mean, obviously, the dude who I'm just pulling this out of my ass right now, but wrote the books.
Oh right, I never looked at the ID that he gave
show,
me.
The Game of Thrones, is based on. Pulled from this mythology as well as pulling from other mythologies. Tolkien. A lot of people that are writing these modern Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Game of Thrones, building these worlds. They pull from all this stuff. You can see like the influences. Like, oh yeah, that is from the Lord of Light. This sword still not as cool as the other as the spear. That spear would fuck the sword up, right? If I get one thing, I get the spear. Then I use the spear to take the other three things. Let's really meet those Fomorians now. No recounting of ancient Irish myth could be complete without mentioning the Fomorians, dreaded foes of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and all who came to conquer Ireland. These ones in the Game of Thrones, they would remind me of the White Walkers. The meaning of their name debated even today, though most agree that the first part, fa, means from below, nether. The latter part means probably sea, demons, or jumped up. You can just see like the influences. Like, oh yeah, that is from the Lord of Light. This sword still not as cool as the other as the spear. That spear would fuck the sword up, right? If I get one thing, I get the spear. Then I use the spear to take the other three things. Let's really meet those Fomorians now.
Fomorians.
Too many witnesses. Oh. I wonder if I can eat rats.
Fomorians.
Hello. No?
What are the Fomorians in the D&D realm? Ugh. Ugh.
What's the matter? Find something you didn't like?
Oh, no, they're just disgusting. Fomorians are intentionally disgusting looking things from Irish folklore, and I was like, do they have them in Forgotten Realm? Yes, they do. And they're misshapen monsters.
Yummy.
Where are they from? Their language is giant. Vision is dark. They're chaotic evil, and their type giant. Fomorians are giants. Okay. Okay.
No recounting of ancient cloaks off one by one, and he would fuck up so much shit.
Oh, it's good to know.
He takes off with the first cloak. Now ferns begin to wither. Takes off his second eye cloak. Grass starts to get red. Third, wood and trees get a little too hot for people's liking.
There's the
Fourth,
key.
Okay, now the woods are smoky.
This is the
Fifth,
ladder, I suppose.
Everything's right on the edge of fire. Everything's getting red hot. Then he takes off the sixth and the seventh. Fucking everything's on fire. That is some eyeball.
Ow.
With this eye, he was said to have blasted the islands west of Scotland, which, according to legend, remain bleak and haunted to this day because of that. But then, someone slung a rock into his eye, and that took him down. That feels plagiarized to me by the monks, taken from the story of David and Goliath. The Fomorians were the first in Ireland, arriving with 200 men, 600 women, that's a solid ratio, surviving on wild birds and fish, and according to the legends, may have been responsible for the building of many of the earliest megalithic monuments, because they're giants. It was either for them to build stuff like Stonehenge. Their king, Sickle Grisenchos, made war upon the people of a place called Partholon, who arrived after the waters receded from a great flood. Monks plagiarizing more of the Bible. And then they defeated the Partholonians with the deadly plague concocted in magic demon cauldrons.
Jesus,
as deep as we're going with these guys here. They spent a whole suck in their work, going over so many Gaelic names of old Fomorian kings and characters
throwing
that
things
will be
at me.
Interesting and entertaining as me reading the book of Genesis from start to finish.
Ghost to be throwing
Move on to the
things
next
at
three
me.
cycles.
Who is to be throwing things
The Ulster
at
cycle,
me?
the second cycle of Irish mythology, comes from the 1st century
just fell
CE.
through the ceiling.
Since none of this shit was written until the 5th century, who knows? Said to come from the 1st century CE. More important than exactly when this stuff happened is the subject matter. It's a body of heroic medieval legends and hero sagas.
Still
perhaps the most famous is an early medieval epic called
Might add a few scratches here and there to make the dragon look a little bit more like
from early Irish
yeah,
literature,
you know, like a little
the 14th century, but referenced
like itty bitty scratches to show
often called the
that
Irish Iliad. and is
its
seen
form
as
is kind of
breaking piece
unsure.
of Irish
People
storytelling.
are unsure
It's
about its
huge, so we're
form.
not gonna, just
So
go into any
maybe
miles at
just
all.
like
Essentially tells a tale of a war between two
scratch.
Irish
You
territories.
know what I'm talking
Ulster
about, right?
and
Like
Connaught,
lines.
led by Queen
Scratchy,
Maeve
scratchy.
and her
Yeah.
husband Alil, who are intent on stealing this super fucking cool bull, Don Quayle, the brown bull of Cooley.
Okay.
Very fertile,
Oh,
big
yeah.
penis, big old clean wean, important cow.
You
Oh,
just
sorry.
Due to a curse upon the king
Ghost
and the
just
warriors of
walked
Ulster,
past
the
my
invaders are
screen
opposed only by a teenage
in such a
demigod
manner
named
that
Cuchulainn.
was so over the top.
Cuchulainn is believed to be an incarnation of the Irish god Lu.
you weren't
who
even
happens to be his
you weren't
dad.
even scared.
Okay.
You were more
Cuchulainn,
like, oh,
both
okay.
helped and hindered by supernatural
yeah,
figures
just
from
kind
the
of like,
children
all
of Dan,
right.
who are the
Hello.
those people
I
who
think
Hello.
the
talked
lamp
about earlier,
being
the
thrown
race
at my
of
head
the
was
gods.
more frightening, honestly.
They show
I think
In the end, the bull lives longer than everyone trying to
Phasmophobia is
kill him, so that's
scarier.
nice, but then eventually does die of exhaustion.
Kind of.
So okay. Next cycle.
Can I get
Yeah, kind
The
of.
third wave of the Celtic mythological
Damn it,
cycles, the
why are all
Fenian
these
cycle.
locks so
The story is generally
fucking
based in the
picky?
regions of
Okay.
Leinster,
Oh.
Munster, that revolve around the Fianna, a band of independent warriors, and their leader, old Finn McCool. Finn is connected to many legends of the Fenian cycle.
That'll get me
He's the star.
4.
He first came to prominence in his origin story of the Salmon of Knowledge. That's a story I'll tell.
With that,
One
I
of the most
don't know
popular
if
in
I
all the tales
can.
from this cycle. And the title makes it
All
sound
right.
like one of my lies.
Who are we
Let's
gonna
find out.
raid?
It's actually called the
That
Salmon
is a
of
good
Knowledge.
question. Who
Like all
are
the
we
rest of the
gonna
Celtic myths,
raid?
several versions.
Damn, still
This version, I
failed.
think the most popular, tells a tale of a
Who are
young
we gonna
Finn
raid?
many years before he became the
Who do
leader
you
of
wanna
the
raid?
Fianna. Just a boy.
We got a few people.
It all begins when he's
Right.
taken as an apprentice by a
like
widely
who?
celebrated druid poet named
We
Finnegas.
got
One day, this poet tells Finn,
we got Trevor.
maybe not a druid.
I haven't done them
some
in a
stories say
while.
he is, some stories say he's not.
Nekochiba.
One day, this poet Finn,
Omega
or the
Owl.
poet tells Finn the story of the Salmon of Knowledge, and that if caught, it could make any man or woman the most intelligent person
What do you
in
think?
Ireland.
I think
On one
Nekochiba.
super sunny spring morning, McCool and the old
Okay.
poet are sitting by the edge of
What?
the River Boyne. And it was while they sit
What's
there
up?
that with their feet dangling over the water that Finnegas
Did you want me
recounts
to
the
raid
story of the
you?
Salmon of Knowledge to Finn. The story had been passed to Finnegas.
I'm
by
just over
an
here
old
like,
druid.
all right.
The druid had explained that
You
there
want
was
me
a
to-
magic
if you
I
want-
don't know what
salmon
you're doing.
that lived in the
Do you
murky
want me to
waters
raid
of
you?
the river.
I can
The
raid
druid
you.
believed that the salmon had devoured several
I want
nuts
you to
from a
raid
magical
whoever you
hazel
want.
tree that had grown
Omega.
near the river.
Okay.
Once the
Omega
nuts began
Owl
to
it is.
digest in the fish's belly, the wisdom
Okay.
of the world was given to it. And that would suck. I mean, to be so smart, but still be a salmon, right? I mean, how much
Hell
is there to do
Hotel.
to enrich your mind in the river,
All right.
entertain your brain? There's no books. Scenery doesn't change that much, Always have to fight the current. Never get to eat chocolate. Mostly just fucking larvae, smaller fish or something. If I have to be a salmon, I want to be so dumb, so I don't know what I'm missing. And actually, the salmon holds the key to all the wisdom, but maybe isn't that smart itself. If
Yeah.
it were, I guess it would have never got
Boiler
caught in
room
the first
key.
place.
I'll take
Finnegas tells
that.
Finn that the person who eats the salmon is going to gain all this.
All right, everybody. I'm getting real tired.
You getting sleepy?
I'm getting very sleepy.
Very
Haven't seen.
sleepy.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you guys to Omega Owl. Go check him out. See what's going on. He's doing art. He's working on art. I'll probably say hello to Nekochiba afterwards, just to give her a little bit of company. But thank you guys so much for coming in. Thank you guys for chilling out with me. Thank you for being a part of history. Me making my comic a reality.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of people can't say. Thanks for the stream. Get some rest and stay awesome, Goat. It's going to be very difficult even, but I believe in myself. That's right.
You is the best.
And I think it's this right. What it is. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one. Night night.
Night night.